Okay, my dudes. It's a great day and it's a very sad day. Y'all know we've been live streaming real money fantasy football drafts every single day for probably about 4 or 5 weeks now. I mean, I have done more real money fantasy football drafts than literally anybody else that you're going to find. And I think we have some locked and loaded strategies. We also have some new news that we're going to be covering just based off of what's happened the past few days. But it's exciting because we have football very soon. Y'all know I make a video every single day, 365 days a year. I mean, this is what I live for. This is what I look forward to all season. I mean, all year, to be honest, is the season. But I'm going to miss these streams. I'm going to miss these drafts now. We are still going to stream every single day. The streams are just going to be a little bit different. They're not going to have the same vibe. But of course, guys, if you have not subscribed to the channel already, make sure you subscribe. I'm going to be doing videos every single day during the season. I'm going to be doing live streams every single day. They may not be real money fantasy drafts. I'll be answering questions. We'll also do some other really fun things on Underdog Fantasy. So make sure y'all subscribe. Let me pull up the live chat. We'll get the link going for the first draft. And yeah, this is going to be exciting, my dudes. Okay, so just sent out the first link to the first draft on this stream over there on Patreon. Y'all know we send that first one out on Patreon every single time. And we'll get a lot of drafts going tonight. I started a little early. That way we can get an extra draft or two in. That way I can get as many of y'all out here in these drafts as humanly possible. We'll also be doing live streams every single day. Like I said, I think on Thursday, I may actually start the live stream at like noon and then stream all the way up until kickoff of that first game. I mean, just because I want to get in as many of these drafts as humanly possible. So this is going to be start filling now. Let me give a shout out to some people who have came out to the live stream. We have Nick, Luis, Anwar, President-elect Carl, Mikhail, I believe that's how you say that, Luke, Joel, Mike, Saram, and OM Jimmy, no idea how you said that, asking a question about Latavius Murray. We'll get to Latavius Murray in 1 second, of course, but it does look like this draft is about to fill, so let's pull this over. Let me also send out the link if anybody wants to join our next draft. I'm sure that everybody knows how to do that by now. And people asking if Le'Veon Bell is worth anything. Can I get some props here? Who the hell came out just a week ago and said to be avoiding Gus Edwards in fantasy drafts? Who said that? Who said to be avoiding Darrell Henderson when he's going in the 4th round because they were bringing someone in? God, let's win these drafts. Let's win this season. This is going to be fun. Let's pull up this draft. Okay, so now it looks like we're going to, hey, boys, we got the 101. Okay, this is going to be an extremely exciting draft. With the 101, we get to do so many fun things here. I'm telling you right now, if you're new to a live stream, get ready to see me go Christian McCaffrey, an elite tight end, and 7 receivers in a row. I mean, get used to not seeing a running back 2 for a very long time. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be squirming in their seats. They're going to go, oh my God. Mason, are you sure it's round 8? You don't have a second? Yes, guys, we're sure. We've done almost 200 of these drafts. They're real money drafts. I know how the draft board's going to fall. I feel comfortable with what we can do in this draft. So let's lock in CMC here. And it's going to be exciting because while we have done almost 200 real money drafts, we have not done nearly enough 101 drafts. I mean, for whatever reason, Underdog Fantasy has not given us the 101 nearly enough. So let's lock in Christian McCaffrey. Going to be an extremely exciting pick. And let's see where Alvin Kamara goes in these drafts tonight. Maybe Alvin Kamara ends up sneaking his way up to the 102 in a couple of these drafts with Latavius Murray getting cut. Because, I mean, obviously you're not expecting Tony Jones to have the exact same role Latavius Murray has had over the past few years. So maybe, I mean, Alvin Kamara is in for a career year from a touch standpoint. I'd be a little bit worried about his high value touches if Taysom Hill does have a large role in the game plan. Okay. So Jayan says, Mason, did you get a chance to look at the question regarding my name on Twitter? Okay, Jayan, let me pull that up, my man. I am sorry. I have been incredibly hectic. I got like 20 podcasts out on Patreon today. I mean, it's been laughable how busy we have been. Okay, but we have Zeke, Travis Kelce, so nothing really too out of the ordinary here. I mean, you have Derrick Henry now all of a sudden falling to the 108. I think Derrick Henry at the 108, I mean, that's going to be fantastic value. Now, I am of the opinion that when Derrick Henry is going here at the 103, he is getting extremely overdrafted. I mean, that's a very bad draft pick, but if you're getting Henry at the 108, I think that's good value. Okay, Jayan says, okay, it looks like Jayan says he is changing his name to Nash Talks Texas. I think that's significantly better, to be honest. Make it Nash Talks Texas. I think that is That's really good. That's really good. Okay, so let me send out that link. I think we already did. I can pin that to the top. And if y'all are new to the live stream, for whatever reason, if you have not heard about what we do every single night, and the number one way you can support this channel, like if you enjoy the videos we do, if you enjoy these live streams that we do, by far and away, the best way that you can support this channel is by using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. This is where we've been live drafting every single night for I don't even know how long now. And not only are we doing these live drafts on Underdog Fantasy every single night, and we've been doing them, I've done almost 200 of them. It's been incredibly fun. They're going to be doing a ton of fun stuff during the season as well that we're also going to be doing on the channel. So you can come out and you can get involved on a live stream. But right now, and I repeat, I mean, I honestly kind of got caught off guard. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to Underdog when they probably told me this a month ago. But y'all know how when you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, you get $25 added to your account with a $10 deposit right now? Well, apparently that's only going to be for one more week. Apparently on the 13th, that is no longer the case. And on the 13th, you only get a $10 bonus. So you need to make sure right now that you go over and use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Make a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. And in return, you get our 2021 rankings, our draft guide, our Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. I mean, that's like $80, $90 worth of value alone right there. You're getting $25 added to your account. And guys, you get to come out on a live stream and we get into some drafts. We're going to be doing more in-season contests, like more drafts and stuff on live stream. So if you weren't able to get into one of these, I promise you it's not too late. And we're going to be doing it very often. So please make sure you decide to support the channel. And Underdog said, this is the number one reason why I have to keep on pushing this. Underdog said if we get 10,000 people signing up with promo code FLOCK and with everything that you get for signing up, it should be a no-brainer for you to do it already. But I mean, this should just make you that much more incentivized. When we get 10,000 signups with promo code FLOCK, I mean, Underdog Fantasy agreed that they're going to fly people over to Tampa, Florida to go to the Florida Flock meetup with myself and to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. So please, guys, take advantage of that because I would love to get that going. Okay, so you have Najee Harris falling to the 209. This is great value at the 209 here. That is great value. And now we're going to be back up on the clock. Kittle goes. So now that we're not going to be able to get an elite tight end, we are having to switch it up and we're going to go wide receiver, wide receiver. We're going to get Justin Jefferson. And instead of CeeDee Lamb, I know Lamb is higher than Keenan Allen in ADP. I mean, I actually expect CeeDee Lamb and the Dallas Cowboys and Tampa Bay to get into a massive shootout on Thursday night. I mean, that's why I have actually like Chris Godwin ranked as my wide receiver 6. Actually, I forgot y'all haven't seen my week 1 wide receiver rankings. That will come out tomorrow. Despite that, I mean, I think Keenan Allen's clearly going to be the play for us at the 301. I do prefer Keenan Allen over CeeDee Lamb this season. Okay. So Mike says, can you turn on sub-only mode for the chat? Yes, sir. I will turn on subscriber only. And if y'all have not dropped a like on the live stream yet, what are you doing? Fix your life. Go down there. Drop that like. Saram coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says, hope all is well, bro. I received the following trade. Devontae Adams and Mark Andrews for my players, Travis Kelce and Chris Godwin. Tempted, but I'm not too sure. Okay, so my initial reaction as soon as we saw that you were getting you were having to trade away Travis Kelce was to say no and just... But to be honest, I think that we do probably prefer we still prefer the Travis Kelce and the Chris Godwin side because I clearly would rather have Chris Godwin over Mark Andrews, and Devontae Adams and Travis Kelce are in the same tier for me. So yeah, give me Travis Kelce and Chris Godwin. Don't make that trade. And I'm going to switch this slide over here so we don't have a massive shadow. Hopefully that's not as bad. You know what? It's just as bad. Who the hell cares? But then we got some more wide receivers going in the middle of round 3. And if you're East Midi, you love getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Najee Harris both falling to you on a team that you decide to take Devontae Adams at the 104. I mean, that's pretty much exactly what you're looking for, where with a CEH, he's decent value. But the problem is when we take Christian McCaffrey, I promise you we're going to be much better off just going and getting these receivers with a ton of upside here. And then knowing that we can find running backs later on in the draft that can backfill as our running back too, because we already have, I mean, such a high floor and ceiling with the Christian McCaffrey. Mathematically speaking, I mean, it doesn't necessarily matter if we continue to pass on running backs throughout here. We are still going to be a far out ahead of the rest of the field because CMC, I've said this so many times before, it is CMC, tier tier break, tier break, tier break. Then you get to Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara. I mean, it's not even close with what you currently have in a Christian McCaffrey. We have some people subscribing to the channel. Scott Master coming out subscribing. We had John, Joel, Turkey Laser, Gary all subscribing. Pat, Ben during this live stream. Thank you so much for subscribing. And I will say, guys, that we are actually going to be going through and hitting 35,000 subscribers very soon. We hit 34,000 last night. And honestly, we'll probably hit 35,000 tomorrow. I mean, it has been crazy. Kind of expected it to with opening week kickoff. But I mean, thank you so much for everybody going down there, dropping likes on the live stream, subscribing to the channel. Thank you for everybody who's been here throughout the entire offseason. I promise you guys, we're just going to ramp it up during the season. If y'all thought that I was posting a lot, if y'all thought I was working hard during the offseason, wait until the year because we are going to get so much going. Okay, so now we got Mike Evans, DJ Moore going, and DeAndre Swift, I guess, rising up a little bit whenever you do have DeAndre Swift cleared for week 1. I actually think that DeAndre Swift's someone that, I mean, in week 1 in particular, I'm going to include him on my list that you cannot start just because you're looking at a DeAndre Swift going up against the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, this game is supposed to be a massive blowout, and we don't exactly know what the workload is going to look like with him working back from that injury. So DeAndre Swift, I like for the entire season. Of course, this is a draft for the entire season, so I like the pick. But specifically for week 1, don't necessarily know about it. I think that, I mean, like a David Montgomery here would be very intriguing as well as a James Robinson. But you have those two running backs going. And honestly, there are a few things that I have in mind to pull off at the 4-5 turn. We'll see if we can accomplish any of them. Of course, it's a little bit harder to draft in this draft because, I mean, like I said, these drafters are underdog fantasy with us. That's where we're drafting right now. They signed up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code Flock. So they have my rankings. They have my draft guide. They know exactly what I'm trying to do. So it's a little bit harder to pull off our exact strategies, but we'll see. I mean, I think that we've had a ton of success with it so far this offseason. Now let's pull this up. Chris Carson falling like a rock. I'd be surprised if he makes it past these 3 picks right here. Y'all know there are a few players in this range that I'm simply not considering. I think people that are new to the live stream will be a little surprised to see my 2 picks here, but if you've been around for a while, I think that I don't even need to explain myself. Now we have some more donations coming out. Thank you so much for Milo, who says, yo, Mason, I got screwed by some early injuries in my 14-man league. Do you think I should start Henry Ruggs or Bryan Edwards week 1? I would go Henry Ruggs personally. I mean, I think we've already seen Henry Ruggs with what his role is going to be on that offense. We don't necessarily have to stress too much about exactly what that's going to look like. And from here, I think that we're actually going to grab the elite quarterback and a good tight end. Like I've said, I think that we need to be pushing the tight ends up our board after the injuries that we actually have to other players like an Adam Trautman and an Irv Smith Jr., making it harder to find guys later on. So let's take Lamar Jackson, who I actually have ranked as my quarterback 2 for this upcoming season. We're going to be taking Lamar Jackson over Josh Allen. I know a lot of people are not going to like that, but we get the luxury of guaranteeing that we get that Baltimore Ravens stack right now. This is a stack that you actually had to pay for at the 2-3 turn last year. And here, I did not like paying that price whatsoever. But if we're getting at the 4-5 turn this year, I think it's completely reasonable. Of course, we were avoiding Lamar Jackson last year when he was a 2nd-round pick coming off of in a completely unsustainable touchdown rate. But now, I mean, he's fallen to the back down to the earth with his touchdown rate. And if you look at his rushing, it remained relatively constant. I don't necessarily think that we have to worry about that going anywhere. It was the same last year as it was prior. Saram coming out of the donation says, cheers, Mason. Thank you as always. Have Lamb, but you suggested giving up Galladay and Deontay for Amari upgrade. What other players do you think I can target? I think that if I'm remembering correctly, the suggestion that I made was going out and targeting Amari in particular because you had Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb on this team. So you could go create that double stack between CeeDee Lamb and an Amari Cooper with obviously Dak Prescott. If I am incorrect in saying that, and we're just looking for other receivers in the Amari range that I'd be intrigued in, guys like Allen Robinson, Robert Woods, Chris Godwin would be all names that come to mind. But yeah, let me know if I'm wrong with what we are misremembering there. Now, Josh Allen does fall to the 506. Okay, so this is after Lamar and after Kyler Murray. I know a lot of people are probably going to hate us taking Lamar Jackson there, but it is what it is, my dudes. And John B says, new to the channel, and I'm liking what you got going on here. I'm in. Thank you, my man. Thank you. And if you are new to the channel, I'll say, if you like what we have going on, literally, this is like a win-win-win, to be honest. And that's why I've been talking about it so much. And I really want to hammer this in while you can still get the $25 added to your account because it's not going to be much longer. So you're going to hear me say it a lot tonight. make sure you go to the description of the video, sign up for Underdog Fantasy, which is where we're going to be live streaming a ton of stuff like we're doing right now throughout the entire season. If you want to get involved on a live stream, go deposit $10, use promo code FLOCK, and when you deposit $10 right now, you get $25 added to your account. I got an email from Underdog today that said that offer in particular was no longer going to be available on the 13th, and it was only going to be $10 added to your account instead of $25. So please, please, please take advantage of that. I was pretty sad to hear that that offer was going to be gone for you all sometime soon, but I'd imagine most people in this live stream by now have already gone out there and taken advantage. Let me send out a poll real quick. Okay, so now after this, we got Miles Sanders falling to the 508. 509. I really like that Miles Sanders value. And this is also further than what you've seen Kyle Pitts go for, in a very long time. Maybe, just maybe, we'll get a $250 draft going. I don't necessarily want to have to deposit on Underdog Fantasy. I reached out to Underdog saying, hey, if we keep on filling these big dog drafts, is there any way that we could possibly get some more money to our account? They've yet to get back to me. We're hoping it happens, my dudes. We're hoping that way we can get some more $250 high stakes drafts flowing. Hopefully it does. I'd imagine that we eventually get that sorted out, but maybe we can budget one in for tonight. We'll see. We'll see. After this draft, I'll definitely get a lot of $10 drafts going with y'all. That way we can make sure that we get as many of y'all in these drafts as humanly possible, because I know that we don't have that much longer. And that's what I was saying. I may just live stream all day on Thursday. On Thursday, we may only get out one video in the morning. I may go to the gym. I may get back. And then I'll be sorry if you're messaging me on Patreon. I'm sorry if you're messaging me on Discord. We may be live literally from like noon on Thursday until just the game kicks off. I'm so excited. I actually walked downtown. If y'all don't know, I moved to Tampa and I'm living downtown Tampa. And I was walking downtown with the dog literally right before this live stream. And I was looking around. They had a bunch of stuff about some restaurants that I usually go out and eat. I was like, oh my God. Tampa's ready to rock for Thursday. Okay. So let's pull this up. And about at this point, this is when we can begin to consider running backs again if we would like. So far in this team, we took Lamar as an elite quarterback. We have Mark Andrews as that tight end. We have CMC as our running back. And we have Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen as well. So we need to continue to bring in wide receiver depth, but at the same time, a running back in this range isn't going to be the worst idea. So Caden does end up going with a Mike Davis. I'm fine with Mike Davis at the 6'10". Y'all know I've been one trashing the Mike Davis value for a very long time now, but I think at the 6'10", that is going to be fine. Now I know that we're going to go with at least one receiver here. The question is, do we just kind of roll the dice and think that we can get another running back making it back to us? And honestly, with how But let's just take Damian Harris. I actually think that Damian Harris is a little more intriguing in this format than in a regular league, because in this draft that we are currently drafting in, you don't have the fantasy football playoffs. So it's not as worrisome that Ramondre Stevenson could continue to expand his role at the end of the season when production really matters. And instead, I think Damian Harris is one of those players that's going to be very strong to start the year. He may phase out a little bit at the end, but in this draft in particular, what we are doing is we are trying to figure out how do we get the most production in our starting lineup for the entire season, because it's cumulative scoring. Just whoever scores the most points in the league for the year gets first. Whoever scores the second gets second. Whoever scores the third gets third. There's no fantasy football playoff. So I think that does make a Damian Harris slightly more intriguing than a Trey Sermon. If you have the fantasy football playoffs, you go Trey Sermon, because we know that's someone that by the time you get to about week 15, he is going to be the lead running back in San Francisco and he's going to be crushing. However, here it's going to be a little less valuable where, I don't like to target those rookies in the cumulative scoring type formats. Luca coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says, love the next setup. How do I join the draft queue? I got the app and deposited $10, but I don't know what to do next. Appreciate all the help from last year. Thank you, my man, so much for depositing $10 on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. Like I said, literally there's nothing in RP, nothing that helps this channel more. And also you get so much in return. And what I'll say is, so what we're going to do is when you're seeing those automated links get sent out in the live chat right now, that's where you can go through to sign up with promo code FLOCK. And then once we're done with the draft, what I actually do is I go and create a private draft that I'm going to send out in the live chat for all the subscribers who come out to this live stream to get into the draft. So I will send that link out and you'll know exactly when I am, because the draft will be over and you'll hear me. You'll see me full screen. There will be no draft board behind me. I'll say sending the $10 link out now, and then you'll check the chat. It says $10 draft here. You click on it, and then you're in our private draft with 11 other members of the channel. So yeah, make sure you just be on the lookout whenever I say that on the live stream. So if you're watching this as a live stream and maybe you're like 30 minutes behind, probably should just skim to where we're actually live, because that's how you're going to be able to get in. If you're just like watching it like 30 minutes ago, then you have no shot. Okay, so let me go through, and I feel like I've taken Damian Harris in a few more leagues since we had the Sony Michel trade, as well as Mac Jones getting named the starter. I want to see my exposures. If y'all don't know, if y'all are like new to the channel, I mean, I have been in so many of these drafts. I've literally probably done close to 200 real money fantasy football drafts at this point. And what's really cool about Underdog, actually, yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I have closed in on 200. What's really cool about Underdog is you can actually search the amount of leagues that you've drafted a certain player in. So if I'm searching how many leagues I've drafted Damian Harris, okay, I haven't drafted him in that many at all. I've drafted him in 5.8% of leagues. And now if I look over at the $500 leagues, because they have that, I'm sorry, the $250 leagues, because they have that on a different tab. Let me go and see how many of those leagues I've drafted him in. I think I've drafted him in a couple there. We've drafted him in only one there. Okay, yeah, so we're very underweight with the Damian Harris. We have not taken Damian Harris in that many drafts at all. Now we have Kenny Golladay, Mike Williams at the 803 and the 804. At this point, when we have two running backs, I think that we really want to be hammering in the receiver position, because this is a format that you have to start 3 wide receivers every single week. And to go along with it, you don't submit your starting lineup every week. That's how I can manage 250 drafts, because I already have my high stakes of fantasy football redraft teams that we drafted, where we have to go through and we do waivers. We have to submit our starting lineups every single week. I have like 20 dynasty teams at the same time. So these Underdog drafts are so great in that if you've already done your fantasy draft and you go, you know what, Mason, I really want to focus in on waivers. I really want to focus in on making some start set decisions on my own league with my friends. Well, this is perfect, because what happens is you draft your team here and then you never have to submit a starting lineup. It actually gets submitted at the end of the week for you based on the highest possible starting lineup that you could have. So say right here, flocking up, my dude takes both Cooper Kupp and Mike Williams at receiver. And then you would think going into the week that you wanted to start Cooper Kupp. But if Cooper Kupp goes out there as 4 receptions for 46 yards and no touchdowns, and he only scores 8.6 fantasy points, compared to Mike Williams, who maybe catches just say 6 balls for 68 passing, I'm sorry, probably more than that, 86 receiving yards, and then all of a sudden he outscores Cooper Kupp, then he automatically slides into the starting lineup. And also there are no waivers, so there's 0 time commitment after the draft. That's how I'm going to be able to manage all these leagues. So yeah, because of that setting, you definitely need to make sure that you're loading up on as many receivers as possible. And E. Smitty decides to pass on Aaron Rodgers when he took Davante Adams in the first round. That is something you can't do. I think when you have a Davante Adams in the first round, I mean, if you have the ability to draft Aaron Rodgers in the 8th, that's 100% something you have to do every single time. I mean, I'm very surprised to see him not go with the Davante Adams. Now we're going to be back on the clock, and going back to what we were talking about previously, if this was a league that had the fantasy football playoffs, I mean, Michael Thomas is 100% someone that I'm taking here going, well, yeah, I mean, he's not going to give us production at the beginning of the season, but at least by the end of the year, Michael Thomas could be an elite option. But since this is cumulative scoring, it is going to put us in a very difficult position where it's going to be a lot harder to draft a player like a Michael Thomas. And instead, it's actually going to make more sense to get these guys like a Brandon Cooks and a Jarvis Landry. So let's go back and let's look at the picks that I made right before this and see if it was a mistake in taking a Damian Harris, where if we took Damian Harris here at the 701, what we would have done if we decided to pass on Harris is we would have either gone with the Juju or a Cortland Sutton. And then running backs that we had available to us in this range, I mean, if we pull that list right back up, I mean, we could have taken a Ronald Jones, a Melvin Gordon. So the real question is, what do you prefer? Do you prefer having Damian Harris and Jarvis Landry, or Cortland Sutton and Ronald Jones? That's a question that's pretty hard to answer. I'll say I'm kind of fine with it, considering that we have taken Damian Harris in very few drafts. But I would love to know your opinion on that, my dudes. Okay, so now Ronald Jones does go at the 904. Aaron Rodgers goes at the 903. Okay, so Caden takes Aaron Rodgers away from E. Smitty. Okay, so E. Smitty went with a Russell Wilson, and I'm assuming that's why they decided not to draft an Aaron Rodgers in the 8th. Now, I'll say, looking back at this, in my opinion, probably has to be considered a mistake. I think that you would much prefer having the combination of Aaron Rodgers to stack with Davante Adams in the 8th round. You can get Deebo Samuel versus having Russell Wilson and Jalen Waddle here with no stack. So East Smitty's going really young. I mean, they're going with a ton of rookies. Guys like Chase, Smith, Waddle. Maybe a little tougher to find production at the beginning of the season, but in a league where you had the playoffs, I mean, I would really like that. Okay, so now let's switch this back over. And you are going to see a little bit of a wide receiver run happen here. This is kind of why I wanted to focus in on wide receiver in the middle rounds. While we have drafted a decent amount of them, I mean, we have currently 5 on this roster. Still, I'm not that excited about our wide receiver position. I mean, because usually when you have CMC, you could just be crushing the field. I mean, that's kind of what you usually expect. And Ty Coleman says, damn, bro, you're still drafting. Yeah, we're going to be doing so many fun things throughout the year. Like Underdog Fantasy does like drafts during the season as well, like weekly drafts. I'll be hosting those too. So trust me, the drafts are not over. Now, it's very sad that like the season-long drafts, my favorite kind of drafts where we're going through and looking at the entire year rather than just one week in particular. It's sad that we're not going to have the opportunity to live stream those anymore because I've had so much fun doing those for the past month. We'll get them going the next few days as well. Like I said, Thursday, I think we're going to be doing as many as possible to get as many of y'all in here as possible. But it is pretty sad, I'll admit that. Saram coming out with another donation. Thank you, my man. Says, how's my team? Running back Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, Trey Sermon. Okay, you went way overboard on running back here. Like, Naheem Hines isn't doing anything for you. Wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, Laviska Shenault, Jamar Chase, tight end Mark Andrews, Tyler Higbee, quarterback Justin Herbert, and Matthew Stafford. So, if that's either a 10-man or a 12-man league, that is ridiculous. Like, I'm kind of assuming because you get Dalvin in the first. I mean, let's say you get Harris falling to you in the second, then you get Mixon somehow making it to you in the third. Then at what point are you bringing CeeDee Lamb onto this team? I've never seen CeeDee Lamb fall to the end of the 4th round. That's why I'm kind of thinking maybe this is an 8-man draft instead. If it was an 8-man draft, that would make a lot more sense. Derek says he wants a $250 next. Maybe we can get a $250 draft in, guys. I'm going to be completely honest. I was hoping that Underdog would come out, add some money to our account with how many of those $250 drafts we've done. Sadly, it hasn't happened. So it looks like your boy's on a budget at the moment. Looks like your boy's on a budget. Now, Brandon says, Kyler Murray, Dalvin Cook, Javonte, A.J. Brown, Amari Cooper, Darren Waller, Mike Evans, and on the bench, A.J. Dillon, Trey Sermon, Darnell Mooney, Laviska Shenault, Tannehill. Need a running back 2. Who should I trade for? Okay, so with this roster in particular, I think you don't necessarily need a running back 2 at the end of the season, but for the beginning of the year when Javonte Williams were waiting for him to take over, yes, I kind of agree with you. One problem with this team is you shouldn't be rostering a Ryan Tannehill whenever you have a Kyler Murray already. So something that you could possibly look to do is just trade for a plug-and-play guy for like the first few weeks of the season. Like bringing in a Melvin Gordon would really make some sense here. That way you could just have a running back 2 to play for the first 2 or 3 weeks until we are comfortable playing either one of Javonte Williams or Trey Sermon. So possibly trying to package together like I want to say like maybe Ryan Tannehill and then like a Darnell Mooney, going and getting a running back that we could feel comfortable about for the first few weeks and then backfilling with a wide receiver from the waiver wire. That could be slightly intriguing, but here we're going to double tap the running back position. So yeah, this is definitely making our decision to take a Damian Harris previously look a little worse. This is why I usually love to grab receivers in the middle rounds because we can't be taking a receiver like an Emmanuel Sanders here. I'm just not doing it. So instead, we're going to take Zach Moss and James Conner, and we may be done at the running back position after this. Like if we check this out, yeah, because they all have different buys at the same time, I think we may be able to just take these 2 players and then maybe not draft another running back unless it's ridiculous value. Because at this point of the draft, I do not feel comfortable having this many running backs and this few wide receivers on a Christian McCaffrey build. This is not ideal. We definitely made the mistake of taking Damian Harris in the 7th round. If we would have gone with the Courtland Sutton here, this team would be significantly better, where we do have Christian McCaffrey, Damian Harris, Zach Moss, and James Conner all at running back. And at receiver, we have Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, Tyler Boyd, Brandon Cooks, Jarvis Landry. We have the elite quarterback and tight end stack with Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews. But yeah, I think we made a mistake in this draft. We definitely made a mistake in this draft, my dudes. Oh my gosh, that's just embarrassing. Like I said, we have not done enough Christian McCaffrey builds. We have not had enough 101 in these drafts. Something that we could have done, this is probably the correct call. What we should have probably done is taken a Zach Moss here, and instead of going through and double tapping the running back position, this is another mistake that I feel like I have made in a considerable amount of drafts, is just picking at the end and always feeling like we have to go with the same position over and over again. What we probably should have done is instead, while yes, the receiver value was disgusting, we most likely should have taken a Zach Moss and a Mike Gesicki instead, and we would have been done at the tight end position because, reminder, there are no waivers in this league. So we do have to draft multiple tight ends. We have to draft multiple quarterbacks. But it's going to depend on the resources that you pour into those different positions on how many exactly you are drafting. So yeah, we definitely made a mistake in that. Now, Kenyon Drake goes to the 1107. And at this point, guys, what we are really pulling for right now is we want to see running back, running back, running back. We just need to see as many of those guys going off the board as possible, because we're not going to be interested, even if a Leonard Fournette were to fall to the end of the 12th. With this build in particular, we're going to be so desperate at at wide receiver, given the fact that we have to start 3 of them, and it's going to be best ball. We don't have access to the waiver wire. I promise you they're going to run out eventually. So yeah, it's going to be a little tougher. And gosh, my dog under me right now is going crazy. My dog under me is going crazy. Guess we get Cole Beasley at the 11-10. Yeah, that's not good. I know Cole Beasley is like a name that you're probably going, Mason, why the hell do you care if Cole Beasley's off the board? That's a receiver that honestly could probably help us with this format. Okay, so Devin Singletary goes to the 11-11. That is great for us. Let me scroll up to the top of the draft real quick for anybody just now coming into the stream. And if you were just now coming into the stream, guys, make sure you go down there, drop that like, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be live streaming every single day. During the year, we're not going to live stream every single day with drafts. We'll do some live streams where I'm just answering questions. And of course, you know, we're going to be putting out videos every single day as well. And during those premieres, you have seen me answering questions in the chat, as well as I've been answering every comment section of the video as soon as the premiere is over. Of course, I can't do that throughout the entire day. We get hundreds of comments, but if you come out to that premiere, there's a damn good chance you get your question answered. So let's move this down. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit that bell so you could come out to the videos as soon as they are uploaded. Now let's move this back over. Naheem Hines going at the 12:03. That's good for us. Good for us. Paris Campbell bump it up to the 12:04. Of course, you have to bump up Paris Campbell just slightly when you're actually looking at it and saying, okay, well, this is someone that, I mean, is now going to be playing a much larger role whenever you have the T.Y. Hilton injury. So, yeah, I think that Paris Campbell does need to get that bump up. Gabriel Davis at the 12:05. Ramondre Stevenson. Okay, perfect. He's a running back that I like, but we don't want running backs. And you know what? We may end up taking, we may not even be able to get a receiver here. We may be grabbing a quarterback in either a Justin Fields, Joe Burrow, or Trevor Lawrence. Now, the only potential stack that we would actually have would be a Joe Burrow with a Tyler Boyd here. That is one thing that we need to point out. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking at ADP alone, I mean, MVS is the best available receiver, and he is going 20 picks on average after Justin Fields. So if we were to draft a quarterback here, we can only draft 2 in this draft. We did take Lamar Jackson in the 8th round. You have Justin Fields going at the 12:09. Maybe both these teams go quarterback. And then what we would be doing in that instance is we would most likely be grabbing 1 tight end and 1 receiver. There are a couple different routes this could go at this turn, though. And keep in mind, like I said, this is not a league where we have access to the waiver wire. That's why I'm even considering drafting a quarterback here. If you're playing in a league where you have access to the waiver wire, I mean, if you have Lamar Jackson, you're not taking another quarterback. And that's something you have to understand. Okay, now that when we're back on the clock and we have both Joe Burrow and Justin Fields off, I don't necessarily think that it's too important for us to grab another one of those guys. Yeah, because there are going to be a lot of quarterbacks later on. Like, we don't need to be grabbing a Trevor Lawrence here. Receivers, pretty much a big flat tier. There are a lot of running backs that we're looking at. You know what? Let's get MVS for one of these picks. I mean, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, someone that I have not been drafting whatsoever. He does run incredibly far downfield. We know that he's going to have those splash plays, which could be a little more intriguing. And Jalen Reagor is also someone that I haven't drafted at all. Let's just grab Jalen Reagor. I don't like either one of those receivers, but the problem is we're going to need to bring in a considerable amount of receivers to this team. So let me show off this draft so far. And my gosh, oh my gosh, that was an ugly turn of events with what we were looking at. I did not like having a look at those receivers, but the problem is when we review this draft right now, I mean, we're looking at this Damien Harris selection. This was so bad on a multitude of levels. And now we're looking at what we ended up finding with this running back value here. And we could have also had a James White instead of either Marquez Valdes-Scantling or Jalen Reagor. But when we're this invested into the running back position, we're going to be really capped on what we could actually do in drafting James White. So instead, it may not necessarily be fun, but we kind of have to take the receivers, even though they're not that great of values. So yeah, it sucks. And it highlights that I don't think our selections here were a mistake. I think that these selections were suboptimal based on the previous decision that we made in the 7th round of getting a Damien Harris. But that's a lesson learned. Lesson learned for a CMC build. It's better to make the mistake in a $10 draft compared to a $250 draft. We may get a $250 to go in a little later. The recovery coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says, Young Flock, I'm back. Excited for another fantasy year. Got a question. Who would you start for my flex? Deebo Samuel or Kareem Hunt? I was actually just thinking about this, where Deebo Samuel is not necessarily someone that I'm going to be very excited about this upcoming season in terms of just his pairing with a Trey Lance. I think his pairing with the Trey Lance is significantly worse than what you're actually going to have with a Jimmy Garoppolo. But for week 1, he's getting Jimmy Garoppolo. And as well, I mean, Brandon Ayuk is coming back from that hamstring injury. While Brandon Ayuk is 100% good to go for week 1, I mean, that was a player that missed some time during the very end of the preseason process. So maybe Deebo Samuel gets a little more utilization there. And also, they're going to be more so game managing, and that's going to call for a Deebo Samuel compared to a Brandon Ayuk running routes deeper downfield against the Detroit Lions. So I actually probably go Deebo Samuel. Jayan says, was drafting away from my phone. How's she doing? Okay, let's go through and let's check out Jayan's team so far. If y'all don't know, Jayan gets into every single one of these drafts with us. He is sitting here at the 110, so let's scroll up and look at what he took. Okay, so Jayan starts with a very typical Justin build. I mean, he goes Tyreek, Lockett, Claypool at receiver through the first 5 rounds, and he gets the elite tight end in Darren Waller. Now, Robinson in the 4th, I do like that value. Now, what we're surprised to see is Jayan takes some running backs in the 6th and 7th rounds, but these are pretty damn good values for a Javonte Williams and a Chase Edmonds. Very rarely are you seeing them actually fall that far. Kenny Golladay at the 803, Curtis Samuel at the 910, bringing in some more wide receivers. Jalen Hurts is pretty good value for Jalen Hurts. You don't need to be stacking Jalen Hurts, given the majority of his production is going to actually come on the ground rather than through the air. Cole Beasley, another receiver. So you have 3 running backs. Sure, I mean, I would maybe go with like a Devin Singletary here. No, Cole Beasley's fine because you get Naheem Hines in the following round. Winston at the 1403. Winston at the 1403. I don't necessarily understand the appeal into Jameis Winston in this range, to be honest. Now, of course, you can look back at the glory days in 2019 and go, oh my gosh, the passing volume is going to be crazy. But we don't necessarily know if they're going to allow that passing volume to happen again. We don't know if we're going to have Sean Payton just going, hey, Jameis Winston, go crazy. Go crazy. Go out there. Try to break those 2019 records. I'd be surprised if that actually happens. So Winston, I think there are going to be more intriguing quarterbacks literally in like the 16th, 17th rounds with more job security throughout the entire season. So I'm probably never going to be the guy drafting a Jameis Winston in the 14th, to be honest. So now let's pull, actually, let's not pull it up just yet. Let's not pull up our draft board just yet. Okay, so AJ Green. Okay, Jared Cook. I know a lot of people are probably not used to seeing their fantasy drafts go this deep. They're like, oh my God, Jared Cook's getting drafted. Oh my God, Randall Cobb, AJ Green. These guys are getting drafted. Yes, guys, we're going very deep in this draft. This is going to be an 18-round draft. And if we get in a $250 draft after this, it's going to be a 20-round draft. So let's see exactly how many people come into this live stream. Because like I said, we may be balling on a budget right now. So we're not going to be able to just get into those $250 drafts as freely as we were before. So we'll see, my dudes. Now let's pull this back up, see what we're going to be looking at. And this is kind of why we took receiver with back-to-back picks, because look at best available right now. It is hideous at the receiver position. I mean, you literally have to scroll down 20 picks past ADP to get to Josh Palmer, Christian Kirk as the best available receiver. So that's why we had to kind of take an MVS and a Jalen Reagor with our last 2 selections, because it's just really gross. I mean, even Sammy Watkins is going here. So now, oh yeah, Chuba Hubbard goes at the 1409. Caden is going to be on the clock. He only has 6 receivers as well. So, I mean, I guess he could go any direction. He has 2 quarterbacks, so he's not going to take a QB. He goes Josh Palmer. Okay, so he's grabbing another wide receiver. We have 7 on our roster. I don't think we need to grab 2 wide receivers here. I think instead we probably just take the value. Evan Ingram goes, which does suck. I think at this point, we're most likely just going to take a J.D. McKissick, saying, okay, well, we'll draft 5 running backs on this team, and then we'll just be able to get these usable weeks as they just sporadically go through. And then talking quarterback, I mean, we do have a Jarvis Landry to stack with a Baker Mayfield. According to ADP, he is the best guy. And there are none of these wide receivers down here make me really want to reach on him this much. So I guess you could try to talk me into going with an Austin Hooper instead of a quarterback, because we can still get a QB at the end of the 16th and we have Lamar Jackson. So that's actually going to be the play when we think about this more in depth. While yes, we're taking someone 16 picks behind Baker Mayfield in ADP, I actually think that Austin Hooper is going to be a better fit with this construction. Keep in mind, we did draft Mark Andrews here, but we don't have access to the waiver wire in this league. So you have to be drafting multiple of a single position. So let's take an Austin Hooper. Okay, so yeah, we have Austin Hooper. Let me show off this draft. This was a draft from the 101 with Christian McCaffrey. Okay, so here we are. Y'all can pause it, take a screenshot, whatever you want to do to see this draft. Where this is a real money fantasy football draft. We do these every single night. We have been live every single night drafting real money fantasy teams for 4 or 5 weeks now. Make sure you go down there, drop a like on the live stream if you have not already. Okay, now let's move this back down. Ty Johnson, Philip Lindsay. I'd imagine that we actually probably get some wide receivers that we like falling to us just because it's like, it seems impossible for these teams to keep drafting wide receiver. I mean, I would be shocked if wide receivers continue to go off. Nico Collins at the 15. Oh my gosh. How many running backs are these teams going to end up drafting? Byron Pringle at the 1506. Okay, so I guess at this point, we kind of do need a second quarterback falling to us. So I'm not going to be crying about these receivers going because, like, what's the real difference from a Nico Collins and someone 20 picks down in ADP? I think they're actually very similar, to be honest. And we have a donation coming out from Mighty Mouse. Thank you so much, my man. It says 12 team drafted at 8th. Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Allen Robinson, Cooper Kupp, TJ Hawkinson, and Trey Sermon. Okay, so 12 team you drafted at 8th. I mean, I guess you take Aaron Jones in the first. How the hell do you stack both Aaron Jones and Tyreek Hill on the same team? Y'all are playing in like the wildest leagues to allow this stuff to happen. That's a fantastic value. You may be a little shallow at running back 2 just to start the year, but I think by the time Trey Sermon is starting, I'll be very strong. Says he also has Justin Herbert, Melvin Gordon, Corey Davis, LaVisca Chenault, and then TP, don't know who that is, my man, Justin Fields. Okay, if you have that many quarterbacks, okay, first off, you need to cut Latavius Murray. Not sure if you heard, Latavius Murray did get cut from the New Orleans Saints. And yeah, you need to go through and also make a cut at QB. There's no reason for you to have, I mean, both Justin Herbert. I guess if you want to keep Justin Fields until he's announced the starter, then you can go through and you can look to sell him in a package. That's going to be fine. But you're not going to want to roster 2 quarterbacks throughout the entire season when you do have a Justin Herbert. And if we were talking about doing anything else, I guess we could look at the team previously. And if you could trade in Allen Robinson for Keenan Allen to make sure that you get the stack in there with both Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen, that would also be very intriguing. Now we have some of these quarterbacks going off the board. We have a Baker Mayfield, Ryan Tannehill, Carson Wentz. I'm sorry, Sam Darnold. I'm just all over the place right now, my dudes. I'm all over. Okay, and if anybody's in the live chat asking for rankings questions, I will say I'll be happy to answer like start-sit questions. Please do not ask me any rankings questions because I have made literally by far and away a deal that's helps out the channel so much and it helps out y'all. I mean, one of the main reasons I signed with Underdog Fantasy, I reached out to them and I was begging for them to bring us on as a partner this year, is because they agreed to sponsor our 2021 draft guide. They agreed to sponsor our 2021 rankings. So instead of me going out and charging people like $80 for hundreds of pages of draft guides and our Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide, our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, our rankings, our tiers, I mean, instead, all you have to do is sign up for Underdog Fantasy, which is where we're drafting every single day. By far and away, my favorite place to draft. They're going to be doing so many fun things during the season as well that we'll be doing on the live stream. All you have to do is sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK and make a $10 deposit. And you get my rankings, my draft guide, my tiers. So like asking a rankings question in the live chat, honestly, a little hurtful. It's a little hurtful. I'm like, my man, you won't take 5 minutes. You're getting paid $25 to go get in fantasy drafts by just using promo code FLOCK on the channel. And promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. And it really does support the channel. So please make sure y'all go out there and take advantage of that. And Jazzy Fresh says, thoughts on Tony Jones now that Latavius Murray's cut? Tony Jones is a must-add player. You have to go out there and get Tony Jones because he is someone that we're going to get to see on the field regardless. Like, we're going to see if he has any talent, any athleticism at all. You're not going to be starting him, of course, when Alvin Kamara is healthy. But, I mean, he's going to be getting touches even when Alvin Kamara is healthy. So you definitely want to go pick up Tony Jones. And we know if anything were to occur to Alvin Kamara, we have seen that team be willing to just hand over the reins to Latavius Murray and give him a 3-down workload before. Okay, now let's pull this up. And yeah, good thing we passed on Baker Mayfield in the last round because now we're going to get a quarterback that's pretty much in that same range. I think that last round we made 100% the correct decision just to grab a running back into J.D. McKissick, who fell 15 picks past his ADP, grabbing an Austin Hooper, who we kind of took at his ADP, but I really think that he made a lot of sense for our tight end 2 on this team. We got Anthony Ferguson going off. We're just grabbing one of these quarterbacks. If we're talking about what quarterback would be most intriguing here. We don't have any stacks, so we don't necessarily need to be making a correlation bet. Instead, we're just going to get the guy that we think will put up the most points. And I guess we could, okay, Dimey Brown goes. I was going to say maybe we could take Ryan Fitzmagic and get Dimey Brown and build in a stack ourselves this late on. Okay, Dwayne Eskridge goes. Okay, so at quarterback, we're most likely... Let me check the bye weeks real quick. Okay, so Lamar, yeah, he has a bye week that nobody else has. Ryan Fitzmagic is someone that I was never drafting because he used to go in the 13th round of these, which we thought was ridiculous. But now if we're getting him at the 16, 17 turn, might as well bring him on some teams. I have to mix up some exposures somehow when we're playing in this many leagues. Elsewhere at wide receiver, I know we're scrolling extremely far down to ADP. I don't really care. I think Hunter Renfrow is like the perfect guy to bring on. I'm bringing on Hunter Renfrow on a ton of leagues right now. So we're going to bring in Hunter Renfrow in the second to last round. So yeah, we're going to get another draft going after this one, my dudes. Do not worry about that whatsoever. See, we have some donations to get to. Okay, let me scroll this down. And of course, guys, y'all can pause it, take a screenshot, do whatever. Yeah, I mean, this is the draft where this is a real money fantasy football draft. And we will get another draft going right after this. Let me actually pull something up. Okay, so I was going to see if we were maybe going to do the $250 draft, but it looks like there's no chance that would fill. Instead, I'll get another $10 draft going, and I'll send that in the live chat. I know we have those donations. I promise I'm getting to those in 1 second. But before we do that, I definitely want to make sure that we send out this link. And honestly, y'all don't even need to see me make this last round selection. I think that 99% of y'all are not playing in a league where you're going to go 18 rounds and have guys like Pat Frymuth, Dwayne Eskridge, Hunter Renfrow, Dimey Brown, Deshaun Jackson, Kadarius Toney getting drafted. So, I mean, anybody who's playing on Underdog with us and really wants to look at these last few rounds, we have done a million drafts showing these last few rounds, but I want to get in as many drafts with y'all as humanly possible. So I'm actually going to pull off this one, get a new link sent out there to y'all in the live chat. I'm just going to be labeling this $10 draft. You're going to see a link right after it. Just go through and click that link. Let me send this out, my dudes. This is going to be a fun stream. I'm trying to get as many drafts going with y'all as possible. So make sure you sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. We got that link out, I believe. Yeah, let me see that. And if y'all don't know, guys, these drafts, they fill in like 20 seconds. I mean, probably 0.2 seconds. So if you don't click that right away, you are not going to be able to get in this league. Like, it's already full, and we just sent that link out. So make sure you sign up for Underdog Fantasy before we send the link out, or you have no shot. Here we're going to be drafting at the 109, so we will have a little bit of a different draft than what we actually just saw. So let's pull this up. Let's see who got in this draft with us. We have Caden yet again. We have MVS. I'm assuming this is Marquez Valdez-Scantling himself. I probably figured he should be preparing for week one rather than actually hopping in a fantasy football draft. We have Allender. This is a new name. We have Mock Nerd. This is a new name. We have Dalton. This is a new name. D Friesen. This is a new name. Ivish. This is a new name. DSR, a regular to the channel. We have Nitty Gritty, a new name. Lankdog, a regular to the channel. JK Ooper, a regular to the channel. We have a lot of new names out in this draft. Hopefully we get some more of y'all out here that are new. I mean, this is going to be fun. This is what I'm trying to do. Get some new members out here. And let's look at this. Okay, so Mindtrick says, how's a 12-person team? Second pick, Herbert, Cook, Henderson, Ridley, Jefferson, Jonnu, Higgins. I'll say in the second pick, I would have really liked to see if you could have pulled off either Darren Waller or George Kittle. But overall, I do like how you wait and get that second running back a little later on. And instead, at the 2-3 turn, you're at least getting the elite receivers with the Calvin Ridley and the Justin Jefferson. So I do really like that team. Now, Nick Kane says, would you trade Joe Mixon for Julio Jones? No, you want Joe Mixon over Julio Jones. Dakota, my man, I'm happy to see you out in the live stream. Dakota, I feel like we have not seen you in a live stream in a very long time now. And what is going on with my monitor? Why do we have that little white strip at the bottom? Okay, there we go. That should be fixed. Dakota says, Swift just called me and is very upset that you snubbed him in your week one rankings. Swift is not going to be a top 24 running back for me this week. I know that's crazy to say. I actually really like DeAndre Swift for the entire season, but if you look at the Lions, according to Vegas, they are massive dogs against the 49ers. And at the same time, he's not necessarily 100% back from that injury. I know he's already cleared for week one, but still, I don't want to be putting him in the top 24 until we actually see what he's going to be doing. There are all those options in the top 24. I probably would rather start than a DeAndre Swift. Now that he is officially cleared, he is a little more intriguing, but still, I don't necessarily think that we wanted to just include him automatically there. Now we're about to be back up on the clock. We have Travis Kelce going. So let's look at it. And I'm probably just going to be making a pick that's... Actually, there's a chance that he falls. instead of reaching on our guy, we're going to kind of roll the dice and see if he falls. And instead, we're going to go best player available according to ADP and just take an Aaron Jones here at the 109. But yeah, I mean, there's someone that I know a lot of people in the live stream are looking at us and going, Mason, are you sure you didn't draft your guy? Yeah, we'll get him in 1 second. Hopefully, we'll get him in a second. Okay, so now we just finished that out. Let's pull up the live chat again. And Broman says, any concerns starting Swift versus the 49ers? Have Sermon in case there are, but might be overthinking it. Any thoughts? Yes, there are a ton of concerns starting DeAndre Swift against the 49ers. But my man, if you have Trey Sermon, you can't start Trey Sermon over him. I know that Trey Sermon actually has the much better matchup, considering he's going up against that very poor Lions defense, and that game's supposed to be a blowout. But at the same time, I mean, Trey Sermon's not someone that you're looking at and saying, okay, he's going to have a role right away. I think Raheem Mostert's actually a must-start running back this week, even though I don't like him for the season. The matchup and also his role at the beginning of the season, that's going to really scream, start Raheem Mostert. Now, Saquon Barkley does not fall to us. A big reason why I passed on Aaron Jones here is because I know a lot of y'all that are playing in leagues, you're actually going to have the ability to draft Saquon Barkley in the beginning of the second round. I actually have Saquon Barkley ranked way over this. I have Saquon Barkley as a mid-round 1 pick in a full PPR format, understanding the usage that we have seen him have in the New York Giants passing game before and how he is one of the very few running backs alongside Alvin Kamara that can actually average just a ridiculous 7 targets a game. Now, nitty-gritty is on the clock. They go Justin Jefferson. We're going to have a very easy selection. I'm taking Jonathan Taylor in the second round. Literally every chance I get, Jonathan Taylor is going to be one of those players that I'm way overexposed to. I mean, I can't even tell you how many leagues I actually have Jonathan Taylor in because it's probably an embarrassing amount. But I have Jonathan Taylor ranked as a late round 1 pick. Now that it does sound like Carson Wentz is playing week 1, it does sound like we have some great positive news on Quentin Nelson in that injury. I think that people have failed to react. I would actually have like Jonathan Taylor right up here before Austin Eckler, before Najee Harris. I have Saquon Barkley up here, but we thought there was a small chance we made up Barkley in the second. Okay, so now Nick comes out, says, I also have CMC, Najee Harris, and Damian Harris. Okay, the Harris brothers. Yeah, so I'll say you still can't trade Mixon for Julio. I mean, go through, try to create another trade. Also, it's week 1, guys. I know that your roster may not be looking the prettiest, but no, it's all about value right now. And then by the time we get to about week 3 or week 4 and you go, okay, I have a serious hole there, that's when you can go through and make those trades and change some things up. Okay, so now after this, Nick Chubb, Antonio Gibson, I mean, earlier in the offseason, he would never fall this far. I mean, you would always have Antonio Gibson going at like the beginning of the second round. It is surprising to see him fall this far now. And everybody is saying Chris Godwin is questionable for the game. Guys, I recorded a video last night talking about my wide receiver rankings. And I have Chris Godwin as the wide receiver 6 this week. I mean, I am so loaded up on Chris Godwin. So this is going to be. Okay, if he's just added to the injury report, I'm not too worried about it. I'm not too worried about Chris Godwin. Of course, that's something we have to look more into on Thursday, but I'm not going to be freaking out about that just now, right now. Okay, so Mixon does make it all the way to the 212 to Caden. Okay, so if y'all don't know San Diego's finest, he comes out to almost every single one of these live drafts with us. Yeah, he takes a Joe Mixon at the 212. CeeDee Lamb goes at the 302. Oh my gosh, we have Allen D coming out and taking Davante Adams over Alvin Kamara. I will admit, this is a decision that I was actually making back when there was questions surrounding who was actually going to start for New Orleans between Jameis and Taysom Hill. If Taysom Hill was the starting quarterback and we had Latavius Murray on the roster, then I actually think that Davante Adams is going to be the play. But now that you have Latavius Murray getting cut, and at the same time, I mean, you do indeed have Jameis Winston as the starting quarterback for the Saints, it's Alvin Kamara at the 103 every single time. Like, you have to be going Alvin Kamara there. You have to be taking Alvin Kamara. And then also David Montgomery at the 303. Like, this is the problem. I mean, if you were to ask me, Mason, who do you prefer? Who do you prefer having between the combination Alvin Kamara and Allen Robinson, or Davante Adams and David Montgomery? I mean, it's clearly, in my opinion, Alvin Kamara and Allen Robinson. I mean, please let me know if you think I'm wrong in that. Like, the only scenario I'm taking like a Davante Adams here is if I want to create a crazy team and try to change up the wide receiver value throughout the entire draft and go receiver, 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 receiver. But if all of a sudden you're just going to turn around and fold and take David Montgomery in the third, really, I don't necessarily see this pick accomplishing much. Like I said, I was making that pick earlier in the offseason. I'm 100% willing to admit that. There were probably hours and hours and hours of me out there just talking about why I thought that Davante Adams was very intriguing, considering that we did have to be having that small concern around just, sadly, the role of Taysom Hill in that New Orleans Saints offense. But now we're going to make an easy selection, someone that we have had ranked as a third-round pick all offseason, and now everybody has him as a third-round pick. I mean, everybody's had him as a third-round pick for a couple of weeks now. But, I mean, he went from being our guy to where we've just been kind of average on him because everybody got a lot higher under Robert Woods at the 309. So DSR does come out here, starts 3 receivers in a row. I mean, with Hill, Hopkins, and Amari Cooper. So after take Robert Woods, I'll say also, guys, this is a league where you have to start 3 wide receivers. So I can guarantee you at this 3-4 turn, every single draft you see me, I'm going to be taking double receiver. I'm going to go Woods, and I'm going to go another receiver in the 4th. Okay. Ben says, how do I get in one of your drafts if I'm already on Underdog? Thanks. Okay, guys. So the first thing to do, if you're wanting to get into one of these drafts with us, we're streaming all the time. We're going to be doing stuff during the season as well. I mean, is take advantage of the special offer that we have with Underdog Fantasy. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. You can find a link in the description. You can find the link in the live chat. When you make a $10 deposit with promo code FLOCK, you get $25 added to your account. You get our 2021 Dynasty Fantasy Football Rookie Draft Guide. You get our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. That's hundreds and hundreds of pages of information, literally like an $80, $90 value that you're getting for $10, and you're getting paid $25 into your account. You're getting our rankings and our tiers, and you're helping the channel. And then you can come through, get in these drafts with us. I'm going to be sending out the links to the private drafts in the live chat whenever the drafts that we're doing on the stream are over. So we're only going to get into one draft at a time. So just wait until we're done with this draft. And we have a couple shout outs. Party Till She's Hot joining as a flocker. And yeah, guys, we're very soon going to be getting out our first video over there on I don't even know what you would call it, on the Flocker page as well as on Patreon. So y'all know that you're getting actually more things on Patreon when you sign up for Patreon for a less price. I'm assuming Party Till She's Hot already knows that because he's in the live stream all the time. Just making sure we're giving this disclaimer before anybody else decides to become a flocker. I mean, definitely if you're already on Patreon, you do not need to sign up to be a flocker. I'm going to be making those same videos weekly on Patreon and on YouTube for the flocker membership. But thank you so much, my man. Grind for Gold coming out with the donation says, is Christian McCaffrey and Travis Kelce worth 52% of your auction budget in a Superflex season long? No, in Superflex, you have to drastically be changing the budget that you're allocating in an auction, understanding that in a 1-quarterback league, yes, all of a sudden you can be paying 25% of your budget on those 2 players. But the problem is in a Superflex, all of a sudden you're going to just have to allocate so many more dollars to what you're having at quarterback. And every one of your other league mates are going to have to do the same thing. That if all of a sudden you're the guy paying up for the stud and Christian McCaffrey, which I love doing with the 1-quarterback build because we can get someone like a Justin Fields for $1. We can get Trey Lance for $1 at the very end. Well, you're going to be in a spot where you are just dead. So no, please, in a Superflex league, you cannot spend that much money on those 2 players. Now, after we take Chris Godwin, I know a lot of people are probably surprised to see us go with Godwin, but we honestly kind of had to at this point. I do still prefer Godwin over Mike Evans, even if people are saying that he's questionable for week 1. I don't care. Chris Godwin's the guy who had more volume last year. We know Chase volume, fade, touchdown efficiency. We've talked about this over and over and over again. And we have Allen Dick coming out with DeAndre Swift at the 410. Now that DeAndre Swift has been cleared to play in week 1, I think that's probably going to be a very good selection. And DSR, let's continue to track this team here, guys. They've gone receiver, 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 receiver through the first 4 rounds of this draft. It's going to be really intriguing to see how they build out that team. I'll say I don't even hate it. I know a lot of people in the live stream right now won't necessarily understand it, and they won't stick around to see how it turns out. But, I mean, just going to be interesting. Going to be interesting. And also, if y'all have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you go down there, subscribe to the channel. We live stream every single day, put out videos every single day at the same time. I mean, this is going to be a very fun season. I mean, it's sad that these live streams are not going to be able to be the full 18-round drafts for that much longer because I've enjoyed doing this. I mean, we've live streamed every single night for the past 4 or 5 weeks now with these real money fantasy drafts. It's going to be sad when we have to change it up, but we're going to get some really fun live streams going again. I promise you guys. We're going to be live streaming almost every day. Now, at this point, when we're going to be drafting in the 5th and the 6th, There are a couple different routes that we can go. I mean, we have said this time and time again, but when you're drafting in the 5th round in one of these leagues that people really know what they're doing, we call it no man's land because there's really no such thing as a poor decision. There's no such thing as a player that you're having to take. I mean, if you're passing on someone in the 4th round, like you're passing on a Godwin and Evans, Julio Jones, T. Higgins. I mean, if you're passing on Brandon Ayuk, DeAndre Swift, there's a large opportunity cost associated with that pick. However, like the best wide receiver available right now, according to ADP, I don't have it pulled up, but just based on how many drafts I've done, I know it's actually going to be Chase Claypool. And I mean, just based on Chase Claypool not being someone that you feel like he's a must-have guy, if you're taking an elite level quarterback here, you're not necessarily missing out on that much. Let's see if DSR does indeed end up with a Josh Jacobs with this selection. I mean, they could still go Miles Sanders, actually. Okay, so DSR, I think, played this perfectly, going with those wide receivers early and still getting a 3-down running back a little later on. Ivish goes Chase Claypool at DSR. I'm assuming they go Miles Sanders. It would be ridiculous to see him go Odell. So, yeah, they go with Miles Sanders. We're going to be taking the quarterback that we took in literally the last draft. But like I said, he's my quarterback 2 this season, so I'm going to be taking him nearly everywhere I can. Let's take Lamar Jackson, given the fact that, yes, he may not necessarily be the second best quarterback in the NFL, but, I mean, fantasy football is a fantasy. It's us trying to go through and just score some of these fake points. So, yeah, we're going to be taking the guy that's going to just essentially be a running back and a quarterback combined. Okay, so now let's go through. Felipe says, talk about Le'Veon Bell, guys. There's not much to talk about with Le'Veon Bell. I mean, we didn't like Gus Edwards before because we knew that the Baltimore Ravens situation, we already highlighted it. I mean, they were going to be going through and splitting that backfield 60-40. We have seen that over the past 2 seasons. That was going to happen again this year no matter what. So instead of it being Tyson Williams, it's all of a sudden going to be Le'Veon Bell. Pick him up in fantasy. He's about the same as Tyson Williams was previously. He has slightly more intriguing just passing game ability, so that's what makes him a better pickup, but it's not like all of a sudden you're picking up Le'Veon Bell and you're getting a league winner. I mean, Le'Veon Bell was not a league winner for you on the Kansas City Chiefs last year. There's no reason in hell to expect him to be that on the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, so now let's pick this up. And yeah, I guess I know Le'Veon Bell's a big name, but he's just a replacement level running back at this point. He's literally just an average guy. He's a jag. He's a jag. Okay, so now we have Russell Wilson at the 601. We love seeing those elite quarterbacks go off the board once we have Lamar Jackson. Once we have Lamar Jackson, no problem at all to see those guys going. Lank Dog on the clock after taking 4 receivers, and he goes a Myles Gaskin. Really surprised to see him go Myles Gaskin over a Josh Jacobs. Jacobs, I will say, this is a running back that I expect to probably have a pretty bad week 1. I'm actually not going to be starting him in that many leagues. Galen coming out with a donation. Thank you. Says, Yo Mason, start Robbie Anderson, Gus the Bus, or Cortland Sutton. There, I actually think Robbie Anderson is very intriguing. I'm going to take TJ Hawkinson here real quick. So this is going to be a very balanced team. We definitely need to be looking at some receivers sometime soon. But I think that Robbie Anderson's going to be intriguing. We actually just made a video talking about him being a must-start wide receiver. I don't necessarily want to say that it's because it's the revenge game. It's the revenge game for both him and Sam Darnold. I know a lot of people are going to be talking about that all week, but we're looking at it saying, okay, well, Curtis Samuel's gone. All of a sudden, you're going to say, I mean, if Curtis Samuel's gone, there are going to be more targets to be available in this offense. You're not going to be expecting Terrace Marshall to step in that role day one. So, yeah, I actually do want to go with a Robbie Anderson. Gus the Bus, I mean, it's a decent, maybe we want to go with Gus the Bus. It's a decent situation. I just do prefer Robbie Anderson. How about this? In a full point PPR format, go Robbie Anderson. In a half point PPR format, go with Gus the Bus. No world ever are you taking Cortland Sutton in that scenario. Okay. Dakota coming out says, Lank Dog really going with Myles Gaskin. I know. I was surprised to see Gaskin there as well. I mean, at the 602, Lank Dog, a regular to this channel. I mean, coming out and going against the grain, takes a Myles Gaskin at the 602. Okay, so Antonio Brown, Cortland Sutton at the 607 and the 608. And guys, what do y'all think? Do you think, how many of y'all realistically, like I know obviously not everybody's just as lucky as I am in that this is my full-time job. I know y'all have real jobs that you have to do. But if I were to live stream pretty much from noon to kickoff on Thursday, how many of y'all would be at least around in the live stream? Like, obviously, I'm not expecting you to be there the entire live stream with me, but if I go through and I do like a marathon of drafts before kickoff on Thursday. How many of y'all would at least come out to the live stream or be interested in seeing that? Because this is something I don't want to fully tell y'all I'm 100% doing it automatically no matter what. I definitely want to get like a gauge on how many people are interested in it, but it would be definitely a possibility if that's something y'all want to see. Okay, Kenny Golladay at the 703, Kareem Hunt at the 702. Okay, so at this point, we're wanting wide receivers to fall to us. And honestly, in this range, I'm going to be expecting the receivers to fall. I mean, there are not that many more running backs that would even be intriguing around here. Okay, Logan Thomas going at the 704. That definitely helps us after we take a TJ Hawkinson. After we take Hawkinson, I'm probably not taking another tight end in quite a while. Okay, so it looks like a lot of people saying that they would hop in drafts with us on Thursday. Okay, so on Thursday, we'll do a very long live stream during the day, and we'll possibly get another one going that night. Well, I don't want to give any exact details because, of course, I have a lot of videos I need to make. I have podcasts on Patreon I need to make. We just have a ton of stuff behind the scenes. But I'll draft as long as I can. As long as I can, guys. I'll only do one video that day so we can make sure we get some extra going. And my gosh, are we going to have to take a running back here? Damian Harris goes. Trey Sermon and Raheem Mostert now going back-to-back in these drafts. That is certifiably crazy. Michael Pittman going. The problem is I can't take Marquez Callaway. I can't take Mike Williams over Trey Sermon. I mean, we don't need a running back. We shouldn't take a running back. Mathematically speaking, we should take a receiver. But my lizard brain isn't allowing me to. We're going to go Trey Sermon. And for anybody telling me to go with Raheem Mostert over him, leave. I don't want you here. Okay, so now we have Nash Talks Texas out here. It's gonna be hard. We're just gonna say Nash. Nash is out here. Says change is official, and I'd be there all day. Okay, my man. We'll get that going. My man. Raul says week 1 and rest of the season, Gus or Jacobs half PPR. Week 1, I'm going to go with a Gus Edwards. Rest of season, I'm going to go with a Josh Jacobs. Albert says Tony Jones, James White, or Zach Moss in a 10-team league. There, I'm going to go with Zach Moss as the lead running back on one of the best offenses in football. I don't necessarily think Zach Moss is that talented. I don't necessarily think that it's a great team to be the lead running back for because Josh Allen will vulture those touchdowns at the goal line. Josh Allen won't check the ball down that often, but still, I mean, just from looking at it from a macro standpoint, it'd be very hard for me to try to convince anybody to take any one of those running backs over a Zach Moss. Zach Moss is 100% going to be my guy. And Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, I was not drafting either one of those running backs last year. Last year, I thought they were both being severely overvalued. At this point, though, I think they are intriguing. Okay, so we can't take a Justin Herbert here when we already have Lamar Jackson, despite Herbert looking like decent value. And Marquez Callaway, honestly, I don't care if Marquez Callaway is supposed to be the value. I can't take Marquez Callaway here. I don't care if he's best available according to ADP. I understand that he made some flashy plays in the preseason. I understand that Michael Thomas, of course, is gone for a very long time. But no, we're going to have to go with Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup, I know he's the wide receiver 3 on his offense, but it's going to be an offense that runs a ton of 3 wide receiver sets, and it's going to have one of the highest passing volumes in the entire league, and has a very condensed target tree where you actually don't have that many of their wide receiver 4 or wide receiver 5s getting that many routes run. So it's pretty much just the top 3 guys. They're seeing a ridiculous amount of volume. Obviously, they don't have a tight end of consequence. So I am going to be fine taking Michael Gallup. Now, y'all know how much I love Amari Cooper, but if we remember back to 2019, Michael Gallup's sophomore season in the NFL, he actually out-targeted on a per-game basis Amari Cooper, and he had more receiving yards per game than Amari Cooper in that same offense. James coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. Says, should I trade Zach Wilson for Michael Carter and or Jamal Williams for Michael Pittman? Okay, so I would, why do you even have Zach Wilson rostered in the league? If your league's like a 12-team shallow PPR format, I would assume that you have 14 quarterbacks on the waiver wire. I don't even care to roster Zach Wilson there. So yeah, trade him for Michael Carter, and definitely trade. If you make that trade, then go through and trade Jamal Williams for Michael Pittman. I would 100% do that. Unless you're talking Dynasty. If you're talking Dynasty, then we have to change some things. So after we go Gallup, you got Waddle, Mike Williams, Marquez Callaway. Callaway does fall to the 807. I'm honestly surprised to see that people are consistently taking Callaway in the middle of this round. I would just assume that Callaway's an option that we want falling at least about round 10 before I'm considering them. Like if I pull up my exposures real quick, y'all know I've done almost 250 real money drafts. If I try to find how many drafts I've actually drafted Marquez Callaway in, y'all are going to be laughing at me. It's so few. Okay, so Callaway, let's look this up. Marquez Callaway. Oh, I've drafted him in more. I guess. Okay, you know what it probably was is I actually know exactly what it was. We were drafting him before the preseason, not at the very beginning because obviously I'm not a genius. We're an idiot, but we did have that positive training camp blurb. I have him in 5.7% of leagues. That's more than I expected, but that was mainly during the time period where we just had the positive training camp blurbs and he didn't necessarily do anything productive in the preseason. So back then he was going in like the 14th round. Okay, so I'm actually kind of excited to see that, to be honest. Okay, so now let's pull this back up. Harry says Murray being released is maybe making Tony Jones owners happy. Oh, yeah. Tony Jones owners are jumping up and down. You got to go pick up Tony Jones from the waiver wire right now. I mean, I wish I could go through and edit our waiver wire running back video to take Tyson Williams out of there and put Tony Jones in. Caden goes with another receiver in Brandon Cooks. Let me go through and show off the entire draft board for anybody just now coming into the live stream. And if you are just now coming into the live stream, make sure you drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing so many live streams throughout the entire season. I'm going to try to get one going every single day. Last year, we live streamed every single day, but 2 days. I literally just had a sorority event that I couldn't get out of going to. I had to go to some date thing. And also, I believe it was like some Halloween thing that I couldn't get out of either. Those were like the 2 nights that I did not live stream. So you better believe we're live streaming damn near every single night this upcoming season. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you know when we go live. You can come out, hang out with us in a live stream. Jacoby Myers does go at the 904. Okay, so we're kind of hoping some receivers fall to us because when we've taken 3 running backs at this point and 2 of them were Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor, I'm not going to be trying to grab that many more running backs in this team. Instead, I think that we kind of need to start bringing in some more wide receiver depth here. So Gallup at the 804, I actually think that this is going to be a perfect spot for us. Now let's see what else we can look to grab. Okay, so Ronald Jones goes at the 905. Melvin Gordon at the 906. Okay, that's perfect for us. We don't want those running backs anyway. We do not want those running backs. I mean, we only have 3 wide receivers, and you have to start 3 wide receivers in this format, and they get soaked up so quickly that, I mean, we're playing with fire right now, only having 3 wide receivers. It's embarrassing that we only have 3. Please, DSR, take Robert Tonyan, take Jalen Hurts, take Sony Michel. They go Jalen Hurts. Okay, perfect. We get Curtis Samuel here. I'm not that intrigued with these rookies considering, I mean, we don't have the fantasy football playoffs. It's just who can score the most points throughout the entire season. So I do think Curtis Samuel is a lot more intriguing considering that aspect of this league. So let's go through. We drafted at the 109 for anybody wondering. Yes, this is back-to-back drafts where we have taken Lamar Jackson and then got that tight end in the middle rounds. I think that's really going to be something we're trying to accomplish very often. Okay, so let me, and also my dog is right next to us. I know the easiest way for me to get likes in the live stream is holding up the dog. So we'll hold up my dog real quick. Y'all can see that we actually have on Underdog our avatar looking exactly like her. So I'll hold her up for anybody to see and drop a like on the live stream for the dog if you're not going to drop it for me. Come here, baby. Yeah, you're a good girl, right? Good girl. Okay, so if you're not going to drop a like on the live stream for me, I understand. I'm an idiot. I'm ugly, but the dog may not be. So drop a like on live stream for the dog. Derek says, no notification, FML. Yeah, guys, when we're uploading this many videos a day, you're not going to get that many notifications for these live streams. It kind of sucks. Like, you can hit the bell next to the subscribe button. It's not going to guarantee that you get a notification. I'm sorry about that. Trust me. Obviously, if I could do anything about it, I'd be trying to get a notification out there every single time. But sadly, I have no control. Okay, let me go through and pull this back up. And at what point would we just consider taking another tight end here? Okay, because if we're talking receiver, the problem is we're so thin at receiver. I think we kind of have to go with one. And I know Rondale Moore, Elijah Moore are going to be intriguing. I actually probably would prefer Elijah Moore in a league that had the fantasy football playoffs, but since we don't have the playoffs and it's just cumulative scoring, instead I actually think we're going to go with Hollywood Brown. I think Hollywood gives us more from week 1 to week 17, where Elijah Moore gives us more from about week 10 to week 17. So let's go Hollywood Brown here at the 10.04. Obviously, we are getting that stack in with a Lamar Jackson, so that's an added bonus. And it's going to be the team for anybody just now coming into the stream. Let's move this down. Robert Tonyan does go at the 10.05. Y'all know I'm not a massive fan of Robert Tonyan. Like, if it was another tight end that we kind of like in that range, if it was a Mike Gesicki, if it was a Logan Thomas, a Tyler Higbee, then yeah, we would have been taking a tight end here. But Robert Tonyan is not going to get it done for me. Hayden says, do y'all like Rashad Bateman? Rashad Bateman, very talented. The problem is, I mean, the injury is just going to be detrimental for his rookie season. You can pick him up now, stash him on your IR if your league allows for that. But if you have to just use him as a roster clogger, then that's not something we're going to be interested in. Elijah Moore does go at the 10.06. I'm a lot more excited about this team when we get Curtis Samuel and Hollywood Brown at the 9-10 turn. I was honestly a little surprised about that. Okay, let me just pull this up. Come on. So let's get these running backs going. Let's get these running backs off the draft board. It's kind of demoralizing. I will say, going back to as I was literally walking downtown just a couple hours ago, and I was so surprised. Like, Tampa literally had like these massive like posters everywhere of like Tom Brady and like the Thursday night game. Like, it had posters of Dak and stuff. Like, that's about some giant watch party downtown. So it just made me excited for the season. I mean, y'all know already how excited I am, but I cannot wait for the season to get here. It's just going to be. Everybody that's been watching the channel all offseason knows exactly how much I'm looking forward to this. We've made a video every single day this offseason talking football. We've made a video every single day talking fantasy football. So you better believe that I'm ready for it. And we've live streamed every night. I just want some real life action. We've been trying to predict what's going to happen based off of little small tidbits. Now we're going to get a full onslaught of games, not the preseason, full starter on starter action. I could not be more excited. Party Touch Thought says, Mason, you have been punting a few more $250 drafts as of late. Scissors, had you been? That one draft where Scissors was in here, yeah, that was a $250 draft that kind of went off the rails because I was having to go. It was just too hectic. I'm not even going to apologize for that one. That one's on me. My $250. I'll say, I think that there have been I would love to get in another $250 draft, even though sounds like Underdog may not be adding more money to our account for us to get those in. It doesn't matter. We may be going through and just having to eat rice and beans for us to get some more $250 drafts in, because based on the drafts that we were in previously, it really did look like there were some people that had no idea what they were doing. It looked like there were some people that were really, really out there punting. Okay, so Michael Carter at the 11.05. Let's pull this back up. Rondale Moore is still falling. Okay, so I mean, I'm telling you right now, if Rondale Moore falls to us, we're taking him here. Also, we may consider taking one of these running backs here. Rondale Moore does go. The problem is, like, we can't take Emmanuel Sanders. We can't take Cole Beasley over these running backs. I can't do it. I know that we shouldn't be taking a running back when we have this roster of guys. Trust me, you don't even have to try to convince me that. I already know we shouldn't. See where Ivish goes. He has 3 running backs, 5 receivers. He goes Jonnu Smith in DSR. Okay, he goes Zach Moss. Okay, so we can get Henry Ruggs. I kind of assumed that one of these teams were going to take Ruggs. So yeah, we're going to get Henry Ruggs. Keep in mind, this is a league where you don't submit your starting lineup. It gets submitted at the end of the week for you based on the highest scores of your team that week. So Henry Ruggs is great in that we don't have to try to predict when he's going to have the random week where he catches 3 balls for 82 yards and a touchdown. Once that happens, it automatically slides into our starting lineup. So those boom-bust wide receivers are pretty valuable in this league, just so we can kind of capture that volatility and we don't have to really worry about it. Okay, so now we have Kenyon Drake at the 11.11. Okay, so Derek, I got your message, my man. I'm gonna keep that under wraps. I'm gonna keep that under wraps for now because we got 5 rounds left in this draft. We'll go over there in 1 second. Okay, Ramondre Stevenson at the 12.01. Let's see where Tony Jones goes in this draft. Last draft, I think he went in the 13th round. Let's see where he goes in this one. Let's pull this back up. And if we were talking about going, I guess we can decide to take a running back here. We could go running back if we want. Is that receiver? We have Woods, Godwin, Gallup, Samuel, Brown, Ruggs. So we have 6 guys at receiver. Beasley's not doing much for us here. Burrow, when we take Lamar, we can't be considering the quarterbacks in this range. So let's just take a Tony Pollard. I mean, Tony Pollard, obviously, this is an option with an elite level ceiling if anything happens to Zeke. If not, it's just kind of a spot that we're maybe burning on the roster. But even if Zeke is only out 3 weeks, then all of a sudden we get Pollard for those 3 weeks, and we could be seeing a significant change in our win rate. Let's move this down here. Okay, Fournette goes at the 12:05. And we get Matt coming out with the donation, says Miles Sanders or Josh Jacobs. Thank you, my man. And for this week in particular, with Miles Sanders going up against the Atlanta Falcons and with Josh Jacobs going up against the Baltimore Ravens, I really don't like the matchup for Josh Jacobs, as obviously you're going to have the Ravens as the favorite there. I actually think that we want to be playing Jacobs on matchups where we are going to be having him and the Raiders as the heavy favorite, because he's going to be the first and second down running back, the guy in the red zone, the guy grinding down the clock. So we're going to go with Miles Sanders over Josh Jacobs for week 1. And then Jacob says Saquon, Montgomery, Jacobs, DK Brady, Cooks, and Pitts. Okay, so it's so hard for me to say anything about this, guys. I mean, like, I don't know the format. I don't know the bench. So I'm saying, like, if y'all want like an in-depth team breakdown, I do that on Patreon. I got like 20 podcasts today on Patreon breaking down teams in depth. And all those podcasts are like 6-minute long podcasts where I just go into depth with your team, with your league settings. It's hard for me to do something on live stream when I hear your 5 starters in your lineup. I'll say, I mean, with the team, I like it. That's about it. That's all about I can say, to be honest. I mean, I love Saquon Barkley. I love Barkley. I think that he is great value this year. I wish I could say more, my man, but I just have no context behind it. Tony Jones goes to the 12:09. At this point, we want these running backs going. Let me know, who do y'all prefer, Tony Jones or Tony Pollard? The battle of the Tonys. Let me know if you think I made a mistake with that draft pick. Tyrell Williams at the 12:10. Jalen Reagor at the 12:11. Burrow makes it all the way to the 2:12. So let's go through and let's kind of recap where some of these other quarterbacks went. That Burrow value is ridiculous. He was the best player available, in my opinion, over here at the 12:04, but we had Lamar Jackson, so we couldn't draft him. Like other quarterbacks that win this range, there's no planet that Justin Fields should be going 20 picks before Joe Burrow. Like, this is just a massive mistake here. Also, you have Joe Burrow going, I mean, this Jameis Winston selection was a reach. This is nowhere close to ADP, but you have him going almost 30 picks behind Winston. You have him going 33 picks behind Lawrence. This Joe Burrow value, I mean, people have gone overboard with the Joe Burrow hate. I mean, if we're checking out Caden's team so far, he goes CMC Mixon, and then from there he is just grabbing receiver, all the way down the line. Brown, Deontay, Thielen, Boyd, Corey Davis, Brandon Cooks, Jarvis Landry. And then down here he gets Noah Fant, Dallas Goedert at tight end, Joe Burrow at quarterback, and he gets his third running back into James White. Definitely agree with that James White value. I think James White fits that team extremely well. So now Dalton on the clock. Let's see what they're going to do. MVS. So we're in a spot where we probably need to be going with the receiver. I mean, we already have 4 running backs in Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Trey Sermon, and Tony Pollard. So especially considering that we have the elite options at the very top, don't be surprised if we grab a receiver here, even though we already have 6 of them. I mean, wide receiver is going to be a lot harder to come by. If we would be talking about stacking with any of these quarterbacks that are, according to ADP, best player available, I mean, right here, we'd be looking at Tua Tagovailoa. We don't have any stacks with Tua, I believe. Yeah, we don't have any stacks with Matt Ryan either. So honestly, I'm probably passing on the quarterbacks in this range unless we get a guy that we really like making it back to us in the 14th round. Okay, so what is the bye week for? Okay, just checking out a bye week. Jacob says, what do you think Pitts? What do you think about Pitts and Montgomery? Kyle Pitts, honestly, I think that he is drastically overrated in drafts right now. I think that we would definitely prefer Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson to Kyle Pitts, and Kyle Pitts goes ahead of him in 99% of them. So to be completely honest, I do not like Kyle Pitts according to his ADP. Yes, he is the best tight end of all time, but if you look historically, tight ends as rookies don't really do anything whatsoever. It's the hardest position to develop at. I understand the argument that Kyle Pitts is going to be running a lot of his routes at receiver, and you actually had Evan Ingram succeeding his rookie year, doing a very similar thing in 2017 in New York. However, I just think historically it's going to be a very bad bet taking Kyle Pitts where he's going in these drafts. I think that we easily prefer getting TJ Hawkinson and Mark Andrews after Kyle Pitts, to be honest. Derek saying get a 250. We'll try to get a $250 draft going after this one, my dudes. We'll try to get a $250 draft going after this one. Now we have Hunter Henry at the 1401. Let's pull this back up. Now, at this point, do we have to go running back? I know we already have 4 of them, and it sucks, but the problem is I can't reach on a Rashad Bateman here. We don't have the playoffs. It's cumulative scoring. I'm not taking a quarterback when we have a Lamar Jackson. Evan Ingram's not doing that much for me compared to the tight ends that we would get later on. So we're probably going to go with the running back. Nitty gritty on the clock. I'm assuming they probably need a wide receiver. They only have 5 receiving options. They have 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends so far. You go Byron Pringle. Okay, they go Pringle over Rashad Bateman. So yeah, here between Alexander Madison and J.D. McKissic, since we have a Trey Sermon, and these are weeks that we may need to cover at the beginning of the season, given the fact that he's not going to have that role until closer to the end of the year. Instead, I actually think that we go with the J.D. McKissic as just someone that we know is going to have a role in his offense. So let's go J.D. McKissic at the 1404 as our 5th running back. Now, we are no longer going to be drafting running backs with this build. From here on out, we are exclusively going with the receiver position. Here is where we are at the 109. And this is a real money draft. And guys, after this, we'll try to get a $250 draft going. If not, we'll get a $10 draft going through the live chat. We'll get a lot of drafts going tonight, guys. I started this live stream way earlier than usual. Like usually we'd only be halfway through our first draft. Now we are closing up on our second one. I'll try to get like 5 or 6 live streams going. I mean, I'll be excited. We cut the live stream early last night because I was about to piss myself, but who the hell cares tonight? We'll just go and we'll just grind right through this. And yeah, thank you so much for everybody subscribing to the channel. We passed 34,000 subscribers yesterday, and tomorrow we are probably going to pass 35,000. I mean, we're probably going to get 1,000 subscribers in 2 days. So thank you so much for everybody joining the flock. I mean, we live stream every single day. I put out videos every single day. We've had, like, let me pull up my phone real quick to see exactly how much content we put out over the past week. And this is going to be throughout the entire season. We are doing this the entire season. Okay, so if I'm pulling this up right now, I mean, it's like embarrassing how many videos and how many live streams we have done. So over the past 2 days, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is our 10th thing that we're doing over the past 2 days. At least whenever YouTube says from 2 days ago. So maybe that's 3 days. I don't know. All I know is we've put out an insane amount of content. Nobody's working harder. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because I promise you this is how you win your 2021 league. I promise you that. Now we got Rashad Bateman going at the 1411, Jamison Crowder at the 1409. Okay. So at this point, we're probably wanting these running backs to go. Like I said, we are done drafting running backs. So if you're looking at a lot of teams here, I mean, some of them need receivers just like we do. Keep in mind, this is not a league where we have the waiver wire. So, I mean, wide receiver is going to be a lot harder to come by with the depth at the position. Joseph coming out. Happy to have you out, my man. And guys, if you are new to the live stream, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy right now. This is where we're going to be doing so many fun things throughout the entire season. And what's great about Underdog Fantasy is they decided to sponsor our 2021 draft guide with just, I mean, an insane deal where if you deposit $10 on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, going through the link in the description, either the link in the comment section, the link in the live chat, wherever you find that link, and you make that $10 deposit, you're going to get $25 added to the account. You're going to get our 2021 draft guide. You're going to get our 2021 rankings and tiers. You're going to get, I mean, the satisfaction of knowing that you supported this channel. You supported this dog as well. So here, do you want to tell them why they need to deposit $10, huh? Yeah, tell them. Tell them. Y'all heard the lady. Y'all heard the lady on exactly why y'all need to deposit $10 on Underdog Fantasy. There's nothing that can tell you otherwise than the dog telling you exactly why you need to deposit $10. Derek says this is to either piss yourself mid-draft or to buy a Gatorade so you can use the empty bottle. No breaks. My man, thank you. We'll hopefully chug this. Actually, I got a bottle over there. I got a bottle over there. That's going to be a real challenge. Y'all can try to timestamp whenever I pee in the bottle on the live stream. Let's pull this up. I guess we go Evan Ingram now. In the last round, I went, what's the real difference between Evan Ingram and the other guys that we're going to be looking at? Well, the difference is now we're getting Evan Ingram in the 15th round, 13 picks behind his ADP compared to what we were going to look at in the last round. He does have a different bye week than at TJ Hawkinson. So let's put Evan Ingram on this team. And now from here on out, we need to draft one quarterback and two receivers. One quarterback and two receivers. Ben says deposit 10 so he can afford to feed me. Ben knows how it is. Ben knows exactly how it is. And guys, also, you get $25 added to your account so you can come out here and draft with me in the live stream and everything. That's what I'm saying. It's like by far and away the best deal on YouTube. It's not even close. And Pedro says, should I start David Montgomery or Miles Sanders? I mean, here, the problem is the Bears are just such underdogs according to Vegas against the Rams, where I'm thinking the game script is going to be very, very bad. Of course, we don't necessarily know exactly what the workload is going to look like for Miles Sanders. It's close. I'm not excited about starting David Montgomery this week, but we would probably go David Montgomery. Okay, so now Dimey Brown at the 15-12. So we kind of need receivers on this team. So not in a great spot at the moment. Okay, come on. Let's see what J.K. Ooper's doing here. J.K. Ooper, a regular to the channel. I mean, he's out here in almost all of these drafts. And we're going to get another draft going after this, my dudes, if you, for whatever reason, are just now joining. So, like, the problem is if we're going through and looking at these receivers, they're all the same. We're not taking a quarterback we're not taking a running back or a tight end. So, at this point, it's either QB or receiver. So, I think that we actually go with a quarterback here because someone that I haven't drafted at all in any of these drafts, we're going to go back-to-back drafts with him. Just because when I'm drafting with y'all are also passing on him. But he was going in like the 13th round a while ago. Now we're getting him at pick 184. That's the value that he should have been going at. He should have been a 16th round selection, but we know he can provide us those spike weeks. So we are going to go with a Ryan Fitzmagic this round. And then going down a little bit. Okay, Austin Hooper goes at the 1605. Yeah, Austin Hooper was someone that we actually took in the last live stream. We took him here, I believe, at the end of the 16th, and we took Fitzmagic at the beginning of the 17th. But yeah, I think we're fine getting Evan Ingram at the 1509 here. Very similar to what we did in the last draft. I mean, we even got Lamar Jackson on this team as well. This is a similar build, even though we're pretty far away from where we drafted last. Where did we draft to start off this one? Oh, we drafted at the 101 to start off. Nitty Gritty says, all right, Mason, let me know how jealous you are of my draft. Nitty Gritty, is this the first draft you've gotten in with us? Because I know you have been out in the live stream a ton. I know you've been hanging out in the chat for a while. Let me know if this is the first draft that you've gotten in with us, my dude. Because that would be wild if this is the first one that you've gotten in. Okay, so he was drafting here at the 110. And guys, of course, if y'all get into a live stream with me on the stream, feel free to ask in the live chat what I think about your draft. I mean, of course, I am an idiot, but I'd be happy to give you my dumb opinion anyway. So here going through this, ILC, Eckler, love it. Jefferson, oh my gosh. Okay, so if you don't know Nitty Gritty, you can see him in the live chat. He has an avatar of Justin Jefferson. So don't be that surprised seeing him take Justin Jefferson over DeAndre Hopkins. I didn't even notice that whenever we were going through and making the Jonathan Taylor selection, but Jefferson definitely is a surprise there. Robinson in the third, I'm fine with. Pitts in the fourth. Now, I'm really upset with this Kyle Pitts selection, knowing that you're having to pass on the wide receiver tier of guys like Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. These players are clear selections for me over a Kyle Pitts, not even close, knowing especially that you could have gotten just, say, a TJ Hawkinson at this 5'10 here. So, yeah, I mean, going with TJ Hawkinson and Chris Godwin is significantly better than Kyle Pitts and Robbie Anderson, in my opinion. Jacobs in the 6th. I really like that Josh Jacobs selection. Chark in the 7th. I like the Chark. You get Justin Herbert in the 803. Fine with that. Terrace Marshall. Intriguing to go Terrace Marshall here. I actually prefer Elijah Moore over Terrace Marshall personally. Trevor Lawrence at the 1003. Get Trevor Lawrence to stack with a DJ Chark here at the 710. Gerald Everett, Naheem Hines, AJ Green, Byron Pringle, Christian Kirk, Sam Darnold. You can go over it, Miley. Okay. really quick. My dog's having a hard time getting over the cord. I'm going to have to pick her up for this. Come here. There you go, baby. You want to go out? You want to see Tanner? Okay, now we are back. Let's get our last 2 wide receiver selections in here, and we'll hop into another draft right now. Okay, so I'm going to check out the $250 lobby and see how many teams are waiting around, because if we don't need to wait that long to fill it, we will go through and get that going. You know what? Can we draft Hunter Renfrow here? I know he's usually a little further down the ADP, but no, I'm drafting with y'all, so I'm assuming that one of y'all took him. Yeah, I mean, you have a Dalton out here taking our guy, Hunter Renfrow. So now at this point, if we're talking spike weeks, I actually think Josh Reynolds may be a little more intriguing here. So let's go with a Josh Reynolds at the 1709. And then let me pull this up to see what the $250 lobby is looking like. Yeah, so if you want to get in a $250 draft with us, guys, there are 3 spots available. There are 3 spots available on the $250 draft. Make sure you go over there. Hop in with us. We'll get this going right after this draft. And then also after the $250 draft, we'll get another $10 draft going for anybody else who wants to come out to the stream. Now, I'll say my underdog funds, they are running low. So we're going to have to be on a budget. We're either just getting in the $250 drafts or the $10 drafts. I'm not doing any 50. I'm not doing any 100. So let's get a $250 draft going after this, because there are a lot of people out from the public lobby, and the public lobby on underdog usually is very bad. So I'd love to go up against them just on a live stream right now. So I'm fine with 3 of y'all being in there. I don't want a ton of y'all in there, though, just because y'all are a lot harder to draft against than just the random people in the public lobby. Okay, so now we're going to be back up on the clock. I'm actually going to go Quintez Cephas here. I think that he does get a bump up with Brashad Perriman getting cut. Let me show off this draft board for anybody just now coming into the live stream. Then we'll pull up the room where there are 2 spots left in that $250 draft. If you want in, all you have to do is go over to Underdog Fantasy, enter into the big dog draft. That's going to be the $250 tournament that they have to offer. We draft here, I mean, almost every single night at this point. I don't even know the last night that we went without getting into $250 draft on Underdog. Okay, so that was the entire draft for anybody wondering. Let's switch this over, get this set up to get a $250 live draft going. And so, yeah, we have 1 spot left, my dudes. 1 spot left in this draft. And what I need from everybody right now, listen closely. We got 1 spot left, and we're going to get our draft pick. This is a $250 draft. We need the 101. So think of every positive thought you've ever thought of. Think of every positive memory. I mean, okay. And go and put it into the like button. Drop that like on 3. 1, 2, 3. We get the 103. Alvin Kamara, lock her up, baby. 103. Let's get Alvin Kamara. If we're checking out the lobby real quick to see if there are any names that we recognize. Does suck having to go up against a DSR here at the 104. Definitely am not a massive fan of that. Do me favors. Also, this is another very tough drafter. I know his name is Do Me Favors, but any OGs to the live stream know that his real name is Dome Favors. We're going with Dome Favors, not Do Me Favors. Now, outside of this, My Day's sisters, they were out in another draft with us. I could be wrong when I say this. I think if I remember correctly, please in the live chat, feel free to correct me. Was this the last person in the $250 draft that had like no idea what they were doing? Hopefully, I don't remember. I do remember the name. I don't remember how they performed in the $250 draft. I know that they were in the draft where there were a lot of people that were making mistakes. So I'm hoping that they were one of the people making mistakes out there. Okay, so let's, they just start off. They go like Justin Jefferson at the 101. That'd be hilarious. Okay, so now DSR, this is going to be a tough drafter. I've never seen Mortician. I've never seen this name. I think we've seen Outcast once. Alvin Kamara at the 103, one of the easiest selections we're going to make. I'm so excited to get Kamara at the 103. I don't think we've had a $250 draft yet where we've gotten Alvin Kamara. Now, DSR, we know he's going to be a tough drafter. Never seen this name. I think we have seen them once. I don't remember how they draft. We've never seen them. They are an experienced drafter. Daniel Dimes, never seen them out in a draft. Not too worried about it. Dome Favors, yes, we are a little worried here. Justin Machan, we have seen them out in a ton of drafts before. Not worried at all. I'm happy to see them out in the draft. M Copy, never seen them out. CG, never seen them out. So there are a lot of new names this $250 draft. We do not have any advanced scouting behind the scenes. So maybe this is a spot where we can just go through and crush. And Jaden says, what do you think? I tried 0 running back. Mahomes, Mike Davis, Henderson, Edmonds, Javonte Williams, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Brandon Ayuk, Antonio Brown, Travis Kelce. I traded Mixon for Diggs. I love that team, my man. I mean, I was like, you tried 0 running back and you have Mike Davis, Darrell Henderson, Chase Edmonds, Javonte Williams. What? Who were you drafting? If you got Diggs, Tyreek, Kelce, Mahomes all on the same team, that is going to be dominant. The thing is, you have to just continue to churn that waiver wire looking for running backs. Just continue to churn that wire looking for running backs. Now, Devontae Adams does go at the 104, Derrick Henry at the 105, Travis Kelce at the 106. Honestly, I think we would have taken Kelce at the 105. Y'all have no idea how many of these $250 drafts I've taken Travis Kelce in. I mean, I think Kelce just gives you such an advantage from a roster construction standpoint. Y'all already know this. Y'all know that I'm all about Travis Kelce here. Okay, iDynamics says Barkley falling to 13, calling it. I wonder if iDynamics in this league, maybe he is CG 1737. He's like, oh, I'm not going to take Barkley at the 12. I'll take him at the 13th pick. Okay, so we have Dark Sheep. Is that Dark Sheep or Dark Ship? I think that's Sheep. I have no idea. But takes Tyreek Hill at the 107. Felipe says, start Gaskins versus the Patriots or David Montgomery versus the Rams. Like I said, that Montgomery matchup is going to be so tough if you actually look at the over-under for that game and the implied team total for the Chicago Bears. I still think it's tough to go with Myles Gaskin versus versus the Pats, though. So we'd probably go David Montgomery. It's very tough. We rank them in the same tier in our rankings, and I'm probably going to be going back and forth on that question. Like, if you ask me that question tomorrow, I'll probably give you the other answer. Like, it's just tough because neither running back has that appealing of a matchup. Actually, it's not that tough. Just go David Montgomery. Stephon Diggs at the 110. No real surprises here. I know a lot of people will be surprised to see Ezekiel Elliott falling to the 108. But in these drafts, a lot of times you see Kelce and Tyreek Hill going over the elite running back. Okay, so you get Calvin Ridley at the 111. And guys, if you have yet to go down there and drop a like on the live stream, subscribe to the channel, fix your life. What I need to do is go give a massive shout out to everybody subscribing to the channel right now. This is a $250 draft. We'll get another $10 draft going out for everybody watching the live stream directly after this one. But if we're looking at people who've just subscribed to the channel, we have SSG Trom, we have Giovanni, Storm, Josh, Austin, Poke Red, Steve, Family 7, Alex, Kevin, Noah, Lincoln, Helix, Drew, Pop Test, Jace, Lorex Rex, Alex, Matt, Spencer. We're going to cut it there. We're going to cut it there. Thank you for everybody subscribing to the channel. I mean, we have been skyrocketing as of lately, and it's because of all y'all support. Okay, so now Antonio Gibson at the 204. This is a little earlier than where we have seen Antonio Gibson going in some other drafts. This is where he used to go previously. I mean, he used to go here a lot, but for whatever reason, we've seen Antonio Gibson like falling to the 208 a significant amount of times. So Joe Mixon goes to the 205. So maybe this is a draft where we're going to see a little, maybe this goes a little more running back heavy. Like, it's surprising to see Mixon go over a couple of these receivers, to be honest. Like, the majority of drafts, you're actually, like, we took Joe Mixon in a $250 draft the other day at the 212. I'm surprised to see him at the 205. Dark Ship, they may be on auto because that's the second pick that went down to the very last second on the timer. So if they're on auto draft, we're going to be pretty excited about this, my dudes. Okay, so SSG says, Dakota says SSG. Is that someone in this draft? Is something happening here that I don't know about? Let me know what's going on. Let me know what's going on, my dudes. Okay, so now we have DK Metcalf at the 207. Let's switch this better. Switch this over. Okay. So we have Alvin Kamara. This is C. Saram. He took Derrick Henry in the first. Was that an auto? I think that was an auto. Nick Chubb was best available according to ADP. You're going to tease us like that, take it all the way down to the last second just for us to be getting the guy that we thought we were going to draft in A.J. Brown. I really thought there was a chance we were getting Darren Waller. Y'all know I would have been losing my mind if we got Darren Waller right there. If we got a start with Alvin Kamara and Darren Waller, we would have been incredibly excited. That would have been fantastic. That would have been fantastic. CeeDee Lamb at the 212. Let's pull this back over. Allen Robinson at the 301. Y'all know what we're doing here. Mortician takes Clyde over. Yeah, so we get our guy. We get George Kittle. We were taking an elite tight end here no matter what. I almost considered taking Kittle in the second, but yeah, I mean, that's an easy start. I really would have preferred us to go like a Darren Waller and then a CeeDee Lamb compared to A.J. Brown, George Kittle, but we didn't have the option. So it is what it is. We're going to take Kittle, though. I really definitely want the elite tight end option here in George Kittle. I just think that with us not necessarily having to reach on the tight end position later on in the drafts, it's definitely going to make a ton of sense. I'm not too worried about this room soaking up all the wide receiver value when we're seeing teams decide to take like a Najee Harris, a Joe Mixon, Antonio Gibson in the middle of the second round here. I'm actually thinking that we're going to have a lot more of these players be willing to take running backs. I don't want to say early, but earlier compared to the receivers. Okay, and also, guys, please don't be asking me rankings questions for your drafts in the live chat. I will say, I mean, we have already covered this a million times before, but I have made it easier than any other fantasy football YouTuber ever to access my 2021 draft guide, my 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide, my 2021 rankings and tiers. I mean, it is so easy, and that we're live streaming every single night on Underdog Fantasy, my favorite place to play. And they're going to be doing so many fun things during the season that will be live streaming as well. That way y'all can get in the live stream. Y'all can interact with us on Underdog Fantasy and real money contest. And guys, when you deposit $10 on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, they actually add $25 added to your account. You actually get our 2021 rankings, our 2021 tiers, our 2021 draft. I mean, you get by far and away the best deal that can ever be known, to the point where if you're coming in here and asking me, oh, Mason, who would you rather have in round 12? It's honestly a little disrespectful. Like, if you value my opinion, I think that it's at least valuable enough for you to take advantage of the deal where you get $25 added to your account with a $10 deposit with promo code FLOCK. I mean, guys, it helps out this channel tremendously. Please take advantage. Please take advantage of that, my dudes. Okay, so now I guess we're in a spot where we may end up just getting boxed out of receiver. I mean, we have DJ Moore going at the 309. We have some of these running backs falling very far. Okay, so maybe our assessment of the room was a little wrong when we were saying some of these teams right here, we're not going to be pushing up receiver as much as we usually find in these $250 drafts. So it's surprising to see that. It is very surprising to see that. Okay, so CG won 1737. Okay, what's best available currently? I mean, you got Carson, Julio, Swift. Yeah, so they go Julio. So they aren't on auto because auto would have given them Chris Carson. Now the question is, for some reason, I'm kind of feeling that this draft is going to go this way. What happens? What happens, my dudes, when we're forced to take Mahomes at the 410? I wouldn't want to do it, but I think the amount of teams that have the combination Kamara, A.J. Brown, George Kittle, Patrick Mahomes would be very small. So I'm hoping we're not put into that position, but I'm not going to be surprised if we are, and we're going to be squirming, and we're going to be in a $250 draft that I don't necessarily know how to get through it with. I mean, it would be so terrifying having to grab that option here. We're hoping Mahomes goes earlier. Daniel Dimes, Jamar Chase. Yeah, so this team isn't on auto either. I don't know why these teams are taking it down to the very last second. I feel like we're getting trolled here. Do you all see? Oh my gosh. If we would have known this wide receiver run was about to occur, if we would have known that the room was going to be valuing a receiver like this, where Jamar Chase, Higgins, Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, we're all going to go at the beginning of the fourth round, I would have taken Keenan Allen over George Kittle. I mean, this is to the point where I just completely misread the room. Oh my gosh. iDynamic says they aren't skipping Mahomes. My man, you have not been out to these $250 drafts yet if you don't think there's a chance they skip Mahomes. Mahomes has made it this far. Yeah, are you really going to say they're not skipping Mahomes? I told you what I thought was going to happen. We're 2 picks away from possibly having to draft him. We're 2 picks away from possibly having to get him. Odell goes to the 408. David Montgomery goes to the 409. This is what I was talking about. This is what I was saying. I thought there was going to be a small chance that we were forced to go with Patrick Mahomes. Now, the thing is, I think in a vacuum, Brandon Ayuk makes our team better. I need to shut my mouth. I need to shut my mouth. We're up in a couple picks. We're going to do this because it's going to be a unique team. There are going to be very few teams in this overall contest that have Mahomes here at the 410. So I am out of my element. I have never started out a team this way, and it's a $250 draft. If we're going to be trying something new, I want to try something new in a $10 draft. But this is about to be scary, guys. If you don't know these leagues wide receivers go incredibly early because you have to start 3 of them, and it's best ball. So you are in a tough spot. But now we're only going to be drafting 1 quarterback, 1 tight end. So we are going to be in a position where we can load up on some extra receivers. But we don't even have a stack with Mahomes. Oh my gosh. The problem is, I feel like there are very few teams in this overall contest. I'll explain the contest in 1 second. Let me explain it now. So we're playing in a 12-man league right now. Everybody sees that we're in a 12-man draft. But in this 12-man draft, there's an added element that first, second, and third actually end up getting paid money. And then also first and second, this is where the real value is. First and second get a ticket to the fantasy football playoff tournament that has guaranteed prices at the top of like 100,000. I mean, 50,000, 70. I don't even know what the exact prices are. I know there's 100,000 on top, and it's going to be a spot where you have to be chasing upside. You'll also have to be pretty unique at the end of the year. So now between a Claypool and a Jerry Jeudy, we're probably going to go Jerry Jeudy. Who gives us more spike weeks? Let's take Claypool. Let's take Claypool. I mean, that's a tough spot. I probably should have gone Jerry Jeudy there. But the thing is, do we prefer, Brandon Ayuk and Lamar Jackson, or do we prefer Patrick Mahomes and Chase Claypool? It's probably Mahomes, and I think our team is a little more unique for doing so. So this is a terrifying start, guys. It's a terrifying start. Okay, good. James Robinson at the 504. And I'll say at this point, guys, I know a lot of people probably wanted us to go with the running back. I wasn't considering, even if like we had someone like a David Montgomery fall to us in the 5th, I don't think we could have taken a running back there. Even if we had Miles Sanders falling, it didn't matter who the guy was. We had to go with the receiver. We had to go with the receiver. If you were questioning me on this, guys, I've done almost 200 of these drafts. Just please trust me on this. Okay, so Jerry Jeudy does go at the 505. This is a tough draft, guys. The pressure is on right now. The pressure's on. Okay, Kyler Murray goes to the 506. Of course, at this point, what we want to see is these elite quarterbacks begin to get drafted. We do not want these quarterbacks making it back to us in the 6th round. The last thing we need to be seeing is someone like a Lamar Jackson make it to the middle of the 6th, because I would just be sitting here probably crying with how other teams got better quarterback value than we did. I mean, when you take a Mahomes at the 410, kind of want to see these other guys begin to go off the draft board. I guess the dark ship has taken Hill, Lockett at receiver, Harris at running back, takes Robbie Anderson at receiver as well. Okay, so M. Copy has taken 4 wide receivers in a row in Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Chris Godwin, Adam Thielen. So let's see what they do. I'll say that Adam Thielen selection is intriguing to say the least. I mean, like, actually, we can't talk that much about it. I guess with Irv Smith Jr. injury, and at the same time, not many teams with this wide receiver pairing, they're going to have Adam Thielen. So I want to say it's fine. It's fine. I don't necessarily know if I would do it, but I can't say it's bad. It's definitely not bad. Mike Davis to the 508, Lamar Jackson. Thank God we get these elite quarterbacks going off the board. Thank God we get the elite QBs going off. That definitely makes me feel a little more comfortable. Okay, so Javonte Williams does go at the 511 by M. Copy. We want to see these running backs going. We want to see like Mark Andrews, T.J. Hawkinson, get these guys off the board. Get wide receivers making it back to us. Get us some receivers making it back. And guys, we are going to get a $10 draft going after this. And if y'all are new to the stream, make sure you go down there, subscribe to the channel. We make videos. We do these live streams every single night. I mean, I haven't missed a day of live streaming in maybe 5 weeks. Last season, we only missed 2 days total. We'll be live streaming every single day to answer questions, get in drafts throughout this entire season. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell next to the subscribe button if you want to know when we are streaming. Laviska Shenault at the 512. I don't even know what we're going to be looking at this 6-7 turn. Actually, I do know what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be like looking at a Kareem Hunt, and I'm going to be going, just having to cry that we may have to pass on him. Take down Deebo Samuel at the 601. M copy on the clock goes Trey Sermon at the 602. So Javonte Williams and Trey Sermon, if they can find like enough production to get to the fantasy football playoff tournament, that's going to be a scary team. They just have to cover these running back spots at least for the beginning part of the season. That way they have Javonte Williams and Trey Sermon starting during the playoffs. Like I think if we start with the Javonte Williams, maybe you don't have as much of a ceiling, but I'm definitely going to be going with like a Josh Jacobs at the 602. Do me favors, takes Tyler Boyd at the 604. Thank God we get Dak Prescott at the 605. Okay, we get some of these quarterbacks going. That's 100% going to help us. Now, TJ Hawkinson's still available. Oh my gosh. That makes me taking Kittle over Keenan Allen look pretty damn bad, to be honest. I mean, we're sitting here not that excited about that pick anymore at all. Let's try to figure out who we're going to be going with this next selection. So, of course, we would go Antonio Brown. If Antonio Brown was going to fall, we were going to take Antonio Brown. Darrell Henderson at the 608. And DSR, I don't know if they're going to go Hawkinson. They took Waller. So they took Waller. They're probably not going Hawkinson. They go Sutton. Sutton was going to be the receiver that we were going with. Oh, this is a tough spot, my friends. This is a tough spot. You know what? Let's take our guy, Juju. When in doubt, take your guy. Juju is our guy. Let's take him at the 610. Not the best value, but we need a wide receiver here. I can't take a running back. I literally just can't take a running back. We have Alvin Kamara. We passed on a receiver in rounds 3 and 4. We're going to be desperate for the wide receiver position. If you're unfamiliar with this format, just trust me. Let's wait until about round 15, and I can go through and I can highlight exactly why we are building this team exactly how we are. The correct answer there at the 610 is going to be a wide receiver no matter what. Now, debating what wide receiver we could have gone with, that's going to be more so a question of your personal preference. I have Gus Edwards going at the 701. You know, I actually think that we probably have an easy selection here. We're going to go Corey Davis at the 703. I know it's a reach according to ADP. I know we're taking him over all these running backs, but the pick is a receiver. The pick is a receiver. Corey Davis, 100% rising. Maybe it's not for the exact right reasons, but we're going to go Corey Davis. I don't know if we've had him on one of these $250 teams yet. So let's go Corey Davis at the 703. And I know a lot of people aren't going to like me taking him over at Kenny Golladay. It is what it is. Let's grab Corey Davis. I can check my exposures. I don't think we have him in that many drafts. I think at this price point, it is going to be fine. Hopefully, we get some running backs going off the board. Running backs are great values here. Simply, we're going to be able to find running backs that we like later on in the draft. And we really, really need to grab some receivers. Okay, so now Gallup at the 705. And I am having such a hard time keeping up with the chat that I'm going to have to do the slow chat. I think that's going to slow it down. Let's just slow it to one message per 20 seconds. That way there's just no spamming. Yeah, so let's go Corey Davis. You have Michael Gallup going at the 705. And let me see how many $250 drafts I've actually taken Corey Davis in. I don't think it's been that many. I think we've actually taken Kenny Golladay in more $250 drafts. And honestly, those $250 drafts, that's what I want to be checking with my exposure. I mean, we've done enough $250 drafts where we have more buy-ins in those than all our other leagues combined, to be honest. So I need to be just making sure we're monitoring this. And I've taken so many Mike Williams shares. I've drafted Mike Williams in 33% of our $250 drafts so far this year. Let me see how many drafts I've taken. Yeah, I haven't taken Corey Davis in a single one outside of this one. Kenny Golladay, we've taken in 22% of them. So yeah, I think that we made the correct decision going with the Corey Davis from an exposure standpoint. They're all in a similar tier, and we have to make sure that we're balancing it when we're going to be playing in this many leagues for this amount of money. Samuel says 2 Steelers wide receivers. Is there a way to expose yourself any more than a casual fantasy football player if you are literally avoiding grabbing 2 receivers from the same team? Is there a quicker way? Like, seriously, I know there are a lot of people that are kind of new to fantasy football in 2021. I mean, maybe you played the past few years in your league with your buddies, like, and you like, oh, I really like checking in August. I really like checking in September, then getting my fantasy football gloves on, putting on my hard hat and going to work. Is there any way to expose yourself as a casual fantasy football player than being afraid of having 2 wide receivers on the same team? It's been mathematically proven that actually raises your ceiling. It's been mathematically proven that it's actually a good thing to do. So, I mean, if you are coming out here and complaining about having 2 wide receivers on the same team, all you are doing is literally embarrassing yourself. I mean, there's so much math backing up that you should stop talking about that, to be honest. Langdog says, I don't think anyone was spamming. You have 540 lives all. Yeah, no, I don't think anybody needs to be sending more than 1 message every 20 seconds. I mean, I think that it's just going to be a lot easier for me to like manage. Like, we've already seen that it goes through and it slows down. I'll say y'all can easily go through and y'all are more than open to criticize my Claypool pick and telling me I should have gone with the Jerry Jeudy. You're more than welcome to criticize my Juju Smith-Schuster selection and telling me why I should have gone with another player. I'm just saying that if your explanation behind that is that there are 2 wide receivers on the same team, I don't want to say you're embarrassing yourself, but you're embarrassing yourself. Okay, so now we got Logan Thomas at the 804. Thank God. Get these tight ends off the board. We do not need these tight ends making it back to us. I mean, like, the most demoralizing thing ever is seeing Hawkinson go at the 611 when we took Kittle at the 303. Like, this is, looking back on it, this is such a bad pick, knowing that if we would have gone with the Keenan Allen, we would have had a lot more flexibility instead of having to go Juju and Corey Davis at this turn. Let's pull this back up, and y'all are going to be upset with what we do from here, but just trust me, guys, on this. It's my $250. We're going to go through and we're going to build this team the right way, regardless of if there are some new people from fantasy football and not necessarily understanding roster construction and what we can get later on in the draft. So I can tell you right now, we're probably going receiver for anybody that's about to lose their mind. And I know a lot of people are probably just getting into fantasy football this week or last week, and they're sitting here going, oh my God, I don't understand it. We have Alvin Kamara. When you only have to start 2 running backs and when you have the ability to start 4 wide receivers when you're playing in a best ball format, I promise you, if we're looking back at this draft, once we're through 16 rounds, you're going to go, okay, now Mason, I understand why you decided to pass on the running backs here and instead you went with the receivers. I mean, just trust me on this one, my dudes. And now we have Ray Gunn coming out with the donation, says, thoughts on Gus Edwards after the Ravens signed Le'Veon Bell and the Justice Hill injury. My man, my thoughts on Gus Edwards have not changed at all. I mean, I'm actually looking at Gus Edwards saying, well, I was telling y'all to avoid him when he was going in the 4th round last week because he was a running back that was going to be splitting his backfield 60-40 and he was going to have no upside in the receiving game. Now we see that they signed Le'Veon Bell and I go, okay, well, he's going to be splitting this backfield 60-40. He has no upside in the receiving game. It's the same exact situation he was in. We're going to take Michael Thomas at receiver here. It's going to be an easy selection for me, especially when we know when we get to the fantasy football playoff tournament at the very end, we're looking for the highest ceiling humanly possible. So we're going to take Michael Thomas. I mean, just knowing that, yeah, we're going to miss out on him for the beginning part of the season, but I mean, he could be that elite option at the very end of the year. Okay, so now we got Curtis Samuel, Marvin Jones, and I promise you guys, I know y'all are going to lose your mind, but we're going to go with another receiver. Brian Edwards goes, okay, so there's a receiver that I know we should draft, and there's one that I'm going to draft. The receiver that I know we should draft from a price standpoint, he's too good a value here. We're going to have to take him. We're going to take Marquez Callaway. Callaway is going in the middle of the 8th round of the majority of drafts right now. And what is a big bonus in this is I believe he wasn't getting drafted in every single one of these teams at the very beginning of the tournament. So maybe he has a slightly lower ownership percentage. I'm not a massive fan of Marquez Callaway. I know we're taking him over some great quarterbacks here, but we took Mahomes at the 410. When we take Mahomes at the 410, we literally have no other option at the quarterback position but to continue to draft receivers here. Maybe you can try to yell at me that we needed to go with the running back. But yeah, we're going to go with Marquez Callaway at the 903. I'm telling you this, and I'm being 100% open to criticism. While, yes, Marquez Callaway is a pick that you can come out here and you can make an argument against, your argument needs to include why we should have gone with another wide receiver. That's the argument. The argument is not Mason, you really shouldn't have drafted a wide receiver there. Mason, you needed a running back. If you want to make an argument for someone like an Elijah Moore, you want to make an argument for someone like a Rondale Moore, I will hear you out. I'll sit here. I'll entertain that argument all day. However, the pick was a receiver. And I'm telling you that from understanding the math behind it. We have Kamara on this team. We also are going to be able to find great running back value later on that can cycle through as our running back 2 on this roster as we hunt for upside. Wide receivers are going to get soaked up very early on. And I think getting Callaway and Michael Thomas is okay, and that we covered the points at the very beginning of the season. And at the same time, it's not like we're necessarily capped at the end of the year when both of these guys, in theory, could be the wide receiver 1 and the wide receiver 2 on the team if we do have Jameis Winston as an extremely high volume passer. So maybe this is actually a team that we do want to end up coming out with a Michael Thomas, Marquez Callaway, and Jameis Winston double stack. So we'll see. There are a couple double stacks we could get at the end of the draft. Of course, we're not going to be of course, we're not going to be drafting any quarterback anytime soon. Instead, we're going to be going a quarterback at the very, very end. And right now, we're setting ourselves up where we could go with the Ben Roethlisberger to get the double stack with the Chase Claypool or Juju Smith-Schuster, or we could go with the Jameis Winston to get the double stack between a Michael Thomas and a Marquez Callaway. Okay, so now we have Henry Ruggs. And yeah, this is what you see, guys. I mean, I told you the pick was going to be a receiver. I told you that was the correct decision. And after that, I mean, you don't have a single running back going off this board. And when we have Kittle, when we have Mahomes, we literally cannot take a quarterback. It doesn't matter what the value is. We can't take a quarterback. We cannot take a tight end. So it does suck seeing DSR here snipe us on Michael Pittman. He sniped us on Courtland Sutton previously, and he's still getting the value of an Aaron Rodgers at the 904. I mean, he is bullying us in this draft. He is crushing this draft. I can't do anything about it right now with the position that we're in. Hopefully we have a spot where we can possibly snipe him later on in the draft, because he has been killing us so far. Okay, so now Noah Fant goes to the 1001. Every time we see these tight ends go off, every time we see these quarterbacks go off, I mean, I just get a little jolt of energy. I'm like, oh, okay, thank God. Whew. Thank God, thank God. Now let's pull this back up with what we're going to be looking at with this upcoming round. So there are a lot of quarterbacks. We got Dome Favors going with a Robert Tonyan. The problem is, this is why the Mahomes selection sucks so bad. This is why we should have gone with a Brandon Ayuk. We go with the Brandon Ayuk there, then we can grab one of these quarterbacks in this range. I just don't know if we can now. I don't think we can, to be honest. Okay, Daniel Dimes is on the clock. He has had 4 running backs, 4 receivers, no tight ends. Maybe this is a spot where he goes Dallas Goedert. Maybe he's on auto draft. Like, it keeps on going to, okay, he goes Dallas Goedert. See, this is what's weird. It keeps on going down to the very bottom. Maybe he's just queuing his players. He's not drafting any of them. Yeah, that's what he's probably doing. He's probably like, when he's on the clock, he's like, oh, okay, I want Trey Lance. He just adds him into his queue until he falls down. Because, yeah, it's not going off the very top ADP for him. Instead, is going through and actually searching those guys. Okay, so Trey Lance does go at the 1006. Justin Fields at the 1007. Thank God. This is what we need. This is what we need. Oh, my gosh. We're going to make another pick y'all don't like. Just making sure I'm not missing anything. We're going to make another pick y'all don't like. I don't really care. If you looking at how the board is trending, the wide receivers are getting soaked up. We'll get a running back that we are fine with in this round. We know we're not going to have a receiver that we're fine with right here. So I know everybody wants to see us go with the running back. We're going with the running back right here. I promise you that, guys. But, I mean, just looking at how the teardrop is going to come very soon at the receiver position, it does make a lot of sense to get a Terrace Marshall there. And all these running backs are in a similar range for me. So if we count out these picks, we know that with these teams already having 3 running backs, it's going to be impossible for them to all go through and just continue to pass on quarterback and continue to pass on receiver. Yeah, so you get Tannehill going. So now we're guaranteed to get one of these 4 running backs making it back to us. And, I mean, you had Terrace Marshall, in my opinion, a clear tier ahead of guys like Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley. We can't take a quarterback. We can't take a tight end. So Terrace Marshall is the pick there. Okay, so now let's go pull this up. See the live chat just screaming at me. Nick says, do you know why they can't verify me on Underdog? My man, go through and just look at messaging customer support. If they can't verify you on Underdog, I mean, just message them and they'll get that sorted out for you ASAP. I promise you, they'll get you sorted that out ASAP. Okay, so now I think we're in a great spot this draft. I mean, I hate looking at my running back and receiver situation, and it kind of looks gross, but that's the opportunity cost of taking George Kittle in the 3rd and Mahomes in the 4th. Like, I have to get used to that. I have to understand that we're going to be crushing teams at tight end and quarterback, and we don't even necessarily have to roster that many guys. So, yeah, you got Everett, Mike Gesicki. So, this is exactly what I was saying. We're getting a running back that we like falling to us regardless. Let's see where Mortician goes. We have Alvin Kamara, so we're not in desperate need for a running back. We're drafting a running back 2 here. And we know a wide receiver is going to be making our flex spot every single week. Kirk Cousins goes, so let's take Melvin Gordon. We're going to get Melvin Gordon as our running back 2. A little concerned that Melvin Gordon's not going to have that role during the fantasy football playoffs, but we're going to be able to take a lot of shots on handcuff level running backs later on that we could see potentially pop. So far this team at receivers is going to have A.J. Brown, Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, Corey Davis, Michael Thomas, Marquez Callaway, Terrace Marshall. At running back, it has Alvin Kamara and Melvin Gordon. At tight end, it has George Kittle and Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. Okay, so let's see what happens from here. From here, I mean, I guess we just want running back falling, right? I mean, we want wide receivers going. We want quarterbacks going. We still want tight ends going. I mean, that's always what you want whenever you take a Mahomes and a Kittle in the 3rd and 4th round. But yes, also, if you are just now joining the live stream and you have not dropped a like on the stream, you have not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? I would go out on a limb and say this season we have streamed more to $100 plus fantasy drafts than anybody else has ever done in the history of YouTube. Can somebody come out here and try to give me a name of someone who's come close to streaming as many drafts that we have done that are $100+ buy-in this live stream? I mean, this off season? I don't think there's been a single person. There's been nobody that's live streamed as many as dynasty drafts, as many 2021 drafts. We've live streamed more money, real money drafts, regardless of the buy-in than anybody. So if you were looking for draft content, if you were looking for fantasy football content with someone that goes out there and, I mean, is a high stakes fantasy football player, I'm comfortable calling myself that at this point. I mean, this is me coming out here showing y'all how it's done. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I will also be going down there and making sure that we make videos every single day, multiple videos every day, and we're getting out live streams every single day during the season as well. And also, if you are just now somehow finding this live stream, or if you enjoy the channel and you want to support it, the number one way that you can support this live stream is by subscribing to the channel and using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. This is the number one thing, guys. We are drafting, and we've drafted every single day on Underdog Fantasy because they are a great platform with so many cool contests that they offer. And that's why I've just been continuing to get in as many of these drafts as humanly possible. And what is so great about Underdog Fantasy is they have a limited time offer. Literally, this is not going to be available for, I want to say, another week. I think it's the 13th that this goes away. But when you make a $10 deposit with promo code FLOCK, and you do that through the link on this channel, you get $25 added to your account. You get our 2021 rankings, our 2021 draft guide, our 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. It's like $80, $90 of value. That's hundreds of pages of information. And you get it for a $10 deposit with $25 added to your account, and you support the channel. So please, guys, make sure you take advantage of that. It helps us out so much, guys. Please make sure that. Okay. Kingview says, I started too late, but maybe next year I'll catch you. My man, hopefully, my man. Tom says, are we getting closer to 10,000 signups on Underdog? Okay, yeah, that's also a great thing I need to bring up. And guys, Underdog Fantasy said if we hit 10,000 signups on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, which we've had 150,000 views in the past 48 hours. So this should be so easy. And I'm pissed that we haven't done it yet. Then they'll fly people to Tampa, Florida to go to the Florida Flock meetup with us and also to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. And we'll vlog the entire thing. We'll have a ton of fun. We'll do a 24-hour live stream. And we are getting closer. I will say that. I think at this point, it's literally like maybe a 40% chance that we hit it. Like it's close to 50-50, where I would tell you if everybody just went down there and did it right now, it would be like done and we could get that scheduled. We could have a great event. It would be so fun for the channel. But we have to hit those 10,000 signups. Okay, so now we're going to be back up on the clock. A couple different routes we could go. Okay, Jameis Winston goes at the 12:08. Okay, so we're not going to get the double stack in with Jameis Winston. Leonard Fournette goes. Okay, so I think that we're probably going to have a pretty easy selection here. I mean, when we take in Melvin Gordon, the problem is he's going to give us production at the beginning of the season. We're not that excited about what it's going to look like at the end. But if we take a Michael Carter here, I know Carter definitely is trending in the wrong direction. but we're getting him at pick 142. His ADP is, what is his ADP here? 116. As our running back 3, count me in. I think that's an easy selection to go with the Michael Carter. Jonnu Smith goes directly after that. Is fantastic value with Jonnu Smith. Literally, we just couldn't take advantage of that because we had George Kittle. Now Traquan Smith. Imagine we are going to see a lot of wide receivers go very soon, but we already have 7 receivers in this team, so we don't need to be freaking out. Devin Singletary does go. Okay, so now I thought we were going to get Devin Singletary with our next pick, but now since we can't, it's either going to be Gabriel Davis or Paris Campbell for me. I guess we could go Tyrell Williams if we wanted. No, we're probably going to go to Gabriel Davis. We're just looking for some spike weeks here. Yeah, let's go Gabriel Davis. He's going to be our wide receiver 8 on this team. And yeah, let's go through and show this team. If y'all are unfamiliar with this format, you start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a tight end, and a flex. And you do not actually submit your starting lineup. The highest scoring lineup possible for you gets submitted automatically at the end of the week. So having a bunch of receivers that could see some random spike weeks and just go out there and have randomly 80 receiving yards, 4 receptions, and a touchdown and spike into your starting lineup, that's going to be extremely valuable. Obviously, you're expecting a receiver to be in your flex spot every week, so you're going to be starting 4 of them. And yeah, I think that this is a beautiful team. I'm honestly kind of, I don't want to say excited about our Mahomes selection, but looking at where the quarterbacks went here, I think it does make us just a little less sad about going with the Patrick Mahomes at the end of the 4th. Maybe one day says, I like Tampa Tom a lot more than Boston Brady. That I'm sure of. Yeah, I'll say, I mean, the city, I was walking around downtown Tampa earlier today before I started the live stream. I was walking the dog, and the city is ready for the Thursday night game. I mean, it was getting me excited where I haven't rooted for an actual NFL team besides, I mean, certain players that I like for fantasy football. I haven't rooted for a real NFL team in I don't know how long now, but I'm rooting for Tampa this year just because I'm living here. And I mean, the city was already buzzing based on just that Thursday night opening game. Jalen Rager at the 1308. And guys, we'll get another draft going after this one. I'm going to try to get as many drafts as I can going today. We're not going to get another $250 draft, but we'll get another $10 draft. That way I can go through and I can make sure y'all are getting in it with me. Okay, so now Jalen Rager at the 1308. Giovanni Bernard at the 1309. And serious question right now, I'm not trying to like be an ass and like point anybody out or call anybody out. Actually, no, never mind. I was going to say, please comment on the live stream, like leave something in the live chat saying if you were subscribed to the channel or not, because I really wanted to know how many people in here were not subscribed just from like, just so I could know like what we need to be talking about in the live stream and such. But I guess we have the chat on subscriber only right now, so that's not possible. Okay, so now we have Matthew coming out with a donation. Says, would you trade T. Higgins and David Montgomery for Antonio Gibson? Honestly, I will say if you're playing in a very shallow redraft format for 2021, where you're playing in a league that you can only start 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, and a flex, then yes, we would go through and do that. But if you're playing in like a dynasty league or something that has a little bit of a deeper starting lineup, then no, it's going to be a lot harder. Okay, so now we have a lot of teams going out there and soaking up just a ridiculous amount of quarterbacks. Maybe we need to be on the lookout for bringing in another quarterback sometime soon because you already have Ryan Fitzmagic, Ben Roethlisberger going off at the beginning of the 14th round. You had someone like a Jameis Winston going off in the middle of the 12th. So you definitely see the fact that these teams are pushing up quarterbacks. We're going to at least need 2 in this draft. I know we took Mahomes, but since we don't have access to the waiver wire, we need at least 2 quarterbacks here. So maybe we have to take one coming out of the 14-15 turn. If not, I mean, it's going to mainly depend on the value. So Rom says, can we do a $50 draft? I'm sorry, my man. We are right now balling on a budget since we did this $250 draft. So we're going to have to get in a $10 draft after this, my man. Zach Wilson goes at the 1404. Christian Kirk. Okay, so let's pull this up because we really got to make sure that we're doing our research and figuring out who we're going to be going with this next selection. There's a player I have in mind. So how many quarterbacks are left? That's a big question. And Darkship has only drafted 2 running backs. He's only drafted Najee Harris and Sony Michel. So if y'all want to throw some hate, throw it in that direction. Okay, I've drafted 3 running backs. I got Kamara, Melvin Gordon, and Michael Carter, guys. Here goes Damian Williams there. trying to figure out where we're going with this next pick. Okay, so Outcast on the clock. They go Alexander Madison. I'm assuming this team here probably goes with a receiver. They go Tony Jones. Boys, I think we got it. I think we got it. Calling Ramondre Stevenson. Calling Ramondre Stevenson. Come down to the front, sir. Let's get him loaded up onto this team. God, I'm excited about that. As our running back 4 here. So hopefully Melvin Gordon holds up for the beginning part of the season until we get these guys actually producing, because this is going to be a team that would be scary for that playoff tournament. At the beginning of the year, we're going to be stuck with a couple running backs not doing much. But oh my gosh, that is an exciting selection at the end of the 14th round here at the 14-10. Oh my gosh, I'm excited about that. Okay, so now we're going to have Sammy Watkins going directly after. No, guys, that was best case scenario right there. Getting our running back 4 in Ramondre Stevenson. Now for pulling this back up, I mean, obviously Latavius Murray just way less intriguing now. Philip Lindsay, I think, has a much more limited upside. Okay, so you got Randall Cobb. I already kind of know what we're going with our next selection. Yeah, so we're going to go with the quarterback here. I mean, Mortician has to take a different position. So between Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz, we have Terrace Marshall. So I guess we make the tiebreaker. We just go with the quarterback at top of ADP that we also have the stack in. Just to double check, yeah, we do not have him on the same bye as a Patrick Mahomes. So let's get our second quarterback in here in Sam Darnold. Let's show off this team, guys. I'm excited about this team that we have put together. So at running back, we have Alvin Kamara, Melvin Gordon, Michael Carter, Ramondre Stevenson, which of course is not that exciting of a running back position, but it does have upside and it can keep us afloat while we crush everybody else at every other roster spot. This is why it's so beneficial to grab that elite running back. And then, yes, you try to stay afloat at running back too, but from there, more so you're focused on upside, because we look at this. We're going to be crushing everybody, knowing that this is a best ball format. We're most likely going to be crushing everybody at quarterback, at tight end, and at wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 in the flex, because we have A.J. Brown, Chase Claypool, Juju, Corey Davis, Michael Thomas, Marquez Callaway, Terrace Marshall, Gabriel Davis. I mean, we have Sam Darnold as our second quarterback. We have to take Darnold as our second quarterback there, just because looking at how the other teams have soaked up quarterbacks so far, when we're picking so far away, the last thing I can afford to do is wait until we have like a Teddy Bridgewater here in the 16th. That would have been pretty detrimental for our team, to be honest. So yeah, this is a perfect 14-15 turn. Usually I like waiting a little bit longer when we have Patrick Mahomes, but yeah, I think that at quarterback, with how this draft has gone, we kind of had to go that direction. Derek says my wide receivers are better. Okay, so let's check out Derek's receivers really quick. Okay, I'm not gonna question that, because I mean, he has Adams, Keenan, Sutton. Okay, so Adams crushes, I guess. Okay, so interesting. I will say, once we get to the playoffs, my man, I got Michael Thomas out there. Hopefully a Terrace Marshall breakout. I think we're so much similar. I think, yes, I'll give you the edge. Your wide receivers are better. I don't think it's by a significant margin, though. Okay, now let's switch this over here. Dome Favors coming out here and getting a Josh Palmer. At this point, we need another tight end. What else do we need? We probably need one more running back. I know a lot of people say, oh, you only need 4 running backs. Yeah, you may be able to get away with 4 running backs in the 18-round draft. This is a 20-round draft, so we're probably going to grab one more. Probably going to grab one more running back, one more tight end, and then 2 more receivers. Carson Wentz goes at the 15-12. Carson Wentz is someone I've drafted in an embarrassing amount of these $250 drafts. So let me go through, see if we have anything. Okay, also, let me give a shout out to everybody subscribing to the channel right now. We hit 34,000 subscribers yesterday, and we are on pace to hit 35,000 subscribers tomorrow. So thank you so much, everybody going down there, subscribing to the channel, joining the flock. I promise you, you're in the right place, my dudes. Justin McChan, just punting receiver as usual. I mean, going through and looking at this team, he has Amaro St. Brown, Hollywood Brown, Deontay Johnson, Mike Evans, and Stephon Diggs. Okay, so actually a better receiver room than usual. Better wide receiver room than usual. I'll give him that, but he also at the same time, he has Andrews at tight end. I mean, he has 3 quarterbacks with Herbert, Lawrence, and Big Ben. He has 3 tight ends with Ertz, Gronk, and Andrews. I mean, that's just such a tough spot to be in. I mean, your wide receivers, you're going to be decent during the season, but by the time you get to the playoffs, you really have no real upside there. I mean, you're going to be a high floor team, low ceiling team. And guys, if you don't know, we actually get entered into a large field contest when you're trying to win $100,000 in the playoffs at the end of this. Of course, you get paid for first, second, and third in your own 12-man league, but the real money that we're searching for is in that fantasy football playoff. So you got to really build around upside. Hence why we load up with all those receivers early and just get running backs at the end. Okay, we got to go through and make sure we're not missing out on any players because this ADP list isn't as updated as the other contest because we're in a spot where not nearly as many of these drafts are getting kicked off. This is a wasted pick. Does he not know that Le'Veon Bell got signed? See, that seems like a no-bueno pick. Kenneth Gainwell goes at the 1609. Are we missing, please, I should have asked this in the chat previously. Did something happen with the Philip Lindsay? Did something happen with Philip? I don't even think we have time to search his name on Twitter. We're taking Lindsay here and really hoping nothing happened. We're taking Lindsay and hoping nothing happened. We got him at the end of the 16th. We're done at running back. We're done at QB, running back. I'm sorry. Yeah. We're just receiver and tight end from here. I'm checking the live chat. Please, for the love of God, let me know if something happened where we shouldn't have been taking Philip Lindsay. Because I feel like him going behind Kenneth Gainwell, Tyson Williams. I feel like there had to be something up that I don't know about. And it's very possible that I don't. Omar says, what's the next draft buy-in? This is a $250 one right here. We're going to do a $10 one right after that. And that will get sent out in the live chat. Okay, so now from here. I think we're actually probably going to grab a tight end. You know what? We're not. We're going to grab a receiver. We're going to grab Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'm not going to explain myself right now, however. I'm not explaining myself right now. We're grabbing Donovan Peoples-Jones at receiver. We're going to draft. We already have 5 running backs on this team. So I think we're done at running back. Maybe we can grab one more considering how long we waited. I guess we could. It's a 20-round draft. We could grab another receiver. I mean, running back if we wanted. But we're going to grab. We may grab another running back. We'll see. Teddy Bridgewater goes to the 1704. This is why we ended up having to take Sam Darnold at the 1503 because you're looking at him going, okay, well, yeah, we like waiting until the 16th round. We can usually get guys like Carson Wentz. This draft, you kind of read the room and figure out, okay, well, I guess we're either taking Sam Darnold in the 15th or we're getting Teddy Bridgewater in the 16th. And we'd rather have Sam Darnold in the 15th. And let me scroll to the top just in case anybody's just now coming into this live stream. If you're just now coming into the stream, make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We drafted from the 103 right here. Let's scroll through this draft board. You're going to, of course, pause it, take a screenshot, do whatever you want to do with it. Scroll down a little bit further. I think that should be it, my dudes. I think that should be it. Okay, so Hurricane Lane says Lindsay got signed by the Texans. My man. Oh, taking me back. I guess that was a bad pick. Okay, so let's move this back over. Quez Watkins at the 1710. At this point, I don't even know. This is what I'm talking. I feel like there's literally just free money out here. Latavius Murray going at the 1708. Tyson Williams at the 1607. There are no waivers in those leagues. Those are like dead roster spots all of a sudden. This is a $250 draft. I feel like that's why it's so your 16th, 17th round picks here, they actually matter a lot. Oh my gosh. I mean, taking them over Dwayne Eskridge, taking a Tyson Williams over at Philip Lindsay, it's free money. That's what it is. Kadarius Toney goes at the 1712. Adam Troutman at the 1711. Tristan says, I'm surprised on how high Justin Fields was drafted. Let's go see Justin Fields where he was taken. at the 10.07. Honestly, man, Justin Fields has worked his way up into this range. I mean, I will agree with you. It's way too high for Justin Fields. I'm not drafting him there, but that's where he is getting drafted. At the end of the day, that's where he is getting drafted. Josh Reynolds at the 18.03. Wayne Gallman here. I mean, Wayne Gallman, obviously, by Dome favors coming out and just getting someone that's going to be very low owned in this contest. That does make sense. Lux says, it is not letting me verify my info on Underdog. Guys, Underdog support, it fixes those problems like that. Like, keep in mind, you do have to get your identity verified when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy. I mean, they're literally adding $25 to your account when you use promo code FLOCK. They can't have people going through and making a bunch of bogus accounts, then all of a sudden cheating, then all of a sudden just getting $25 added to all of these accounts. So yeah, you have to make sure that you get yourself verified. And that's going to just take 1 second. For me, it took like 3 minutes. I know a lot of other people in the chat says it's instantaneous with Underdog Fantasy. Just reach out to Underdog support. Tell them, hey, I'm trying to sign up with promo code FLOCK to Underdog. Can you help me out? And I'm sure that they'll go through and they'll verify your identity like that. There are a ton of people in the live chat right now that I'm sure will tell you that they fixed that for them ASAP. Tyler Croft at the 18.07. And let's get our pick up and ready. Van Jefferson at the 18.08. So George Kittle has a week 6 bye. If we wanted to take a running back here, I don't necessarily think we need to. But the thing is, at the same time, do we need 11 receivers? We don't need 11 receivers. Okay. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Let's just take DeMarcus Robinson. No idea what to expect from Marcus Robinson. We're just getting players that we know are going to be playing snaps. Let's just take DeMarcus Robinson as our wide receiver 10. Keep in mind, this is the best ball format. We don't have to figure out when to start him. He's just going to automatically slide in. I think we are going to cap ourselves at 5 running backs. I almost convinced myself to take a 6th. I don't even want to say who we were going to take just in case I end up taking them in the last round. Okay, Mortician on the clock. They've gone with 9 receivers themselves. They go Mo Ali Cox here. Okay, so do we really want to be passing up on Anthony Ferkshire? That's the thing. My thought process and why we waited on tight end in the previous rounds, because we'd just get Dan Arnold near the end and we'd have the stack with the Sam Darnold. Anthony Ferkshire seems like just too good a value here. Like, how many teams got him in the 19th round? He doesn't have the bye with Kittle. We're going to take Ferkshire instead of the stack. I don't know how important the stack is when we already have a Mahomes. So we're not going to overrate the stack. We'll just get Anthony Ferkshire coming in as our tight end too. So yeah, then we'll have one more pick at, you know what? Let me show off this draft board. Let's just get another draft going. I'll pull this draft over to the side. I'll get a $10 draft going for everybody in the live stream right now. And we can do that and start just a new one over. This was a $250 draft. If anybody wants to take a screenshot of the draft board, if anybody wants to come out here and tell me how stupid I am, feel free. Feel free. Okay, so let's switch this over and let me get that $10 draft set up. It's going to get sent out in the YouTube comment section or the live chat, whatever you want to call it. Let me pull this up right now. Okay, we have a donation coming out from Joey. Thank you, my man. I will get to that in 1 second. I'll get to that in 1 second. Let me just make sure we're setting up this draft. Create a private draft. Yeah, I'm sending this link out right now. It's going to say $10 draft, and it's going to have a blank space, and there's going to be a link. Guys, I promise you, this is going to feel like I'm sure that a lot of y'all are going to go, oh my God, I clicked it as fast as I could. It didn't work. It's because it got filled already. There are 500 people in this live stream right now wanting to get in this $10 draft. Like the $250 drafts, they fill extremely fast. However, these other ones, they don't fill, the $250 drafts, they don't fill that fast. These ones do, though. I mean, these fill like at the speed of light, essentially. Okay, grab that link. That's going to get sent out in the live chat right about now. Okay, just sent that $10 draft out there. Keith says, are you going to be streaming once the season starts? Yes. I don't know exactly what we're going to be streaming. I know Underdog's going to have a lot of fun things that we can go through and stream. We'll be streaming doing some start set questions. We'll be streaming doing some trade questions. We'll be doing a lot of different streams. So make sure you're subscribed. I promise you, we're going to be streaming damn near every day during the season as well. Okay, so yeah, this filled just about as fast as I said it was going to. And let's see what we're going to get. It's a $10 draft, and we are going to end up getting the 110. Let's pull this up real quick, show y'all what's going to be the overall room. A JK Ooper, I believe this is back-to-back drafts where he actually got the 112. RIP, JK Ooper. That's all I have to say. RIP, my friend. James says he got in. Happy to see that you got in, my dude. Okay, Callie says too slow. Ryan says, damn it. Buzz says crazy fast. Jordan says, damn, I had to update Underdog. Yeah, guys, make sure Underdog is updated before you try to come through and jump into this. Okay. So now if we're going through and looking at this, we got Uncle's Playhouse. He's come out to a couple drafts with us. I don't want to say he's a regular. Maybe he's a regular out in the live stream. He's not gotten in that many drafts. Dark Horse, we have not seen him out in a very long time. Rummy Rams, by far and away, one of the #1 regulars of the channel. I mean, Lank Dog, everybody knows that he's a regular. Shat, I think Shat has maybe come out to one of these before. I could be wrong. I mean, that's the name that I should remember. Radius, that's a regular to the channel. Bear Hodes, I don't know what that is. Regardless, that's a new member of the channel. Slim Shady, new member of the channel. My Homes, he's been out to drafts before. BTL Stir, this is a new member of the channel. Okay, so we got some new members. We got a lot of regulars in here at the same time. This will be a fun draft. It's going to be a fun draft. And we'll try to get another one going after this one, my dudes. We'll try to get another draft going after this. This is our 4th draft of the live stream, I want to say. This is our 4th. I promise you. It looks like y'all have already dropped 500 likes on the live stream. Y'all dropped 500 likes. I'll get another one going for us. That's ridiculous. Thank you all so much for going down there and dropping those likes in the live stream. Okay, so here we're going to be at the 110. At the 110, we're probably going to go running back, receiver. And then a 5-6 turn, that's when it gets a little ugly. That's when it's a little harder to figure out what we're doing. I'd imagine we're going running back here, however. Yeah, so we're probably just... Derrick Henry falls to the 108. Of course, we would have taken Derrick Henry if he fell any further. So here, instead of going with an Austin Eckler, we're actually going to take a Saquon Barkley. See, I'll take Barkley at the 110. This is also a league. We have to remember this is not one of the ones that we have done previously that has the giant tournament at the end. This is going to be a private draft that I set up, so there is no invite to that private tournament. So instead of just searching for upside, we need to have a nice balance of floor and upside to go along with it. So let's get Barkley at the 110. I think this overall format, when you're only going up against 11 other people from this draft position in particular, it may make a little more sense to go running back rather than receiver. Najee Harris at the 201. Let's pull this back up. And from here at the 203, yeah, I'm telling you right now, we're going to running backs, mainly just depending on who ends up falling to us. I'm not going to be taking Hopkins. I'm not going to be taking Metcalf. Okay, Eckler goes. So y'all know we're getting our guy. We're going to get Jonathan Taylor, one of my favorite starts that you can have. Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, both guys that were going in the middle of round 1 at some point this offseason. They each fall for injury reasons. I mean, in the case of Saquon Barkley, obviously his own injury. And in the case of Jonathan Taylor, the injury to Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson. But sounds like, I mean, all those injuries should be about sorted out right about now. So those are guys that should be going back up the draft board, even though people are going to be very reluctant to move them up. So yeah, you got Barkley, Jonathan Taylor at the 110, 203. I'm excited about that. Gibson goes at the 204. Hopkins directly after. If we're looking at any picks that stand out, just very standard so far. I mean, there's literally nothing. Najee Harris is someone that does have a wide range of where he ends up going in these drafts. I mean, I've seen Harris go in the late first, and I've also seen him go down here at like the 211. I think that we actually had a $250 draft where we started Dalvin and Harris, which of course you really like that. Now we have Joe Mixon at the 207. Darren Waller at the 208. This is probably the furthest I've seen DK Metcalf fall in a very long time. He goes to Shat. So Shat starting off receiver. There are very few. This is like the first draft I think that we have seen that we haven't had at least one team in this range start with the double receivers. I don't know how that's going to impact the draft per se. Well, we'll just see. John says 112 again. I'm dealing with it on the turn. Yeah, my man. That's what I said. I noticed right away that you were at the 112 again. You were in the 112 in the first draft of the night. It's pretty tough, my man. Okay, Anime Heaven says Brandon Ayuk or Robbie Anderson week 1. Considering that Brandon Ayuk is just coming back from that hamstring injury, I actually think Ayuk's going to be a better overall fit with Trey Lance. So I'll be more excited about having Brandon Ayuk for the entire season. However, with Robbie Anderson going up against the Jets, probably going to want Robbie Anderson going up against the Jets. I mean, Terrace Marshall isn't going to have that large of a role in the offense. Week 1, obviously, you have the revenge game narrative. Don't necessarily want to buy too much into that, but I think the opportunity is going to be there in a game where they should be putting up a decent amount of points. Okay, so Clyde Edwards-Helaire, David Montgomery at the 303 and the 304. And guys, reminder, we are drafting right now on Underdog Fantasy. I know we have said this a million times, but we need to make sure we hit these 10,000 signups. That way we do get to fly people down to Tampa, Florida. Underdog gets to pay for it, and we get to go to that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. I've never gone to, actually I've gone to one NFL game, but that was a very long time ago. I'd love to go for another one. I'd love for Underdog to pay for it and for them to pay for y'all to fly down and go to it with me. So please make sure you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. You get $25 added on to your account. You get our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. You get our 2021 rankings. You get our 2021 tiers. You get so many things. You get our 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. It's like an $80, $90 value. And at the same time, you support the channel tremendously. So please, guys, make sure you're taking advantage of that. Nothing supports this channel more. Jacob coming out bragging that he got the 101 at Uncle's Playhouse. Yeah, so I believe, Jacob, were you out in the live stream with us 2 or 3 nights ago? It was either 2 or 3 nights ago. Godwin at the 309. So y'all know Godwin would have been someone that I would have been considering. Instead, we're just going to go with a Cooper Kupp here. And my God, I mean, you see Patrick Mahomes with his ADP as a late 3rd round pick in that last $250 draft. We ended up having to take him at the 410. That was a little tougher. RHA Vlogs coming out says Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp. Also, what do you think of Robbie Anderson? Okay, I don't know if you're asking for the season. I don't know if you're asking for just week 1. I'll say if we're going to be making a start-sit decision between Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp for week 1, I'm expecting this to not necessarily be that competitive a game. I don't really know how we make that tiebreaker. I'd probably just go with the guy that we prefer on a season-long standpoint with a Robbie Anderson. with a Robert Woods and with Robbie Anderson. I mean, for week 1, I really like him against the Jets. For the season, I really like him as well. I think he's probably going to start off a little hotter than he's going to finish, as we're going to have Terrace Marshall emerging slightly down at the end. Party Till She's Hot says, Mason, your exposure to JT has to be above 15%. I will check how many drafts we've taken Jonathan Taylor in. It is a lot. I will say that. We're going to take a pick here that I know a lot of people are going to be screaming at me for. I don't care. Like, y'all can scream away into the empty void. Okay. So BTL, this is a new draft. I think that he hasn't gotten in a draft with us. Usually whenever you have like a lot of random letters as the name, it's harder for me to identify. I knew this where we were going. I knew that we were going to see DJ Moore get drafted. But yeah, once we start running back, we have to take a receiver here. We're going Julio Jones. We're going Julio Jones over Deontay Johnson. It's not even close. I think Julio Jones week 1 against Arizona. I actually have that Arizona-Tennessee game as my favorite to just turn into a flat-out shootout in week 1. I think you're going to see a massive spike week for Julio Jones there. I mean, let's just lock in Julio. We already start running back. We know how fast wide receiver is going to dry up in this format. So let's make sure we're getting one at the 403. Patrick Mahomes at the 406. And, I mean, this is what I was hoping to see in the last draft. We were hoping to see Patrick Mahomes go at the 406. That way we could have gotten a receiver that we liked at the 410. So I'm sure Rummy Rams here. It would have been intriguing to see them go with Patrick Mahomes after taking the Alvin Kamara team. I think that $250 draft we just got done, though, I think that's probably a very unique team. I would be surprised if that many teams have the Alvin Kamara, A.J. Brown, George Kittle, Patrick Mahomes start. Oh, yeah, so let me go through and check how many teams I actually have Jonathan Taylor in. So in the $250 drafts, I have Jonathan Taylor in 16.7% of those. And then non-$250 drafts, I have, let me refresh that. I have Jonathan Taylor in 14.2% of those. So on average, I probably have Jonathan Taylor. And I mean, the $250 drafts, I'll say just on those, they crush my other exposure ship in terms of like the weighted towards entries. I've spent a lot more on the $250 drafts than all the other drafts combined. So probably like I'm like 16% on Jonathan Taylor. And I'm comfortable being that, to be honest. I think the opportunity cost is extremely low, especially when we were getting Jonathan Taylor a lot when he was going in the middle of the second round. So it kind of sucks that he's no longer going there, but I'm still fine at the 203. That's someone I've ranked at the 110. I have Jonathan Taylor as our 110. I have him ranked ahead of Austin Eckler. I have him ranked ahead of Najee Harris. I have him ranked, ahead of Antonio Gibson, Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon. I have him ahead of all those guys in that tier. Josh Allen at the 501. Honestly, I'm kind of fine with it. I wouldn't have been that excited about taking Allen anyway. Okay, so dark horse goes Miles Sanders at the 411. That is intriguing. I would assume that when you have a Dalvin team, you most likely, I think we probably would have preferred to see like Adam Thielen over Miles Sanders, to be honest. That's not something I would have said before the injury to Irv Smith Jr. Lamar Jackson goes at the 503. Shat on the clock after starting off Adams, Metcalf, Montgomery, Ayuk. I mean, this is another thing that I want to point out. Like, I definitely prefer the start of, say, just going with, let me know if you think I'm crazy. But is it not better to start Allen Robinson, Miles Sanders compared to David Montgomery, Brandon Ayuk? I mean, I don't necessarily see a massive difference, in my opinion, between like the David Montgomery, Miles Sanders. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with me on that, but there's easily a difference between this tier receiver right here for me and a Brandon Ayuk. So I would have probably preferred, I know you start Adams and DK Metcalf, so it's probably a little scary to grab another receiver in the third round. But I mean, every single time Miles Sanders falls here. So I just waited out. Got Kyler, Claypool. We're going to be in a tough spot. Like I said, I've said this a million times before, but there's no such thing as a bad pick in the fifth round because you are in no man's land. Gus Edwards goes to the 507. So I would say that if we were going to be breaking ties in any one direction, I'm probably just going to grab, I need to be quiet. M. Holmes on the clock after going Jones, Gibson, Swift, Chris Godwin at receiver. What are they going to do? We have a donation coming out from Colin. Thank you, my man. Says, finish my big money draft. I'll look at that in 1 second. First, let me go over here and draft TJ Hawkinson, someone we've been drafting a decent amount as of late. And you're saying, finish my big money draft, 12-man full PPR. You got Justin Herbert, Justin Jefferson, Robert Woods, Alvin Kamara, Ronald Jones, Darren Waller, Brandon Ayuk, and Mike Davis as my starters. What do you think of my team? Obviously, you're a little weak at running back too, but I think that you're having the elite tight end there. You're getting such a significant edge over your league mates when we know that this is going to be a shallower starting lineup. If we could go ahead and possibly move Robert Woods and one of those depth receivers that you're going to have on your team for Keenan Allen to get the stack in there with the Justin Herbert, that'd be something that I'd be very intrigued with. Outside of that, I really do like that team. Okay, now let's pull this back up. We're going to go Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, we're just looking for wide receivers that are going to see some spike weeks. I know a lot of people want us to go with running backs here, but I promise you the running backs that we're going to be looking at later on in the draft will be more appealing than the receivers. So I know Odell Beckham Jr. at the 603 is gross here. However, this is not a league where you submit your starting lineup every week. This is a league that your highest scoring starting lineup gets submitted for you at the end of the week. So Odell Beckham Jr., when he does see his random 30-point bombs where they're going to be very far and few between, they're going to be hard to predict. They are going to be making it into our starting lineup. We need to go with the receiver. I mean, I think that all these guys are in a similar tier for me. That's kind of why I decided to go with Hawkinson in the 5th and still get Odell in the 6th. And we have a donation coming out from Mike. Says, passed on Barkley and took Eckler, Gibson in a standard. Was that bad? Was that a bad choice? I also have a Lamb, Antonio Brown at receiver, Myles Gaskin, Kareem Hunt, Ronald Jones. Who would you put at the flex? Okay, so for this week in particular, at the flex, I'm assuming you're asking between Myles Gaskin, Kareem Hunt, and Ronald Jones. I actually think that a lot of people aren't going to agree with us on this, but I would go with a Ronald Jones going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Surprisingly, I mean, Tampa is a massive favorite in that game, and they have the highest implied team total by Vegas this week. So if you're having a banged up Giovanni Bernard in that matchup, if you're having Tampa supposed to be leading that game, I think Ronald Jones would be intriguing over Kareem Hunt against the Chiefs and also over Myles Gaskin against the New England Patriots. So yeah, I would be starting Ronald Jones in your flex. But after this, I think one thing that you have to end up doing is you have to try to trade away one of those running backs. I mean, if you're like benching Myles Gaskin, I would much prefer just trying to trade him in a package to get an upgrade at receiver. I mean, that running back depth there is not necessarily doing much for you whatsoever. Okay, so now we have Corey Davis at the 6'10". See, Dak Prescott at the 6'11". And at this point, I mean, I guess we are kind of on the radar to bring in a quarterback, but I mean, who are we going to be looking to bring in for a stack? I mean, we could get Stafford, we could get Tannehill, we could get Baker. I mean, we're not looking for Stafford or Tannehill for about 4 or, I mean, almost even 5 more rounds now. And Odell, we're not looking for Baker until like the 14th. So we're kind of fine right now. Ibrahim says, hey, Mason, where can we submit our teams and get your opinions on it? Don't want to spam you on here. My man, on Patreon every single day, like you'll see I probably uploaded 20 podcasts today, and those are all like 6-7 minute long podcasts. Me diving into your league settings, and also your team and how to optimize. I mean, while I truly appreciate any donations here that you send with your team, I'm not going to be able to do that good of a job, just to be completely honest, because I don't really know the context behind it. I don't know who's on your bench. I don't know what your starting lineup requirements are. I don't know what your scoring is. I don't know how many teams you're in your league. There are a lot of different information pieces that I'm missing. So the number one way, if you want my opinion on your team, is to go over to Patreon. You can send me a DM there and say, hey, Mason, how do I get my team broken down? I'd be happy to get that sorted out for you. We do those every single day. And I think it's one of the things that I'm most proud of, to be honest, because something that's different about me is y'all can see it on the live stream when I've drafted more real money drafts than anybody, and it's not even close on YouTube this year, especially Dynasty. It's really trained me for a very long time now, where I'm very comfortable in looking at different league formats. And you'll see this if you read our 2021 draft guide, and just going through and making the adjustments based on your league format to optimize your roster. So I really love doing that in those team breakdowns, but it's going to be through Patreon. That's how I can definitely go through and give you the best feedback possible. Okay, so now let's Trey Sermon going at the 705. So you got Sermon falling. You have Raheem Mostert rising. I'll tell you, I am going to be crying myself to sleep because I know it's going to happen. I've already said it's going to happen in multiple videos this week. What's going to happen is Raheem Mostert's a must-start running back this week. He is. I mean, he's going to be the lead running back week 1. We know he's the lead running back week 1. The reason you're drafting Trey Sermon is because he's going to be the guy by the time we get to the fantasy football playoffs. So Raheem Mostert's going to crush the Detroit Lions. We know that the 49ers are massive favorites in that game. And then all of a sudden, we're going to be looking at a scenario going, oh my God, am I really having to deal with Raheem Mostert truthers trying to tell me that Trey Sermon was a bad pick in fantasy drafts and it's just week 1? Like, Sermon is still a great value in the 7th round. A great value in the 7th round. Raheem Mostert is going to crush in week 1, but week 1 isn't the fantasy football playoffs, my dudes. Now we have to take Damian Harris here, to be honest. We have no option. With Mac Jones being named the starter, with Sony Michel getting traded, Damian Harris is the selection at the 7-10. We really can't get away from it. And June says, does Le'Veon Bell destroys Gus Edwards' value? I said this at the beginning of the live stream. I'll say it again. Guys, if y'all remember, I came out in a video last week and I said Gus Edwards is the number 1 running back avoid right now. You don't want to be drafting Gus Edwards anywhere. And I said the reason why you're not drafting Gus Edwards is I laid it out over the past few years. And we know Baltimore is going to be a running back backfield that's a 60-40 split. And we know that Gus Edwards has no receiving upside whatsoever. So we thought that 60-40 split was going to be with Tyson Williams. And now we're looking at it going, okay, well, now that 60-40 split's going to be with Le'Veon Bell. So what does this change for Gus Edwards? Doesn't change anything. It's just like how I was saying to avoid Darrell Henderson in the 4th round when he was going there, because we knew they were bringing in another running back. If you looked at the team investment just overall in what they had into the position, of course we knew they were bringing in another running back. So at this point, I went from being someone that wasn't drafting Gus Edwards anywhere, where people think that they need to be drastically changing his value. Le'Veon Bell's not going to change much. Le'Veon Bell, there's a reason that he wasn't signed until now. There's a reason that this guy was literally just, please don't be just completely overreacting. I maybe am going from saying don't draft Gus Edwards at all because he's going to be a 60-40 split to now everybody's freaking out going, oh my God, Gus Edwards is going to be a 60-40 split. And I'm just trying to say that's how it always was going to be. It doesn't matter who they have there. Okay, so now after this, I'm telling you right now, I know Raheem Mostert's the value according to AP. I think we're going to go with a wide receiver, though. We're going to go with Michael Gallup here. Let's bring in Michael Gallup. We can't go with the 4th running back in this format in particular because, I mean, here in this format in particular, we're going to be playing in a league where you have to start 3 wide receivers every single week to go along with this. I mean, you have that flex, and also you don't submit your starting lineup, so we know wide receivers are going to dry out a little bit quicker because a lot of people want to put them on their bench to capture those spike weeks whenever they do have those random blowups. So in a regular league, you probably don't want to do this. You definitely don't want to do this in a regular league. But in this specific league format, Michael Gallup's going to be the selection at the 803. Okay, so now let me pull this back up. Yeah, so now I imagine you see a pretty big run on wide receiver. I'll say this is about the point where Raheem Mostert, I mean, I'm fine taking him. I'm in the middle of the 8th round. If you want to take Mostert, I think it's completely fine. I agree that you need to be taking Harris, you need to be taking Edmonds, you need to be taking Sermon, you need to be taking Gaskin, you need to be taking Hunt all over Raheem Mostert. But if you want to take him in the middle of the 8th, that's completely fine. And oh my gosh, guys, I am tired. We're going to get another draft going after this, my dudes. We're going to get another draft. I mean, y'all have, let me pull up how many likes we have on the live stream right now. I am almost certain we have more likes on the live stream than we actually have live viewers, which is crazy. So thank you for that, my dudes. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, so right now we have 568 likes in the live stream, and we have 496 people watching. Thank you all so much for going down there, dropping a like on the live stream. I promise you we'll get another draft going after this. And oh, I'm sorry for hiding that. Yeah, so after we go through and pass on Raheem Mostert, you just have a massive run on wide receiver. This is what I was saying. I mean, you kind of had to take a Michael Gallup here, understanding what was going to happen after just that pick and the run that we were going to see on the position. So after going Gallup, you get Waddle, Williams, Jarvis, Hardman, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney, DJ Chark. Great value for DJ Chark. I mean, it's crazy seeing Chark go this far behind Laviska Shenault. I mean, he is currently going 33 picks behind Laviska Shenault. That's why y'all know I've been pumping Laviska Shenault all offseason. And a lot of people in our must draft wide receiver video were surprised that I did not include Laviska Shenault. But it's because his ADP has gone to a point where, to be completely honest, there's no reason to draft Laviska Shenault at pick 61 if you can get DJ Chark at pick 94. Like, there's no reason to do that. Can we pull up the live chat, see if we're missing out on anything? Matthew says, start Gus Edwards or Raheem Mostert this week, or both and bench Laviska Shenault. Yeah, bench Laviska Shenault and start both. Start both of those guys. Raheem Mostert has such a good matchup against the Lions, guys. I mean, he's going to crush. I promise you Raheem Mostert's going to crush. Robert Tunyon at the 902. Okay, so that's to the team that also took Logan Thomas. So I'd imagine that they're probably done drafting tight ends sometime soon. Tyler Higbee at the 904. What can we be looking? I think at this point, when we have 4 wide receivers, we can, if we really want, look at a running back. Like, I'm just thinking that's probably going to be the value available. Yeah, we pull up the best player available. I mean, A.J. Dillon falling this far. There was a time that you couldn't get A.J. Dillon if you didn't draft him in the 8th round. I mean, at the beginning of the 8th round as well. Now you're getting him at the 9-10. Marvin Jones going at the 907. Ooh, this is going to be a tough pick for us, guys. It's going to be really tough. I would love to know your opinion on the live chat on what you think we should be doing here. I'd love to know your opinion in the live chat. Hollywood Brown. Okay, so now Hollywood Brown's off the board. We're going running back. We're taking either A.J. Dillon or Melvin Gordon. Let's just see what falls to us. I'm going to say that to be, like, just to be honest, we're either taking Melvin Gordon or A.J. Dillon. Okay, so now that we have Noah Fant going off, we're going to take A.J. Dillon. This is about the easiest pick we can make. A.J. Dillon at the 9-10. We're going to be drafting probably, I don't even know what we're going to draft at the 10-03. Maybe a quarterback? As we have 4 running backs, 4 receivers, and a tight end on this build, you never feel this comfortable just going through and building around the running back position like this and punting receiver. This is pretty tough. I'm not going to lie, my dudes. Now you get Melvin Gordon at the 9-11. Jessica says, Mason, who should I start? The Gus Bus Henderson or Mike Davis? So Jessica, this is interesting because Gus Edwards, of course, is going up against, I mean, a team that they are implied to score a lot of points against the Raiders. And I'll say, obviously, you're not expecting Le'Veon Bell to do anything right now. And then Mike Davis going up against the Eagles. I will say I'm more comfortable starting Gus Edwards. And that's something that's close enough where I can go back and forth on that all day. Like if you pull up my rankings, like I literally, if you ask me that question tomorrow, Jessica, I may give you a completely different answer. And that's honest. I think that it's really going to be up to you on that one. Now, Aaron comes out and says Corey Davis or Deebo Samuel in week 1. Deebo Samuel, I actually like Deebo Samuel a lot more this week than I do in later weeks because he does have the matchup. And at the same time, I mean, I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a better just overall fit with Deebo Samuel compared to what he's going to be with Brandon Ayuk. I mean, I think that you're going to have Brandon Ayuk to be the better receiver for Trey Lance. It's a tough question. That's a tough question. Okay, so now Jamal Williams goes at the 10:01. From here, we're going to be grabbing a quarterback. I mean, I think a quarterback here is going to make a lot of sense. If we're looking at our team, we're either going to get a stack with a Ryan Tannehill and a Julio Jones. We're going to get a stack with a Matthew Stafford and a Cooper Kupp. So it doesn't really matter. Let's just go with the Tannehill. Just give him the tiebreaker and that he is higher up in ADP. So yeah, this is going to be a team so far that is kind of lacking on a receiver, which of course is fine in a regular format. But on this one, we do have to begin to get a little bit worried. We're going to be drafting from the 110 here. We have Barkley, Taylor at running back, Damian Harris as well. And then at receiver, we have Cooper Kupp, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham Jr., Michael Gallup. At tight end, we have TJ Hawkinson, and we have Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. Okay, let's scroll this down really quick, guys. We have Noah coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says Galladay and Goddard for Logan Thomas in a PPR league. My wide receivers are Calvin Ridley, T. Higgins, Galladay, Corey Davis, Callaway. My tight ends are Goddard and Mike Gesicki. Thank you. You cannot make that trade. Please do not make that trade. Just keep Kenny Galladay. I understand the appeal in going through and making a package up. I would make that trade if in return you're getting back Mark Andrews, T.J. Hawkinson, or Kyle Pitts. You cannot do that for Logan Thomas, though. And then Easy Eddie says, hi, Mason, 12-team, 1.5 PPR for running backs, 2-point PPR for wide receivers and tight ends. Cut Kenneth Gainwell, Emmanuel Sanders, Elijah Moore, Hollywood Brown for either Tony Jones or Russell Gage. We're probably going to we're definitely going to cut Emmanuel Sanders for Russell Gage. Go get Russell Gage. That's going to be an easy decision for me, my man. Especially if you're getting 2 points per reception for the wide receiver position. I think Russell Gage can actually take advantage of that nicely. Zach Moss at the 10-10 by Rummy Rams. And let's go through and let me see how many subscribers we have on the channel right now. I think that I'm just trying to make sure that we hit 34.5 today because I really want to hit 35 tomorrow. I think it would be so cool to hit 35,000 subscribers tomorrow. Terrace Marshall does go at the 10-11. Okay, yeah, so we're on pace. I think we're on pace to hit 35,000 subs. Brian Edwards at the 10-12. Brian Edwards, someone that I'm not going to lie, when the training camp hype was happening, I was sitting here going, okay, guys, I'm not buying it. We got the training camp hype last year. And then when John Brown's no longer on this team, you have to look at it. You have to go, things have changed. We need to be making an adjustment. I mean, obviously, whenever John Brown leaves, you're just going to be getting so many snaps for Brian Edwards, a lot of targets as well. He's going to be heavily utilized in that offense. And he was injured to start the year last year. So literally, those are all things that people were saying that I was laughing at just a couple months ago. But I mean, actions speak louder than words. And John Brown no longer being on this roster, that speaks volumes to what we're going to see with Brian Edwards' role, as well as in the preseason. They weren't playing him because they viewed him as a starter. They were viewing him as a starter and went, you know what? We're not playing you, obviously, because you're not injured, not because we need you to go through and learn a lesson or anything. No, they went, I mean, you're a bona fide starter. We don't need to see anything from you in the preseason. You're good to go. So, I mean, that does speak volumes of what you have from Brian Edwards. And at this point, we're hoping that we get a receiver fall to us, guys. I mean, it's going to be tough if we don't get a receiver. And oh my gosh, looking at this, oh my gosh. Problem is, this is why I draft wide receivers early in these drafts. This is back-to-back drafts that I've drafted from the 110 that I've been put in a difficult position like this. And I think it's based on us going running back at the beginning, where I think if we go like Barkley and then we take DeAndre Hopkins, we'd probably be in a much better spot where I think at that point we could feel free to go like a Tony Pollard. But when we already have 5 running backs in this team, it's not a mindset that I'd have for a regular fantasy draft, but for this draft in particular, it's hard to continue to load up on them. So there's one player I'm looking at and I'm really hoping they fall. So M. Holmes, this is their draft so far, and based on their draft, I'm not that confident we get our guy falling to us. He goes Cole Beasley. I think this is a bad pick. I think you can't go Cole Beasley here when you have Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd at receiver. I think that Joe Burrow is such an easy selection. Let me make sure I don't have the bye. Yeah, we have a free bye week. So let's bring in Joe Burrow. We don't have a stack here, but now we're going to be done at quarterback. We're going to be drafting 5 running backs in this build. We're going to be drafting 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, and 9 receivers. So let me show off the draft board for anybody who's just now coming into the live stream. Okay, so we drafted from the 110. And to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of our draft. Just have to give you the cold hard facts. Not sure that we killed this one. It is what it is. The $250 draft that we did previously, I think that one we are locked in. That one we just crushed some people. So if we make a few picks here or there that maybe aren't that exciting, it's a $10 draft. We can live with it. We can learn our lessons and make sure that in the $250 drafts we'll be fine. And we got Ramondre Stevenson in the 15th round in that $250 draft. So now at the 1203, we're no longer looking at quarterbacks in these drafts. We're exclusively running backs, receivers, and tight ends from here on out. Okay, so now Tony Pollard goes. That is great for us. We're just going to go with Emmanuel Sanders. He's going to be someone that's very hard to predict when to actually start him. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is someone that's just going to be running a crap ton of routes on one of the best offenses in football in Buffalo. So let's go at the 1203 with Emmanuel Sanders. I'm not sitting here and extremely confident with it, but at the same time, I mean, it's kind of fine. Let's go show off this entire draft board. So we are at the 110 with a Saquon Barkley. There we go, my dudes. There we go. So this is kind of what I'm saying. Like, if we're looking at guys that we're kind of drafting here with like an Emmanuel Sanders versus us potentially getting a receiver in the second round, like a Hopkins, like, do we prefer having DeAndre Hopkins and Devin Singletary? Or do we prefer having Emmanuel Sanders and Jonathan Taylor? Actually, probably Jonathan Taylor and Emmanuel Sanders. I just love me some Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you tell me Jonathan Taylor. I'm just getting excited about it. Okay, so now Nyheim Hines at the 1206. And we'll get another $10 draft going after this one. Like I said, my dudes, I mean, I'm pretty sure y'all probably passed 600 likes on the live stream. I don't have it pulled up right now. But y'all have dropped a ridiculous amount of likes on the live stream where I have to continue to go through and get these drafts going for y'all. I mean, I owe it to y'all. And Josh coming out with a donation says, Kyler Murray, CMC, Myles Gaskin, Keenan Allen, Jefferson, Everett, Amari, Higgins, Madison, Gordon, Kenny Galladay, rate please. Okay, so Josh here, I'll say A, it's going to be very hard for me to look at this without any context behind it, so I apologize for that. And also for anybody, please, I mean, I, of course, appreciate all donations, but I promise you, I'll be able to get you a much better podcast breakdown over there on Patreon. And here with the Kyler Murray, obviously, we love having the elite quarterback. It looks like you don't have a backup QB, which I completely agree when you have that elite option. A CMC, what else are you doing at the running back position after CMC? Looks like you're not going overboard on running back, which I also very much agree with. Keenan Allen, Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins. I mean, this is a very good team. I really like what you did. If you could have brought in an elite tight end like a Darren Waller or George Kittle at the 2-3 turn, I would have really preferred that. Like, I'm trying to figure out, who did you take in the third? So you take CMC in the first, take Jefferson in the second. I'm just kind of messed up with who you took in the third round. I like the team, but it looks like it's missing either like a stud receiver or a stud tight end there. Maybe you reached on Amari Cooper like the 301. I just feel like that'd be a little surprising. I feel like that'd be more of a 14-team league. Okay, so Tua Tagovailoa goes at the 12-12. Yeah, Josh has 12-team PPR. Josh, did you take Amari Cooper at the 301? Like, who the hell did you take at 301? If you took Kyler Murray at the 301, my man, I got bad news for you. I do not like that. Okay, so now after this, I mean, you do have those running backs going off the board, which is kind of what we're looking for. We don't want to be in a spot where we're just kind of have our hands tied behind the back with the best value on the board being running back and we can't take advantage. I mean, it is great to see, like, if you're my homes here and you get a Devin Singletary at the 1204, you were just ecstatic about that selection. But we can't take advantage when we have like A.J. Dillon as our running back 4. A.J. Dillon as a running back 4 is already way too strong to be taking another guy. Jose says, got my draft in 7 minutes. Jose, good luck. Good luck, my dude. Wishing you the best. I hope that you've been watching a lot of these videos. Zach says, I have 0 shares on Jonathan Taylor across 800 plus in entries. Okay, so Zach has over 800 entries into this. He has quadrupled what I have. Zach, let me know your opinion on why you're passing on Jonathan Taylor, because if you have 800 entries into this, your opinion obviously matters a lot. So let me know what you're thinking. Okay, sorry. Wakivis coming out with the donation says start Brandon Ayuk or Gus Edwards at the flex this weekend in PPR format. They were probably just going to go Gus Edwards. I mean, Brandon Ayuk is coming back from that hamstring injury. I would like to see him 1 week before we just confidently roll him out there. With Zach, let me know why you have drafted 800 plus teams and you haven't taken Jonathan Taylor once. Okay, so now we can't look at quarterback. We are exclusively running back, receiver, and tight end. And if we're going running back, we're only drafting one more. We're only drafting one more running back. Honestly, we're probably not grabbing one at this pick. We're probably getting a receiver. Yeah, so Gronk goes. So we're just going to be taking Traquan Smith. We just need wide receivers at this point that are going to be getting targets. Josh says, I took the 301 Amari, then Kyler in the 4th. Did you take Amari over like Keenan Allen? I'd imagine if you take him at the 301, you're having to take him over like Keenan Allen, CeeDee Lamb, Jefferson, AJ Brown. You have to take him over at least one of those guys. Lightning Dog says, this might be the only second time I've taken Waller. I've taken Waller in a considerable amount of these drafts lately. I wasn't reaching on him before we had the injury to Irv Smith in them. But yeah, now I have Darren Waller in over 10% of these drafts. Okay, so now let's close that out. And at the 1403, I don't want to say exactly what we're going to be doing, but I mean, y'all can obviously see my team. Y'all can see what I want to do. Tyson Williams, no longer draftable. I mean, maybe if you, at the very end of the draft, not right here, though. Not right there. Okay, so we're grabbing 1 to 2 players. And I hear my dog chewing on something. Hopefully it's her bone. I'm going to have to open this door because if she chewed on my Chacos a couple nights ago and I almost murdered her. I really almost did. So I got to make sure she doesn't have anything that I'm going to kill her for. Okay, so let's take AJ Green. Let me scroll down real quick and show you all this draft board. And then we will be back in 1 second as I just open that door to see what my dog has. God, that dog has gotten good. Just a bone. Just a bone. KJ Hamler goes, if we were actually going to have AJ Green go beforehand, I was going to take KJ Hamler at the 1403. At that point, we just had to go with the receivers. I promise you, I know a lot of people don't go this deep, but I mean, you are going to have receivers that we're having to look at in a couple rounds that are just going to be hideous. In a format like this, you have to continue to draft them. And we do have the luxury of when we take Hawkinson, we don't have to reach on a second tight end because we're already kind of making a bet that Hawkinson is going to take that significant step up. Okay, now let me switch this over. Okay, so let me go through and see. Okay, so I believe Zach was the one saying that he has had over 800 entries into Underdog Fantasy. So those are real money fantasy drafts, guys. On Underdog Fantasy is all exclusively real money leagues. And if you have had over 800 entries, I mean, I'd imagine that your opinion is pretty damn valuable. So let me know. Let me try to figure out if you said why you hadn't taken Jonathan Taylor a single time. Let me see if I can go through and see a message. I don't think he sent a follow-up message. Yeah, I do not see a follow-up message. Okay. Bateman goes to the 1501. And Tyson Williams, am I missing something with Tyson Williams, guys? Like, Le'Veon Bell did get signed, right? Le'Veon Bell did get, I'm assuming he's just taking that role. Let me pull this up. Did Le'Veon Bell officially is signed? It's so sad. Yeah, they signed Le'Veon Bell. It's so sad when you look up Le'Veon Bell and the pictures that are like all the top stories, they're using pictures of him in the Chiefs uniform. Like, why would you use, like, if you're writing a top story and Le'Veon Bell signs with, like, if I go to Google Images right now and just type in Le'Veon Bell, all the recent stories, like the first 15 picks, are just Jets and Chiefs uniforms. God, I feel like Le'Veon, needs the respect to at least throw him in the Pittsburgh uniform on there. That is sad. That is sad. We have some donations from Easy Eddie. Says, do you like it? 12 team PPR, 1-12 quarterback, Lamar, Lance, running back, Eckler, Henderson, Rojo, Carter, Moss, Gainwell, wide receiver, A-Rob, Deontay, Antonio Brown, Hollywood Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, Elijah Moore, tight end, Darren Waller. I will say I like it. One thing that we're going to look to do is I've been actually advising a lot of people to do this when they have those elite level quarterbacks like a Lamar Jackson, and they also have Trey Lance on the team, because I can't even tell you how many teams I've broken down on Patreon, and I've said this word for word. I've said this exact thing word for word, but I think it holds true, and I would love your opinion on it, guys. So when I'm viewing a team that has the elite quarterback option in a Lamar Jackson as well as a Trey Lance, we're sitting here going, okay, well, obviously we can't just continue to roster both of these guys throughout the entire season. We have to eventually make a play and try to figure out what exactly we're going to be doing here. And I think that the most logical play, in my opinion, is going to be actually selling away the elite quarterback once Trey Lance is starting and producing at a high level. Because I think that with a Lamar Jackson, you're more likely to get the trade value based on the production and based on his name value. Whereas with a Trey Lance, with my simple-minded brain of just assuming what the dynasty market's going to end up doing, I would assume that you're not going to be able to get the exact value that you should for a Trey Lance. And therefore, I would probably prefer to keep Lance and sell Lamar Jackson. So let me know what y'all think about that, because I've been going through and just saying that over and over and over again for those elite teams. I would really love your opinion on that. Now, after this pick, we're going to get another $10 draft going. I'm sorry if you really wanted to see the last two rounds. I'll show off the entire draft board up until this point, but we don't need to see the last two rounds. We'll get this Blake Jarwin pick in here. I'll show off this draft board. We'll get another $10 draft going. It's going to be sent out in the live chat for everybody who used promo code FLOCK and signed up for Underdog Fantasy. Here's this draft board. You could go down there, pause it, take a screenshot, do whatever you want to do with it. Of course, I'm going to still go through and finish that draft, but I'm not going to do it on the live stream. Instead, I'm going to be doing it on a separate window. So let me pull up a new draft on Underdog really quickly. So let's pull up Underdog Fantasy. This is going to be a $10 buy-in draft. I will send this out in the live chat for anybody who wants to get in. It's going to be a private draft. Don't go join the draft from the lobby, because if you're joining the draft from the lobby, you're not going to be on the live stream. It'll be joining it with a bunch of random people from the public lobby. Okay, so, and also, guys, keep in mind, in these $10 drafts, these suckers are going to fill like that. I mean, these things are here and gone in 1 second. So let me grab this link and I'll get that out to y'all. Tony Jones. Oh my gosh. We should have taken Tony Jones over Damian Williams. That was an embarrassing selection by me. Tony Jones was clearly the play there. Oh, that's just an embarrassing selection by me. Okay, I'm sitting this out in, ooh. Okay, that was pretty bad. I was a little scared about that. Okay, so now no idea what we just did over here. Okay, so we have the link for the new $10 draft that's getting sent out right now in the live chat. And while I go through and fill this, for whatever reason, if you have not signed up for Underdog Fantasy yet, this is where we're drafting every single night. We're going to be doing so many fun things here during the season as well. And what is so great is they currently are allowing us to have the best deal for anybody on YouTube, where if you go through and if you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK through the description of the video, or you do that through the live chat, you are actually going to get $25 added to your account with promo code FLOCK. Not only are you getting that, but you're getting our rankings, our tiers, our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, our 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide, hundreds of pages of information for a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy. That's like an $80, $90 value, and you support the channel tremendously when you do that at the same time. So please make sure, guys, you go down there, use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, get in the draft with us. And on the 13th, they're going to make it where you do not get that $25 bonus added on anymore. So please make sure you're taking advantage of that ASAP, because I promise you, you're going to be looking at us live streaming every single day on the channel, doing fun things on Underdog Fantasy, and you were going to be upset that you did not take advantage of that. Party Till She Saw says, Ravens saw Bell twice in a season in the Steelers' heydays. They should remember how long ago that was. Yeah, I'll say, guys, Le'Veon Bell, I'm not sitting here saying that all of a sudden he's going to be starting running back for the Baltimore Ravens. I'm sitting here saying, well, Le'Veon Bell, he's just coming in. He's going to take that running back 2 job. We have already been on record saying Gus Edwards is not someone that you should want because we know that's going to be a backfield split 60-40. Now, instead of that backfield being split 60-40 between Gus Edwards and we actually need to go through and switch this back over. Okay, I'm sorry. We got to make a selection on this other draft really quick. We're going to be taking a receiver. Yeah, we're taking a receiver. We'll take Dwayne Eskridge. Let me put this back over here, and I'll move this draft to the other screen. Yeah, but he's just going to be playing in a 60-40 split. Now the running back that's going to be getting 40% of the touches there, instead of it being Tyson Williams, you're actually going to end up having that be Le'Veon Bell. So, I'm just still saying Tyson Williams undraftable, but my opinion on Gus Edwards doesn't really change. If he goes significantly later than where he was going previously, maybe we actually start drafting him. Okay, so, oh my gosh, we get sniped on Hunter Renfrow in that other league. Take Kadarius Toney here. And Dakota coming out says, Mile High Magic Mason here for the kidneys. Okay, my dude. Okay. Yeah, we made a bet involving our kidneys the other night, guys. That live stream made mysteriously disappear, and I made mysteriously disappear off of YouTube if Aaron Rodgers comes out and he posts over 50 touchdowns this year with less than 5 interceptions. A very low probability thing of happening, but I will say that if it does, find me in Mexico, find me in the Bahamas, find me anywhere but on this YouTube channel. I'll tell you that right now. We'd have to go into hiding. We'd go into hiding, my friends. Aaron says, is this the last draft? Y'all have dropped 600 likes on the live stream. I'm going to try to maybe get another draft going after this one, my dudes. This is our 5th or 6th draft of the night. We've been going through and crushing these drafts where we've had a lot of people being able to get out to these. We have some new names that I've never seen before in this draft. Supa Dupa, we've never seen that name. J Ben, I believe that's a new name. SK Relly, that's probably a new name. This is a new name. Oh no, Mile High Magic. Okay, this was Dakota. Okay, that's what he is saying. So he's coming for our kidneys. I'm assuming Mile High Magic, if he thinks that Rodgers is going to post that season, he's going to go with Rodgers in the 3rd. Then we actually have Nico Torzaga. I'm an idiot. I apologize. Then Carr Norton as well. So yeah, we have a lot of new names out to this stream. I think that the only regulars that we actually have in this draft right now, Rummy Rams, JK Ooper, Yay Sports has been out to one before with us. I think they were out in a $250 draft. Very intriguing, very intriguing. Also, let me go give some shout outs to everybody who's subscribed to the channel, and Connor, Anthony, Mauricio, another Connor, Radivir, Josh, Bond, CJ, Jessica, Marco, Chad, Gamer, USMC, MTB, Joe, MC Burkat, Corey, Chip, Cesar, Daniel, Ian, SSG, Giovanni, Storm, Josh. Thank you all so much for going down there, subscribing to the channel. Okay, so now we have a massive running back run happening here. I'm probably going to go with, I imagine, actually, I guess we could go either one of things. If you're starting a draft off with Kelsey, then Chubb, or Kelsey, then Hopkins, starting a draft off Kelsey and Hopkins, it feels like a cheat code in this kind of format. The previous draft, we did start going running back. We've started a couple drafts off so far today going running back. So this is going to be something a little bit different. Let's go back and let's get back to the basics. Let's get that elite tight end. Let's get that stud wide receiver, and let's roll and find that running back value later on, which we are comfortable in doing. Nijov says, Mason, any chance Deontay Johnson breaks into the top 10 in full PPR? I'll say in a full PPR, he at least has a chance given the target volume he can have. The yards, the touchdown volume are going to be really low with the Deontay Johnson. So in a non-PPR format or in a half PPR, we're going to be a lot less excited about Deontay. In a full PPR, he has a chance. I would not be betting on it. My problem with Deontay Johnson is, historically speaking, what you want to be betting on with fantasy football from season to season and trying to identify buy low candidates or trying to identify breakout candidates is you're going to be trying to identify the player that commanded a lot of targets, the guy that got a lot of volume the previous season, and the efficiency wasn't necessarily there for him to have the elite finish. Usually that's a guy that's a great candidate to be a massive breakout the following year. Now, with the Diontae Johnson, like that's the exact profile that you have. And this is someone that was getting targeted at a heavy rate while he was healthy. And I mean, he was crushing the other Pittsburgh Steelers while healthy with the amount of targets he was getting per game. But at the same time, I have such a hard time sitting here and saying that you're going to have him breaking out, given the fact that, I mean, he was so inefficient. So inefficient, it was like not even laughable. Like if I look up NFL leaders in yards per target. Let's do this on the live stream right now since we have some time and we can really dive in depth. I mean, of course, I've made videos about this before. Okay, NFL yards per target, guys. I'm going to be going through and I'm going to be finding Diontae Johnson here. Diontae Johnson with his yards per target. Okay. He was 117. You want to hear some names that finished with more yards per target than Diontae Johnson last season. Get ready for this. More yards per target than Diontae Johnson. Hayden Hurst, Drew Sample, Hunter Henry, Jamal Williams, Gerald Everett, David Johnson, Jakeem Grant, Dalton Schultz, James Washington. Some disgusting names on this list. Sterling Shepard. I mean, to the point where we're looking at that type of inefficiency. And I'm not necessarily saying that he can come through and he can just completely change everything, but it's hard to make a bet on that turning around, to be honest. It's really hard to make that bet. Now, I know a lot of people want to see David Montgomery. I'm going to be comfortable getting a running back in the 5th. So let's go Robert Woods. And don't be surprised when I take another running back in the 4th round here. We're going to get Robert Woods in the 3rd round. I've been very high on Robert Woods for a very long time. Ian says, underdog in Arizona. Let's go. Hell yes. Did underdog launch in Arizona today? That is awesome, guys. If you are in Arizona, underdog is officially in Arizona. I know that, I mean, a lot of y'all were not able to take advantage of this deal up until this point. Well, underdog is now in Arizona, so make sure you go use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Sign up and get in some drafts with us. I will be going through and I'll be getting those drafts going during the live stream on Thursday as well. I'm on Thursday leading up until kickoff. Don't be surprised if I live stream for like 5-6 hours and get in like maybe 10 drafts on Thursday. I will be getting a ton in, especially now that I know that Underdog's available in Arizona. So we're going to have a lot more of y'all coming out and joining Underdog Fantasy to play with us. I'm really excited about that, my man. That's great news. Ian says, yes, sir. Use code FLOCK, baby. My man, thank you so much. There's nothing that helps this channel out more than y'all using promo code FLOCK and Underdog Fantasy. If you're just now joining the live stream, that's where we're drafting right now. And when y'all use promo code FLOCK and Underdog Fantasy until the 13th, you're getting a deal. When you make a deposit with $10, you're getting $25 added to your account. You're getting our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. You're getting our 2021 Rankings and Tiers. I mean, what else can you ask for? What else do you need in your life? I mean, that's hundreds of pages of information, like an $80, $90 value. You're getting $25 added to your account with a $10 deposit, and it helps the channel a ton. Like, it's ridiculous that this is even available, and I just really want to hit 10,000, so Underdog Fantasy has to fly some of y'all out here to Tampa, Florida to go to the Florida Flock meetup and to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game with me. That'd just be so much fun to vlog that and everything. I've already been thinking about like the content that we could do, like the meetup. We could do like a football game at the meetup, and we can get some people to come out and like record it. That'd be very fun. Of course, I don't want to get clobbered by any of y'all, so we'll probably be doing a 2-hand touch football game, but it is what it is. I'll buy some flags. I'll buy some flags. Okay, so DJ Moore at the 402. Okay, so James Robinson goes at the 404. We're going to be in a spot where if we were playing in the drafts that were like the $250 buy-ins where we are actually going through and we're creating a team that has the most upside humanly possible, here maybe we would go with T. Higgins. Instead, when we know that we actually need just a floor on this team and we don't need the highest ceiling possible, we're going to grab DeAndre Swift in the 4th round as our running back 1. So let's go through, show off this team where we have Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins, Robert Woods, DeAndre Swift. I'm honestly completely fine with this. Like, if we're talking about going back and possibly changing our 3rd round pick and grabbing a David Montgomery there instead, I mean, I do prefer the combination of Robert Woods and DeAndre Swift compared to David Montgomery and T. Higgins. So yeah, I'm completely fine with the decisions that we've made up until this point. Joey says, I've had my uncle, cousin, and 3 friends make an account and use code Flock and Underdog, but I'm going to wait until the season starts to tell them about the rankings. My man, Joey. Thank you. Thank you so much. You could not comprehend how much that helps out this channel. Thank you so much, my man. That is massive. Just thank you. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for doing that, my man. I mean, taking the time to not only sign up for Underdog yourself with promo code Flock, but getting other people to do it. That's the Lord's work right there. That's the Lord's work. Okay, so now we get Brandon Ayuk at the 408. Okay, so you have T. Higgins and Deontay Johnson falling in this draft. Honestly, I'm surprised to see Ayuk going ahead of them. Okay, Kyler Murray. Okay, so we have this elite tier of quarterbacks going. There's no way we get one of those receivers we like falling to us in the 5th round. Well, we'll see. Bear says, man, your start at the 7 was better than mine. Bear, what did you start at the 7? Like, what were your first 4 picks there? I mean, you all getting Kelsey at 7 is literally just a gift. And what it allows you to do, just having to avoid those gross tight ends later on in the draft, and you can just get value at other positions. Getting Kelsey at 7 is a gift. I have Travis Kelsey in so many leagues. Higgins at the 412. This is talk about a gift. Okay, so Carr also takes Andrews. Here, seeing these tight ends get pushed up the draft board, that's kind of what you want when you have a Travis Kelsey. I mean, really the only other teams that are going to be in play to take a Hawkinson would be either Mile High Magic or Rummy Rams. If not, Hawkinson's, of course, going to make it past this round because the Waller, the Pitts, I'm not going to take Hawkinson. So Deontay Johnson at the 502. Okay, so neither one of those receivers ends up making it back to us. Adam Thielen at the 503. Let's pull this up. Lorenzo says, signing up in Arizona as we speak. Okay, man, let me know if Underdog in Arizona is working for you now as well, because that's exciting. I knew Underdog was launching in Arizona soon. I didn't know exactly when they were launching, but I'm excited to hear it was today. I'm excited to hear that it was today. Josh Jacobs at the 505. Thank God we got DeAndre Swift in the previous round, because Jacobs was my initial plan in the 5th when we decided to take Robert Woods in the 3rd. Kind of made the pivot, honestly. Yes, now between Judy, Claypool, we're definitely not taking Gus Edwards here. I've already told y'all before, I'm not a fan of taking Edwards. We weren't taking Gus Edwards here before Le'Veon Bell signed. No reason to take him here after Le'Veon Bell signed. We're going to go with the receiver, to be honest. Just trying to figure out the guy that we actually go with. So let's take Jerry Jeudy. I think Jerry Jeudy and Claypool are the 2 guys that we're really choosing from. Understanding that I'm just playing in so many leagues, we have to be really aware about ADP. And of course, we're going to go out there and get our guys and make sure that we have a very high exposure mark to them. Like we already talked about with me being at like a 17% exposure mark to a Jonathan Taylor. Where, yeah, we're getting our guys. We're making sure that we have them in like double the amount of leagues that we have an average rate in. But at the same time, we just can't be continuing to reach on someone like a Laviska Shenault. It's a perfect example. I have Laviska Shenault ranked ahead of Jerry Jeudy. But I'm playing in 250 leagues this year. I can't take Laviska Shenault over Jerry Jeudy every time. Or we'll have Laviska Shenault in like 75% of our leagues, and we'll have Jerry Jeudy in none of them. Joey says, Mason, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? That's such an easy question because it's honestly a dumb question. Because the correct answer is chicken strips. Like, in reality, if we're going like practicality here, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what are you going to survive on? What are you going to enjoy? What is not going to make you feel sick? Like, just say, if I went to Chick-fil-A and I just got chicken strips from Chick-fil-A, I could eat that for every single day for the rest of my life. I probably wouldn't gain a single pound of fat, to be honest. For whatever reason, whenever I feel that, I feel like $1 million. At the same time, I'd just be getting all that fuel. And I mean, I'd be feeling good. I could eat chicken strips every day for the rest of my life. It'd be no problem. Okay, Antonio Brown at the 601, Javonte Williams. Because if you're going through, like, what else can you eat every day for the rest of your life that, I mean, you're not going to get sick of? I feel like pizza, like with all that bread, pizza, you're just going to blow up. Outside of that, what else could you even really consider? Cheeseburgers, yeah, your heart would probably explode. I mean, anything that's super healthy for you. I mean, I guess fish you would have every day for a week and then you couldn't eat it anymore. Pretty sure you'd get like poisoned if you had fish for a week. The only correct answer to that question, like, let me know in the chat right now. Joey says steak. I'm not going to lie, guys. Since I moved to Florida, the food in Florida, like the food in Tampa, is I would say, horrendous at restaurants. Like, I would go as far as saying, compared to Austin, it's legitimately extremely bad. So I'm at the point where I make almost everything I eat. And what I eat every single day, I'm not going to lie, is steak. I'm not joking, just because it's not because I think steak tastes the best or because steak's the best for you or anything, but I get back from the gym and the easiest thing for me to make is just put salt on the steak, put pepper on the steak, and I have a cast iron skillet, and I can just do 20 seconds on each side, cut it on the cast iron skillet and eat it like that, like an animal. It's a lot easier to make than chicken. Chicken takes me like 20, 30 minutes, and y'all see how much I work. I don't have time for that. So I just have to make something that's really fast. So the grocery store is right next to my gym. I just pick up steaks on the way home every single day, and I just eat steaks for lunch. And usually I don't really eat anything else. I like steaks and then a peach. Okay, so now after we have to take Kareem Hunt here because, I mean, the wide receivers that we're going to be looking at are going to be in a very similar tier to what we actually have in round 7. And we're not in a spot that we would be in when we'd go like a Jonathan Taylor and an Aaron Jones in round 1 and round 2. Because what we're looking at in that draft, that we're just more so trying to fill in on wide receiver depth, and the running backs in this range aren't going to be providing us with that much value. However, in a draft like this, when we wait and we have DeAndre Swift as our running back 1, Kareem Hunt now projects to be a starter for us every single week. Whereas we're not trying to be desperate for that for that receiver depth when we already have Hopkins, Robert Woods, and Jerry Jeudy. So here I think it actually is the play to grab a running back. And with the running backs in this range, I mean, I'm not taking Harris over Hunt. I'm not taking Gaskin. I'm not taking Sermon. I mean, Kareem Hunt, I think, has that role on his offense where we're going to get the random spikes in with Kareem Hunt heading into our starting lineup. And at the same time, I mean, we are going to have that built-in elite level upside if anything were to occur to Nick Chubb. Okay, Felipe says, go to Fort Lauderdale and eat at Chima Brazilian Steakhouse. Do it. I will say, my man, after the football season. During the football season, I work like 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I'm not, like, I literally can't go anywhere. I won't drive anywhere for like 2 weeks. I can just only walk like in a 5-minute radius from my apartment. Okay, so Logan Thomas at the 704. Now let's pull this back up. So this is what I was kind of talking about. Like, I wasn't wanting to draft a Raheem Mostert in the 7th round. So knowing how we built this team, we're not looking at any quarterbacks that we could potentially stack with a receiver or a tight end option here. So we know we want to go with the receiver in the 7th. So I think it does make a lot of sense to get Kareem Hunt in the previous round. That way we can just grab that wide receiver value where we're at the 707. So let's grab Deebo Samuel, going back to what I was talking about previously, and I'm going to be playing in 250 of these leagues, so I have to make sure we're looking to ADP. We're just caring about ADP, so it's going to be hard to take a receiver that's 8 spots ahead of a Deebo Samuel. So let's get him at pick 79. And also, guys, if you have not dropped a like on the live stream, if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you go down there, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton, my dudes. I want to say going to hit 35,000 subscribers tomorrow when you hit 34,000 subscribers yesterday. I mean, we've been popping off, my dudes. We've been popping off. Okay, so after Deebo Samuel, we got Kenny Golladay, Michael Pittman going at the 708 and the 709. Michael Gallup at the 710. Okay, so yeah, you got a little bit of a receiver run happening here in the middle of the 7th round. Justin Herbert at the 711. Okay, so at this point, I think if we're looking at our roster, like, we really don't have that many holes. Of course, if we find a running back value that we like, we can bring in another running back. I'm not necessarily sitting here with DeAndre Swift and Kareem Hunt, like, shaking in our pants about a running back situation. I think we're fine if we do want to just go out there and roll out them every week. Of course, we're going to be bringing in depth with guys like Ronald Jones, Zach Moss. Y'all know that tier that we usually go out there and target. And then at receiver, I mean, we have Hopkins at wide receiver 1, Woods, wide receiver 2, Jeudy, wide receiver 3, Deebo at the flex. We got Kelsey as an elite tight end. So we don't necessarily have any needs, because keep in mind, in a best ball format, you always want to be bringing in extra wide receivers so you could get the spike weeks in the starting lineup. So Jalen Hurts at the 804. Jalen Hurts was someone I was drafting a lot previously when he was going later than this, but I feel like his values kind of bounced back up. So yeah, we're going to go with either Raheem Mostert or Marquez Callaway, whoever's left between the two. We're taking okay, so I guess we're going Raheem Mostert in the 8th. I don't necessarily love this value, but keep in mind, going back to what we were talking about with ADP, he He is currently 15 picks behind his ADP. We're playing in 250 leagues. We kind of need a running back here. So just going through and kind of talking through that scenario. And also, Raheem Mostert is going to be more appealing in this format than he'd be in a regular league because this is cumulative scoring. This is going to be scoring throughout the entire season rather than having the fantasy football playoffs at the end. So Raheem Mostert, points matter just as much in week 1 in this format as they actually do in week 14. We know that Trey Sermon, he's going to be the starting running back by the time we get to the end of the season. But Raheem Mostert, with his points at the beginning of the year, can help us out a lot, covering maybe a down week from either DeAndre Swift or Kareem Hunt. So let's get Mostert. And then, of course, we're not going to stop here at running back, but we do get Ronald Jones off the board right after. So I'm happy that we go with Mostert instead of just taking someone like a Marquez Callaway there, because I think maybe we'd be in a tough spot at running back at pick 103. Party Sassad says, bro, you're a fortunate young man. You will have a positive ROI this season, even though Akers and ETN happened. I will say, if I have a pause, like I am being completely transparent with y'all, and I'm always very transparent with y'all. I've had a positive ROI. I've made money on fantasy football every single season since 2014. Like, that's when we started playing with volume. I'm already saying I'm kind of throwing in the towel, my man. You don't know how many like dynasty leagues that I had with Cam Akers. You don't know how many buy-ins I had with Cam Akers in dynasty. And also, y'all saw how much Travis Etienne I was drafting, how much Travis Etienne I had in dynasty. So I'm at this point of the season, to be completely honest, I'm trying to scratch and claw my way back to being, I don't even want to say profitable this year. If you told me after we had the significant injury to Travis Etienne and Cam Akers, who I was so heavily invested into, if you tell me that after those significant injuries, and like the problem is like even guys like Irv Smith, I was invested into. Like I had like 12% of Irv Smith on underdog. That's a significant amount when those teams are just dead. So like if you're telling me that I'm just going to break even this season, I would sign up for that. Like if you say, hey Mason, here's a little piece of paper, sign this paper, you get all your entry fees back. You just break even on 2021. We go forward to 2022, and then you can go try to grind out that positive ROI again. I would sign that piece of paper, take that check, and be done with it. Like, of course, we would still want to go through and like submit starting lineups and then go through and do the waiver wire and have fun that way. But if we're just talking about trying to generate a positive ROI, I would be surprised, my man. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised, but I would be satisfied if we were able to pull it off. Now, if we're going to be talking quarterbacks here, Tom Brady, I don't care about Tom Brady in this range. I mean, I think the quarterbacks in this tier are almost similar. I'd be fine getting like a Joe Burrow a lot later than this. And Tom Brady's not stacking with any of these options, so it's kind of whatever. So even if Brady falls to us, I'm probably not going to take him here. We're not going to be taking Tyler Higbee when we do have Travis Kelce on this team. So SK Relly, what are they doing here? Took 4 running backs, 3 receivers, and tight ends. So I'd imagine they have to go with a receiver, right? Or Brady. Yeah, they go Elijah Moore. Marvin Jones and Jarvis Landry, they're both the perfect players in this format. And going back to what we were saying, that you don't have the fantasy football playoffs. Instead, it's just who can score the most points throughout the entire season. So in this kind of format, I think that we actually do want to be taking Jarvis Landry because he just fits the build. We want another receiver once we take Mostert at the 806. We're probably going to get our first quarterback on the way back in the 10th, unless we wait till the 11th, where it's just going to depend on the value. But there's also a range that we can either go with like a Zach Moss with one of these selections. Y'all know how many leagues I've also had Zach Moss in here as well. J-Bug says Josh Jacobs at the 707 WTF. Josh Jacobs fell to the 707 in your league. That is ridiculous, my friend. Dakota says, this is the team that wins those kidneys. Okay, my man, I don't see this purple box, but I'm assuming that... Wait, what do you mean this is the team that wins those kidneys? The bet with the kidneys is Aaron Rodgers' career year. You didn't even take Rodgers. What are we talking about here, my friend? You go with Josh Allen at the 410. If Aaron Rodgers is supposed to have a career year, I'm assuming that he's having a better year than Josh Allen, knowing what Aaron Rodgers did last year. Okay, so get these tight ends off the board. Start drafting these guys like Noah Fant, Tyler Higbee. It helps us out. Push us some other value down. We don't want to be seeing those players available. Jack says Zeke fell to the 110 in his underdog draft. Guys, let me know right now, what is the craziest value that you've seen in one of your underdog drafts so far? Like, I know 99% of people in this chat have signed up for Underdog Fantasy and have gotten into some public drafts with promo code FLOCK. Keep in mind, guys, use promo code FLOCK, get $25 added to your account, get our 2021 rankings, our draft guide, our Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide, like at $80, $90 value. Support the show. Find the link in the description. Find the link in the live chat. Find it in the comment section. Y'all know that. But let me know what was the craziest value. Super Slime says Aaron Jones fell to the 14 of mine. Not that crazy. Not that crazy. I've seen that happen. Let me know the craziest value that you've seen. I don't want to hear about your just friends and family league where, I mean, you had Mahomes going at the 106, then all of a sudden you were getting, I mean, players like, let's just say, Laviska Shenault in the 14th round. We don't need to hear about those leagues, but on Underdog Fantasy, because those are all real money leagues where, I mean, you have to be 18 years old, so people kind of know what they're doing. Let me know your thoughts on, I mean, the value that you're getting. Caden says the craziest thing he saw was Kyle Pitts go at the 106. Yeah, I mean, Kyle Pitts is someone let me pull up how many drafts I've taken Kyle Pitts in. I'm going to take Matthew Stafford here. It's going to be a very easy selection. We've already talked about Tannehill and Stafford being close for us. We have Robert Woods on this team, so it's going to be an easy tiebreaker to go with a Matthew Stafford at the 1006. That's exactly what we expected to happen. We were expecting to grab one of those quarterbacks in that range, and I love the value that we were actually able to get. I mean, I think getting someone over there, let me move that for y'all. I'm sorry about that. Okay, what just happened on the... I'm just so confused on what... Okay, that is so weird what just happened on the stream. But anyway, going back, I think that it did make a lot of sense for us to pass on to Tom Brady and just get a Jarvis Landry, knowing the wide receivers that we're going to be looking at with this back half pick, and also Stafford. It's going to be perfect. Nash coming out says Godwin at the 4-5 turn or Kittle at the 309. I've seen Kittle fall to the 308, 309 before. Not more so now that the tight end landscape's a little bit different. But I've definitely seen, like, before we had the injuries to Adam Trautman and Irv Smith, I was seeing George Kittle fall that far. Godwin at the 4-5 turn. I don't know if I've seen that before in an underdog draft. I know you sent me the screenshot that you actually got Godwin on a CMC team. Lightning said Lions fan took Hawkinson and the 103 in his underdog draft. That is crazy, my man. It's like free money. It's free money. Coleman says Devontae Adams at the 202. Lincoln says, can you explain why you like Zach Moss? Yeah, I mean, I think with Zach Moss, this is like a perfect example of a post-hype sleeper where this is someone that I hated last year because you were looking at him in an offense that the offense overall with Josh Allen didn't necessarily prove itself to be something that can have a lot of trips to the red zone, that can score a lot of points overall. So we were looking at it going, okay, well, I mean, yeah, all the obvious things that stand out that nobody was really talking about last year because nobody saw it in action in Josh Allen vulturing touchdowns at the goal line, similar to Cam Newton, Josh Allen not checking down to the running backs, which of course you have to be concerned with, and this team wanting to pass. And also, we didn't know that this team was going to be an extremely high volume offense that was going to score a crap ton of points. So we were looking at it going, oh, Devin Singletary's going in the 4th. Devin Singletary's going in 5th. Worst pick in fantasy. Zach Moss going in like the 10th, 11th. I don't want to say Zach Moss was the worst pick in fantasy. We were calling Devin Singletary the worst pick, but I didn't like either running back in that backfield because we know Josh Allen's going to be someone that vultures a lot of touches away. But at the end of the day, we just take a step back, like if we just take a step back and we try to look at this through a macro sense, Zach Moss is someone that is the lead running back on one of the best offenses in football. He's the lead running back on one of the best offenses in football. And I think just understanding that, it does kind of show us that the value that you're probably getting on a Zach Moss, I think it's probably pretty good. I know there are the red flags. Trust me, I was the guy not drafting Zach Moss at all last year. I thought he was horrendous value, and I thought I wasn't going to be drafting him again this year until the value presented itself. Now, I think we go Tony Pollard as our running back 4. Yeah, we're going to go Pollard as our running back 4 here. I mean, we're taking him over Terrace Marshall because going back to what we were saying previously, Terrace Marshall, a lot less interesting in this format, knowing that we don't have the playoffs. We don't have the need to be scoring a crap ton of points in weeks 15, 16, and 17. And instead, we're just going through and trying to look at as many points as we can throughout the entire season. So those rookies are going to be a little less appealing. So yeah, let's just get a Tony Pollard at the 1107. It would have been a lot better to get Kenyon Drake. It would have been a lot better to get, I want to say like a James Conner. But at the end of the day, we'll take him. We'll take him. Okay, so Terrace Marshall goes to the 1109. We do need more wide receivers in this team. Now we have 4 running backs. This will be a team that we probably take 2 QBs, 2 tight ends. And I think that we can get away with taking 6 running backs and 8 receivers on this build. because this is not a large field contest. We don't have to be chasing the highest ceiling possible. So we're probably just going to go through and get guys that we think can construct a team that has a very high floor. Caden says, did you ever get to pick Akers on underdog, or was he already out? By the time I was getting in a ton of underdog drafts, Akers was already out. I wasn't doing a lot of the drafts over the summer because that's when I was mainly focusing on just strictly dynasty. So I got kind of dodged a bullet there because, I mean, it would have been a detrimental blow to the bankroll if we were drafting Cam Akers in dynasty and on underdog. So thank God we dodged that bullet, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, if like we were in 2021 right now in a parallel universe where Cam Akers didn't tear his Achilles, Cam Akers would probably be my highest owned player here. He was my highest owned player in dynasty. Okay, let's pull this back over. Dallas got it at the 12-3. Actually, take that back. He probably wasn't my highest owned player in dynasty. My highest owned player in dynasty was probably either KJ Hamler, Antonio Gibson, or Cam Akers. I was also drafting a lot of AJ Dillon and Jalen Hurts last year. But I think we actually sold out on Jalen Hurts and AJ Dillon in a decent amount of leagues before the NFL draft. Yeah, so here we're going to be grabbing we're going to grab a quarterback. We're going to grab Joe Burrow if he makes it. Yeah, James White, thank God. Okay, so yeah, Burrow's like, it's ridiculous the value we're getting with Burrow right now. Like, Burrow shouldn't be going rounds after Justin Fields. That should not be happening. If anybody wanted to just make a bet with me, who scores more raw fantasy points this year, Joe Burrow versus Justin Fields? The correct bet is Justin Fields every single time. I'm sorry, Joe Burrow every single time. The incorrect bet is Justin Fields. Like, you're getting Burrow 2 rounds after him. You're getting him 16 picks after. I'm sorry, 18 picks after. I'm sorry, 20 picks after. You guys, it's past midnight. It's past midnight. I'm broken right now. We've done 5 drafts. Caden says, in the Flock 18 Dynasty League, I had James Robinson, so I was hyped, and then I realized I had J.K. Dobbins too. That's brutal, my man. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that, my man. Okay, I'm trying to see if any of y'all said, J-Bug says Justin Jefferson went at the 104 in one of his underdog drafts. Nick says he got Tyler Boyd at the 12-10. That is the craziest value that I've heard. That is the craziest value that I've actually heard. Walter says on underdog he's seen Allen Robinson falling to the mid to the back end of the 4th. I've never seen that. Nijaz says Antonio Brown round 12. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous value. Okay, so from here, you know what, guys? It is past midnight. I'm probably not going to be able to finish this live stream out on the stream. This is our 5th draft. We'll probably get a couple more rounds going. But just to prepare you off, if we end this in round 15, don't be too surprised. Just to be completely honest. And also, guys, like I said, actually, we probably should end it earlier than this. Because on Thursday, we're going to go through and we're going to get I don't want to say we're going to live stream the entire day. We're going to live stream before the games with a bunch of real money fantasy drafts, and we're going to live stream after the games as well, talking, you know, we just want to come out here, talk about what we're going to get to witness. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you can come out to our live streams. We also make videos every single day as well. And when you do that, I mean, all you have to know is you are signing up to be a damn good fantasy football player. And speaking of signing up, make sure you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. When you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, you get a $25 bonus to your account when you deposit $10. And on top of this, you get our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, our 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. You get our 2021 rankings and tiers. I mean, you get so many things, and you help the channel, so it's a no-brainer. Outside of that, I think that may be it. I'm sorry, but let me count how many podcasts I did today over there on Patreon breaking down teams, just to kind of give y'all a quick insight, because I know not everybody in this live stream's on Patreon. But just to give you some insight on how my voice probably is going to be completely gone tomorrow. This is how many podcasts. Keep in mind, they're not Joe Rogan level podcasts. They're 6 to 7 minute podcasts where I go through and analyze a person's team. And then I go through and talk about the settings, the roster. Let's count how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so we had 20 Patreon podcasts today. I did 2 videos. We did 5 drafts on a live stream. This live stream probably has lasted almost 4 hours now. Definitely over 4 hours. This live stream has lasted almost 4 hours. And yeah, so I think we're probably going to cut it here. That way I can save my voice a little bit for the videos tomorrow, as well as the live stream tomorrow night, as well as multiple live streams on Thursday. But thank you again, my dudes, for supporting the channel. Thank you for coming out. Use promo code FLOCK and Underdog Fantasy. Subscribe to the channel. And I think that should be it. I'll get y'all a link out right now for our free fantasy football group chat. If anybody's intrigued, I'd assume 99% of people here are in our free fantasy football group chat. Literally, all you have to do is go through, click the link, choose a nickname, and you're in. I'm not trying to get you signed up with some credit card. I'm not trying to get you signed up with your email address or anything. It's just, if you want in the chat, get in the chat. If you don't want it, I don't care. But let me make my pick first. Okay, so we're not looking QB. We're not looking running back. We're strictly wide receiver, tight end. Honestly, don't even care too much about tight end. We're going to go KJ Hamler here. Pretty easy pick. Okay, let me send out our free group chat. Like I said, just click the link, choose your nickname. I mean, that's what you're going to get called. I don't care if you join or not. I mean, if you don't join, who the hell cares? We actually just started we just created a start sit decision little tab in there, so you can ask your start sit questions to a bunch of people that are probably going to give you some pretty crappy answers. And that's all I got for you, my dudes. Hope y'all have a great night, and I really hope that I see y'all with the video tomorrow morning, the video after that, the live stream that night. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Have a great day.